founded. Just as the netizens of Xia had just disliked these international double-standard dogs, some dignitaries from Western countries jumped out and started their show again. They highly recognized Xia's achievements in the field of science and technology over the years. It then went on to praise Xia's contribution to international affairs and the development of human civilization. Finally, they began to talk about the topic of international relations and good neighborliness. A bite of what for the sake of friendly relations between countries, for the sake of mutual trust between countries, for the sake of the stability of the international community, for the sake of human scientific and technological progress clouds, hoping that the summer country can abandon prejudice, and the Western countries together in the field of scientific research together for the whole of mankind to make their own contributions. They talk a lot, with only one purpose, and that is, they want Xia to share the 2-nanometer process lithography technology. At the same time as these Western dignitaries were talking out of their asses, a group of publicists versus within Xia intercepted their remarks on the extranet and then translated them and posted them on their accounts. I was deeply touched by reading what a few well-known Western dignitaries had to say. Perhaps, it is only those who have the pattern of all mankind like this who deserve the title of statesman. I have to admit that many foreign dignitaries do take a longer view and are more selfless than we are when it comes to the big topic of the human development concept. I just can't understand. Isn't it just a photolithography technology? Why can't we share it out in a big way? Do we, Xia, still lack such a small photolithography machine? Doesn't this rather show our lack of confidence? When the netizens of the summer country saw these remarks that were clearly talking nonsense with their eyes open, they couldn't help but be exasperated and laughed. I'm really shocked. These guys will really say anything for their foreign masters. I'm afraid these people's conscience hasn't been eaten by a dog, right? Can they even say this kind of bull ******** and a ing pattern for all of humanity? Wahahaha, laugh your dad to death. Let me just ask, who started all the wars that broke out all over the world in the last 30 years? The whole of mankind? Politicians? Who do they think they are? I just can't understand. With such a bunch of traitors, why do so many people pay attention to them? And then they are still allowed to post such ill-intentioned remarks every day. I strongly urge the officials to investigate them properly. Support. Agreed. It must be investigated to the end. Angry netizens intercepted the remarks of this group of moochers, and then frantically aired the official report on all major platforms. Only, they know very well in their hearts that such a report is of no use at all. If it really worked, these guys would have been dealt with years ago. Where would they be bouncing around? And the moochers knew this, so they didn't take the netizens' reports to heart at all, and remained righteous as they raged against these netizens on the platform. But what everyone had never dreamed of was this. Just 5 minutes after the netizens reported it, the relevant departments in Xia actually responded on their official accounts. The response was very succinct. Roger that. Do him. Below those 4 words are screenshots of reports from some netizens. When they saw this reply from the department concerned, netizens couldn't help but freeze for a moment, and many of them even subconsciously rubbed their eyes to make sure they weren't misreading their eyes. Wah, it's not my eyes. The authorities really replied. According to the practice of our authorities, the fewer the words, the bigger the story. Now there's a good show to watch. Ha ha ha. For a while, netizens were overjoyed to have this information from the authorities reproduced and distributed, and many of them were also very sweet to eat those moyo dogs. Inside a hidden clubhouse in the second ring road of the imperial capital, Lu Ergu was enjoying his services and generally relaxing with the netizens on the line. As a bespectacled V with more than 1 million followers, he steadily gets more than $2 million from advertisers every year. However, few people realize that this is only a small part of all his income. On top of that, Lu Ergu's account outside the country had a fixed income of $600,000 every year, at the cost of simply posting on the scarf how wonderful it is overseas. The politics are good, which side of the country such as abroad, and so on and so forth. This time, he received another task, which was about the incident of the domestic 2-nanometer process photolithography machine, and the gold owner wanted him to bring more rhythms on the scarf, guiding and directing those materialistic netizens. Just such a task alone would bring him $50,000, which was simply beautiful. However, since I forgot to fully charge my phone before I left the house today, it suddenly ran out of battery halfway through my dislike. Since there are no shared chargers in this clubhouse, Lu Ergu could only ask the other party to borrow a charger and then put it in the corner to charge. Without a cell phone, Lu Ergu wholeheartedly began to enjoy the pleasures of the SPA and fell asleep without realizing it. I don't know how long it took, but Lu Ergu was awakened by a familiar ringing phone. Sir, your phone is ringing. A young lady on the side handed Lu Ergu the cell phone that was already 50% charged. Lu Ergu took a look. It was his own disciple who called, and immediately picked up the phone. Hey, Sanfat, what's wrong? This big night to my phone. What's the matter? A panicked voice came from the microphone. Sure Fu, where are you? Got internet access? Something's wrong. I'm at the clubhouse. The cell phone just died. What's wrong? Calm down. Listening to the other party's panicked voice, Lu Ergo lectured in a good-natured manner. What did I tell you? No matter what happens, no need to panic. The sky he's not coming down. Ha? Oh okay master. Under Lu Ergo's lesson, the other parties seemed to have regained a trace of composure. Lu Ergo seemed quite satisfied with his education of his disciple and said, alright, speak up. What happened? Just 20 minutes ago, the authorities posted a message online. The apprentice said, what information? Lu Ergo asked. The apprentice said, copy that. Do him. Lu Ergo? What the hell? Lu Ergo was at a loss. Those are the 4 words. Copy that. Do him. The apprentice cried out. There are also many reports from netizens down there. I saw a report about you. Master. In there. Master. There's a good chance you're being watched by the authorities. Lu Ergo? Crap. Lu Erdog instantly felt his brain go boom. A blank slate. In the next second, he directly leapt up from the bed, not bothering to put on his own clothes and shoes, and rushed outside in his bare feet. Only, just as he had pulled open the door of the room, several people in uniforms blocked his way. Lu Ergo, right? Come with us. Looking at these sharp-eyed and slightly speechless inspectors in front of him, Lu Ergo's legs went limp and he directly collapsed to the ground. Soon after, the internet spread the news that the well-known internet vlogger Lu Ergo should be suspected of poaching and was arrested by the police in accordance with the law, and similar related events are unfolding across the country. Until 9 o'clock in the morning of the next day, there were more than 10 provincial TV stations broadcasting in the morning news that last night, the provincial and municipal inspection bureaus had carried out illegal and criminal raids on their jurisdictions, and had seized more than 30 illegal and criminal incidents, with more than 60 suspects. More than a dozen of them are also famous online publicists and internet vloggers on the internet. Almost at the same time, the authorities posted a short message on their social media sites. The internet will not be a place outside the law. Those who break the law will be caught. And just as the authorities were angrily beheading these moochers, Xia's social accounts on overseas platforms also began to show their knives to those double-standard dogs. Star. Chapter 58. Hard Kong Double Standard Dog. Eat the inside out. The netizens are furious. Investigate the joint box thoroughly. On the morning of the arrest of those traitorous publicists, Xia's foreign spokeswoman, affectionately known to Xia netizens as Sister Flower, confronted the politicians head-on on her overseas account. There is a saying in our country of Xia that the eyes of the masses are sharp. In fact, as early as last night, our netizens in the Summerland had already made this matter very clear. This group of dignitaries overseas talk about benevolence and morality, world peace, and the well-being of mankind. But in reality, they are moral kidnapping, forcible seizure, and don't want billion. Here, on my own behalf only, I say to these Western counterparts, one cannot be shameless to such an extent. Less than a few minutes after Sister Fa finished speaking, Uncle Gengji and Uncle Tainan, who are also known as the Three Musketeers together with Sister Fa, also took shots at these shameless politicians on social media platforms one after another. Uncle Gung, don't overestimate your own flim-flam ability or underestimate the judgmental ability of the people of Xia. Tai flim-flam and moral kidnapping like this. It's even better to fool the people of your own country. In our Xia country, not even a 3-year-old child can be fooled. Uncle Tainan, that's it? I'm wasting my breath even answering a question. Next question. The king's contempt. Soon, the netizens of the summer country saw their own 3 swordsmen's hard-hitting speeches against that gang of trademark dogs, and they couldn't help but be happy. 666. It's worthy of being Sister Flower. It's almost like the words are poking the heart. Ha ha ha. In the area of verbal zingers, Hannah has never let us down. Shocking. When did my flower sister learn to speak foul language? It's not because of those shameless politicians, those guys who don't want billion. Wahahaha. Brother Gung is still as straight as ever. These politicians are obviously just used to fooling around in their own country, thinking that the people of our summer country are as stupid as their country's nationals. As a matter of fact, Gung Jichi was wrong about one thing. It's not that he can't be fooled by a 3-year-old. Not even a 2-year-old can be fooled. Just now, I tried to trick my 2-year-old son into eating a little candy from him with these politicians' remarks, and I got whacked twice by my son's bonbon. Eyes are swollen lol. Ha 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 ha. Social my Uncle Tainan. People are ruthless. This king's contempt heir is still taken to death. Wahahaha. Jie. This temperament of Uncle Tainan is simply amazing. In the face of the 3 swords from the summer country, the gang of shameless politicians naturally will not be tolerated, and immediately be counterattacked, except that the trick they're turning upside down, bouncing around, and pulling off over and over again is nothing more than a moral abduction. In the face of this gang of upside down, changing methods of moral abduction against Xia, Sister Hua finally couldn't hold back and once again voiced out, "You guys are really strange. Why don't you ask your technology companies such as Pennycom, Intel, AMD, Rotten Apple, etc., not to share their technology with the outside world, but you want me, our Transcendence technology, to share out our own technology? Double standard to the extent that you guys are. God would shed tears just looking at it. Faced with Sister Hua's questioning, the group of politicians immediately jumped to their feet and screamed, "Who says that our companies like Pennycom, Intel, AMD and Rotten Apple don't share their technology with the public? Don't forget, whose chips are now used in computers and cell phones all over the world. Without these companies selflessly sharing their research success, this world's communication technology would still be stuck in the age of telephone and telegraph. Oh, I almost forgot. We invented and shared this telephone and telegraph technology with the world as well." When they saw these words, without waiting for the three musketeers to reply, the netizens of Xia were the first to explode. So, selling products developed and produced by ourselves to each other is technology sharing. Ha 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 ha. Learned. By this logic, then isn't Warwick gradually sharing the technological achievements of 2nm lithography to the world by moving their new products into the world? Ha ha ha. Double standard dogs. Now that's a cartwheel. Just as the netizens of Xia were mocking, Uncle Tainan also entered the other party on the social media platform, and then said, "So, we also very much welcome you to use the new Huawei products, so that you can experience the latest chip technology of Xia." As for Uncle Gung, he even directly opened with 3 question marks and directly asked, "So, you all didn't watch that conference between Ultra Time Technology and the House of the Interior back then, did you?" I remember that at that time, Ultratime Technology said very clearly that all interested customers were welcome to buy their lithography machines. This naturally includes all overseas customers as well. When did we ever hide and not share our technological achievements with the world? When some overseas netizens saw this message posted by Uncle Gung, they couldn't help but show a hint of surprise. Huh? So that Supertime Technology didn't mean to not sell the photolithography machine to us? Strange. Why didn't we say anything about it in our media? Right. According to Xia, in fact, Supertime Technology, just like Asmer, will supply photolithography machines to the world. If that's the case, then we'll just pay for it. Why all the bickering? You believe them when they say that, don't you? If they did say that, why did our media report it at all? Stupid. That's because you media are just trying to hide this information on purpose. And then so that you can stir up your hostile feelings towards Xia, so that you can put pressure on Xia. Seeing the Gangji uncle poking holes in the truth he had deliberately concealed, those giant capitals behind this group of politicians stepped in. Soon after, Uncle Gungji's remark was deleted, and then it was also given a banning package by the platform to a group of Xia netizens including the 3 musketeers, one person at a time, on the grounds of inappropriate remarks. In the face of such shameless banditry, the netizens of the summer country are all infuriated and laughing. Then a bewildering number of netizens began to rummage through the past, registering new numbers and launching an all-out blasting operation against the platform in a sea of people. On the other hand, after realizing that the tactics of moral kidnapping, fishing boat pressure and flimflam didn't work, these tech giants slowly began to tear off their masks of hypocrisy. Soon, executives from companies such as Rice, Vo, Opop, as well as Shenzhou and Lionbox received phone calls from companies such as Pennycom and Intel, requesting that they had to pressure the officials into forcing Transcendence Technology to share the 2nm lithography technology, or else they would stop supplying chips and licenses to these companies with immediate effect. In the face of these tech giants so don't want billions threats and persecution, the vast majority of the summer tech companies are shocked and angry. For the first time, they felt the anger and suffocation that they felt when Warwick was first suppressed. It is also the first time to feel the core technology in the hands of others in the kind of pain. However, most tech companies have resisted this pressure. They know very well what 2nm lithography means to the state and the nation. So what if your own business goes down? As long as my own country holds the world's only 2nm photolithography manufacturing technology, then when one of my family falls, millions of new tech companies will rise up. As a result, all tech companies with backbone have not hesitated to reject the unreasonable demands of these tech giants. Trying to coerce us into turning on the state? No way. But, except for one company, after receiving threats from Intel and AMD, the executives at United Box went so far as to shout directly at Ultratech Online. The executive said that technology knows no boundaries. It is because of the concept of win-win sharing that the computer and internet industries in Xia have developed to this point. It is hoped that Ultratime Technology will take into account the overall situation and carry forward the spirit of selfless international cooperation, and share the 2nm process photolithography machine with the entire semiconductor industry. In the end, this executive even held the future of the United Box and even the country's semiconductor enterprises hostage, saying that if Ultratime Technology was shabby and unwilling to share its technology, then it was highly likely that the technology enterprises in Xia including United Box, would suffer extinction. When that happens, tens of millions of industrial workers will lose their jobs, and hyperspace technology will be the main culprit of this disaster. This statement by the executive of the United Box Company shocked all the people of the country to the third degree. What the? Who the is this guy? What the is wrong with you? Just this damn even still the top cadres of the United Box Company? What the hell is UMC trying to do? Eating the dividends of the development of our SIA era. But now you're even helping that group of overseas companies to speak? Isn't this just eating out of the palm of the hand? If I hadn't gone and differed the registration information, I damn near thought that United Box Company was a foreign enterprise. Garbage Interboxes. It's a good thing they went out of business right away. Let the person in charge of the Interbox come out and give a statement. Exactly. If this doesn't pay off, I'll never buy anything from United Box again. Still buying. From today onward, Cobox is black for life. For a while, a wave of strong boycotts of the Interboxes started on the Summer Network. In the face of the netizens' anger, the United Box side of the extraordinary did not say anything, but instead backhandedly engaged in the spring discount promotion. This behavior immediately caused the netizens who were already on fire to directly explode in place. Countless netizens immediately launched an action. Will be these years in the joint box in product control, financial investment, people's livelihood investment, overseas asset management on all the ever-exploded violations but have inexplicably suppressed all the information of brain, and in the major social media platforms for public reporting. 1, 2, 3, 10, 000, 20, 000, 30, 000. In less than an hour, a whole million netizens publicly reported the joint box online. In the face of this wobbly public outrage, the United Box side seemed to realize the seriousness of the situation and posted an apology on their official website and official account. The letter of apology said that because the executives are usually not good at talking, there may be a problem in communication, for which they only on behalf of the company to apologize to the public, and will, as always, for the nation to make the best computer and so on. This kind of evasive and insincere letter of apology, instead of stopping the anger of netizens, has made the anger in their hearts burn even brighter. Finally, it was the afternoon of the second day of the Cobox executives eating their way through the time. The relevant authorities in SIA dropped a bombshell on the fence. In response to the millions of netizens who reported violations of the United Box a few days ago, 7 national departments have set up a joint team to formally station at the headquarters of the United Box to launch an investigation. The next day, news came online. More than 24 executives, including the president of United Box, are suspected of violating discipline and law and have been taken away for investigation. The nation rejoiced at the news. Chapter 59 Joint Blocking? The Summerlin Chip Alliance was formed. Ha! Come here, Fuchs Fingers. As the top-ranked computer company in SIA, United Box was once regarded by the public as the pride of the nation. However, in recent years, the various acts of the joint box have time and again hurt public sentiments and caused a lot of grievances. So much so that this time there was not a single person on the entire network who spoke up and cried out for them. There was only endless cheering and joy. Wahahaha. It's not that we don't report it. The time has not yet come. When the time comes, retribution will come. As the masterminds behind the scenes, those tech giants overseas had been silently following the developments on the SIA network. So, just as the news had just broken online, they had seen it, and they were sanctioned just like that? Damn it! What other spells do we have next? A group of people looked at me and I looked at you and couldn't help but fall into silence. After a long time, the president from ASMR suddenly thought of something and said, "Guys, if I remember correctly, they're behind in semiconductors looking at more than just photolithography. In terms of high-end silicon wafers, photoresists and other raw materials, it seems that they also simply do not have the ability to produce them on their own, and can only rely on imports for all of them." Hearing this, the eyes of all the giant executives snapped open. Everyone turned their heads in unison to look at a couple of tech company executives from the island. They are the world's leading producers of high-end silicon wafers and photoresists. That's right, an executive from Island Electronics nodded. 90% of their high-end photoresists are supplied by us. Another executive from a silicon wafer manufacturing company said, 70% of high-end silicon wafers come from our company. In addition to this, representatives of manufacturers of ion implanters and thin film deposition equipment have also made public the amount of business in their corporate orders. As they listened, these giant executives began to become excited. Gentlemen, since the other party is so ungrateful, then I think we have this obligation to step forward and give them a hard lesson. That's right, they must pay. I propose to sever all ties of cooperation with them, starting today. We must make them realize their mistakes deeply and reflect deeply. Seconded. Support. And so, in the midst of such shameless clamor, a blocking campaign was launched. Soon, Major overseas news outlets were broadcasting the news. Soon, the domestic media reprinted it over, instantly igniting the summer network. Wah, could it get any more shameless? This is ing bullying. Oi, let's see how the country responds. Grass. This gang of bandits, they really don't even have a face. The big deal is that we're all using back to the era of feature phones. We'll fight them to the end. Exactly. Absolutely no compromise. We can't let them have their way. If we take a step back today and they snatch the photolithography technology, then they will come back later to snatch other technologies. Where is our Xia's dignity? Just as Xia's netizens were filled with righteous indignation, Huawei released a statement on its own official website and social media platforms. Warwick said, in fact, a few years ago, they have foreseen that sooner or later there will be such a day. So a few years in advance they began to quietly chip manufacturing raw materials reserve work. So far, all the chip raw materials stocked by Huawei are enough to supply Huawei for 3 years. So please rest assured that these despicable tricks cannot threaten Warwick for the time being. When they saw this statement from Huawei, the netizens of Xia were stunned. Wah, Warwick cowhide. Surprisingly predicted today in advance? This strategic vision. Simply cowhide. 3 years of reserves. That's not going to last 4 or 5 years if you save it. Wahahaha. Domestic tech companies are stepping up their game. Strive to overcome the difficulties in raw materials in 4 years. Smack those bandits in the face. Ha 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 ha. I'm especially curious to know now what kind of expression those overseas bandits will have after seeing Warwick's statement. As a matter of fact, that group of overseas tech giants did see the statement issued by Huawei at the very first moment. When they saw that Huawei had stockpiled a full 3 years worth of raw materials, all of these people's minds collapsed. Fark, are these Xia people sick? Why are they stockpiling so many raw materials? Aren't they afraid of expiration? Cunning summer people. Simply damned. 3 years of reserves. If production is scaled down, it won't be a problem to hold out for 2 or 3 more years. With their technological prowess, I'm afraid they might actually break through with their research in 3 to 5 years. But the problem is, if they can hold out for 3 to 5 years, can we hold out? I'm afraid we'll collapse before they do. Several giants looked at each other in the face of complaints from their alliance partners. Then take a few other companies. President Pennycomb gritted his teeth. I just don't believe that those tech companies will have all stockpiled years in advance. Soon, some cell phone and computer manufacturers have received from the overseas chip foundry contract termination notice. No longer give them OEM chip production. Although these companies have already been mentally prepared, but when the blockade really fell on their heads, these companies still cannot help but some panic. As predicted by that gang of overseas giants, these manufacturers are far from farsighted. The one among them with the largest stockpile is just looking at meeting a half year's worth of dosage. Once the chip supply is cut, 6 months from now, they will have no chips available. A company that makes cell phones and computers, once they run out of chips, that means they will have no products to build. Just as the executives of these companies were fretting about the future of their companies, that ultra-time technology, which had remained silent for days, finally spoke up. Inform everyone of something. The Chip Alliance has been officially registered and landed. Welcome to join the domestic science and technology colleagues. This Chip Alliance of ours adopts the principle of free entry and exit. All technology companies that meet the requirements can voluntarily declare to join or voluntarily withdraw from it. There will not be any restrictions. Of course, as an ally, the alliance will provide the raw materials necessary for its production, including but not limited to silicon wafers and photoresists, etc., and guarantee that all the raw materials and accessories provided will reach the world's leading level. Lastly, I've heard a bunch of cats and dogs talking about blocking our tech companies lately. Ha! You come over here. Tongue hooks his finger. Star. Chapter 60, Heavy Announcement. Oligarchs End. Door-to-door begging for forgiveness. At first, the netizens didn't care much about the scarf released by Supertech, because, during this period of time, there were always people posing as Supertime technology in order to rub off on them, coming up to post some ironic remarks and using them to suck up the fans. Is this another real scarf or a fake? Right. Every day these days, there are people pretending to be Supertime technology to come up and rub it in. It's disgusting. Don't you guys see the big V certification on it? This is definitely not one of those imposters. At Scarf Official. As a result, I didn't expect that the Scarf Official really replied to the Scarf user. This is indeed the official scarf of Supertime technology. Freshly certified. Welcome to Step on It More. Nested in a big groove. It's still true? So, this is really the official microblog of Supertime technology? They've finally opened their official microblog. Ha! Finally a scarf. When the netizens confirmed that this surprisingly was the official scarf of Supertime technology, they were all overjoyed. Brothers, get on the bib and watch. Supertime technology has opened a scarf. It's a big move right off the bat. Crap, the Summer Chip Alliance? He's trying to stiff-arm those overseas giants with the United Nations tech companies. This super-time technology cowhide has gone off. Those overseas oligarchs were just about to block our company on the front foot, but he ended up pulling a SIA chip alliance on the back foot, and he'll provide all the equipment needed for production to his allies. It's just cowhide. Ha ha, this hyperspace technology can be at. Something's wrong and he's really on it. For a while, countless netizens caught wind of the bib. Then, only the number of fans of supertime technology was seen to rocket at a crazy rate. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, 1 million. In just half an hour's time, the number of ultra-time technology's Weibo followers officially exceeded 10 million. That's a miraculous rate of growth. However, while rejoicing, there are some netizens who can't help but voice their concerns. Is this really reliable? That's a supply of raw materials for the whole industry chain. Can it really help all the technology enterprises in the country to solve this problem with just supertime technology alone? And in fact, it's not just the netizens who are worried, but also those technology companies in China, especially those who continue to high-end raw materials and chips. It was the same afternoon that Supertech sent out this scarf. Imperial Capital. Inside the parlor of Rice Technology, Lei Dajuan, the president of Rice Technology, is receiving guests from afar. If anyone who follows digital products is here, they will realize that none of these guests are executives from several major technology companies in China. For example, the chairman of the board of directors from cell phone technology companies such as VDO and Opop, the president of Shenzhou and founder computer companies, and so on. These company executives who were originally scattered all over the country gathered at the headquarters of Rice Technology, not for any other reason, but to discuss whether or not to join the Summer Chip Alliance. After a bout of pleasantries, the chairman of VDO Mobile was the first to speak. Mr. Lei, you're in the Imperial Capital every day. You're better informed than all of us. Have you inquired about any news about that supertime technology yet? Speaking of this matter, I'm really not afraid of a few jokes. Lei Dajuan let out a bitter smile and said, I've used all my contacts and asked all the leaders I know, and not a single one of them knows anything about this company. Hiss. Finally, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. It is important to know that Lei Dajuan can be called the leading figure of the domestic internet. While serving as a Jinshan executive, he also set up an angel investment company and invested in a number of enterprises, and all of them have achieved considerable success. By the time he was 41 years old, he had created Rice Technologies and officially crossed over into the tech world. It could be said that in these decades of entrepreneurial career, Lei Dajuan's connections had long been all over every aspect of the imperial capital. However, even he couldn't inquire about the situation regarding the Transcendence technology, which had to be mind-boggling. Opop's chairman couldn't help but say, what is the origin of this company? It's so mysterious? The crowd looked at each other in disbelief. That's what they want to know. Seeing that the atmosphere of the scene had cooled down, Lei Dajuan immediately said, actually, it's not important to know the background of the other party. Judging from the strength of the Internal Affairs Council's support for hyperspace technology, it's clear that the country trusts them 100%. In fact, for us, having the Internal Affairs Council come out and endorse them is enough. You mean we can join this Summer Chip Alliance? But, said the president of Shenzhou Computer worriedly at this point, if we join this alliance, will we completely piss off the gang of overseas tech giants? And if they really cut off the supply of chips to us completely, what should we do then? The president from Founder Technology said, didn't Supertime Technology say so? They'll guarantee all the raw materials and components necessary for their allies' production. The president of Shenzhou Computer said in a bad mood, you believe whatever people say? What if the other party is just paying lip service? When something really goes wrong, we'll be the ones to suffer. Hearing this, the crowd couldn't help but be silent for a moment once again. That's really where their concerns lie. What F***CK? Right at this moment, the president of Huaqing Tongfang Computer, who had been silently swiping his cell phone next to him, suddenly jumped up from his seat. He was seen waving his cell phone excitedly, his face reddening as he called out, hurry, everyone, quickly look at the scarf. The House of Representatives just sent a message. What? What did the Home Office say? A bunch of people's spirits were shaken, and they all cast their gazes over. The House of Representatives said that they guarantee on their official honor that this scarf posted by Supertech is true to the letter. Supertime Technology currently has 100,000 tons of high-grade photoresist and 1 billion silicon wafers in storage, as well as more than 20 ion implanters and thin film deposition equipment. An hour ago, the House of Representatives organized manpower to test these raw materials and equipment, and finally confirmed that they can meet the quality requirements for 3-nanometer process chips. What? Upon hearing this, everyone in the room sat up. Some people immediately took out their cell phones and opened the scarf, while some were cute, but also directly leaped to the front of the president of Huaqing Tongfang. picking up the other party's cell phone to take a closer look. In addition to the written description, the House of Representatives released several photos. In the photo, the boxes of containers holding photoresists are stacked densely together. Boxes of silicon wafers are stacked as high as a mountain. It's true. It's really a public statement from the House of Representatives. Inside the parlor, the group of presidents and chairmen in their 40s and 50s laughed out loud with excitement one after another. To know, in the past few years, the domestic annual consumption of high-grade photoresist to do more than about 20,000 tons, with a reserve of 100,000 tons. Even if they let go of production, it would last as long as 5 years. Also, there are silicon wafers. Prior to this, the country consumed only 200 million tablets a year, and the 1 billion wafers in storage at Supertime Technology can ensure that they won't have to worry about running out of silicon wafers to use in the next 4 years. For a moment, the dismal cloud of sadness that had enveloped the parlor completely dissipated. Meanwhile, on the Summerlin network, when this statement from the Interior House came out, it completely set off the internet. This reserve are enough to supply all the domestic semiconductor enterprises open for 4 or 5 years. Before, I thought that Huawei storing 2 or 3 years worth of raw materials and chips in advance was far-sighted enough, but I didn't realize that this Transcendence technology was even more bullish. It directly prepared a 10-year amount. That is to say, Transcendence technology has directly solved all the problems of the semiconductor industry in our summer country. Hyperspace can YYDS. Just as the netizens were clapping and applauding for Supertime technology, companies such as Rice Technology, VVO Mobile, Opop Mobile, and Shenzhou Computer also released a statement on their respective bibs almost at the same time, indicating that they were willing to join the Xia Chip Alliance and had formally applied to the Xia Chip Alliance Committee. When the statements from these companies came out, they once again set the internet ablaze. Now those oligarchs overseas are going to be dumbfounded. They're afraid they never dreamed that the domestic tech industry, which was originally as scattered as a piece of sand, would directly embrace under their blockade. Those oligarchs thought that they could rest on their laurels and win by mastering the core raw materials, but as a result, slap in the face. I'm curious, what would happen to this market if none of our tech companies in Xia needed to import raw materials from overseas anymore? I just checked. The semiconductor raw materials that our Xia country imports from overseas every year take up about 40% of the entire global market. If we, Xia, stop importing them, that means that the entire international market will directly collapse by half. By that time, there are bound to be a few giants that are going to lose a lot of money, or even go out of business outright. The end of the oligarchs? Pleasantly surprised. Just as the netizens of Xia were overjoyed, in the conference rooms of those giants overseas. At this moment, the crows were as silent as half-dead silence. Who would have thought that just half an hour ago, there was a lot of talk and laughter in this conference room, and a group of giant executives were still pointing at the scarf released by Supertime Technology and ridiculing it, disdainfully believing that the other party was riding on a mantis and not measuring up to its own strength. But just half an hour later, the henchman who had been closely monitoring the developments in Xia's network had sent a document saying that the Xia's Internal Affairs Bureau had confirmed that Transcendence Technology had sufficient reserves of raw materials and equipment. When they finished reading this document, everyone was completely dumbfounded. After about 7 or 8 minutes of silence, the representative from Island Electronics said with a face full of bitterness, "So-called, gentlemen, do we still have to continue blocking them?" Boom! The sound. President Pennycomb pounded his fist hard on the conference table. Why not? I only saw President Pennycomb gritting his teeth. This is just a smokescreen that bunch of summer guys are presumably putting out. Just trying to hoodwink us. I just don't believe it. They really have such a big reserve. That's right. It must be a fake. Several other people also conformed. In the face of these giants' rhetoric, the representatives of those few companies specializing in making and producing silicon wafers and photoresists looked at each other silently. Not long after that, Huawei Group's executive president, Big Head Yu, received a private letter from the president of Island Electronics, stating that he intends to visit Xia in the near future, and wondered if Mr. Yu was available. Looking at this private letter, Big Head Yu couldn't help but smile. It's ready to come to the door and beg for forgiveness. Chapter 61, Omnipotent Alchemy. The deadly party returns to the country. Inside the trading space, Mr. Wave, this is the last batch. Master Soul, who confirmed the deal, smiled and said to Shunlang, "Okay, Mr. Soul, hard work, really thank you so much." Shunlang thanked him while extracting the magic-based space ring that Kay had lent him from the trading channel and put it on his hand. As Shunlang focused his intention on the spatial ring, the appearance of the items stored in this spatial ring instantly appeared before his eyes. First came into view, is a meter square, stacked up to 5 meters high, a large cardboard box, at a glance, densely packed, can not see the edge. Stored in these large cardboard boxes are high-quality 12-inch silicon wafers that are sought after by the entire semiconductor industry. A large cardboard box can hold 750 silicon wafers, and there are millions of such large cardboard boxes in the ring. Next to this huge piece of large cardboard boxes are boxes of high-quality photoresists that are sought after by the semiconductor industry. According to a box loaded with 400 pounds of photoresist to calculate, this counts hundreds of thousands of boxes in the total storage of at least 40 million pounds of photoresist, converted to 40,000 tons. Sensing the boxes of photoresists and silicon wafers in the ring that were as far as the eye could see, Shenlang once again silently gave a nod to Master Soul's alchemy. Without this magical alchemy, there was really no way for him to get such a large quantity of photoresist and silicon wafers in such a short period of time. The whole thing had to start from half a month ago, the day when Huawei held a new product conference. On the evening of the day that Huawei held the new product conference, Shenlang watched the live broadcast of the conference while watching the comments of the netizens at the bottom with great interest. Looking at it, suddenly a comment caught Shenlang's attention. That comment stated, "While we now have a 2-nanometer process lithography, do we have what it takes to hold on to it? Now, our entire semiconductor industry, including chips, including almost all high-quality raw materials, are dependent on imports. Once the overseas giants use the supply of raw materials as a dependency to blackmail us to hand over the 2-nanometer process lithography manufacturing technology, we hand over or not, no delivery. Even if we have 2-nanometer process lithography, we can't make those high-end chips without those high-quality raw materials. But if we hand it over, then where is the dignity of our summer kingdom?" As soon as this comment appeared, it immediately sparked the attention of many netizens. At that time, many netizens were still naive enough to say that those overseas giants were at least dignitaries and would not be so shameless as to go to such an extent. However, Shenlang was awakened by this comment. As the saying goes, a piker is not a piker, but a piker is a piker. When the West found out that Xia had gotten hold of a photolithography machine with even more cash than they had, it was bound to not take it lying down. When the time comes, they will definitely try to besiege Xia from all fields and force it to hand over its lithography technology. The easiest and most immediate threat is naturally the semiconductor industry. Although Shenlang had already handed over all the technologies related to the semiconductor industry to the state, it would take some time before he wanted to transform these technologies into results. Not to mention the photoresist. Although there was a recipe provided by Shenlang, it still couldn't be made without the corresponding instrument, and it would take at least 2 months to make such an instrument. But even if it is manufactured, an instrument can synthesize only thousands of tons of photoresist a year. To synthesize enough photoresist to satisfy the entire summer country's needs for a year, it would take at least 20 such instruments. That means it will take at least 3 more years before the country can manufacture enough photoresist to meet the industry's needs. But will those overseas giants give you 3 years? Once those giants cut off the supply of raw materials, even if only for a year, for the Xia semiconductor industry cannot be self-sufficient. It is doomed. Thinking of this, Shenlang immediately entered the trading space and contacted Master Soul. The reason why he had contacted Master Soul was because, in the previous exchange, Shenlang had discovered that the other party's alchemy could actually perfectly create chips with a 3-nanometer process. Holding the idea of trying, Shenlang told Master Soul about the trouble he encountered at the moment, and when Master Soul heard it, he immediately agreed to help Shenlang with this favor. A day later, Master Soul managed to develop an alchemical spell that could create silicon wafers and photoresists. It was by relying on these 2 magical alchemy spells that Shenlang had obtained an entire 100,000 tons of photoresist and 1 billion silicon wafers in just 10 days. Right there and then, the overseas giants shamelessly imposed a blockade. Shenlang immediately found it contracted by him for a long time to be used to transport iron ore will soon arrive in the port of the freighter. The 100,000 tons of photoresist and 1 billion pieces of silicon wafers all loaded inside, and then notified the House of Representatives to let people come to take away. He then contacted that listed president of Supermarket Empty Technology, registered an account on the scarf, and posted that statement of his. And today, 4 days have passed since Ultra Time Technology released that scarf, and Ultra Time Technology's scarf followers have risen to more than 30 million. It's a quantity that could already be comparable to a top-tier domestic star. At the same time, in these 4 days, more than 60 of the semiconductor companies in Xia apply to join the Xia Chip Alliance. With these members of the holiday, the Summer Chip Alliance also successfully completed the integration of the entire framework. With Nan Lao as the honorary president of the Alliance Committee, the president of Supertime Technology as the president, and the presidents of 9 technology companies, including Huawei, Dami, Viv, and OPOP, as the executive vice presidents of the committee. The duties of the president and vice president are to coordinate between the members of the union as well as to approve the various raw materials needed for production. Under the terms of the alliance, however, All members of the alliance are able to purchase these raw materials at less than half the price of the international market, provided that they are for their own use. Once someone is found to be selling these raw materials, not only will they be immediately dismissed from the union, but they will also be held criminally liable. On the same day that the first committee list was confirmed, the committee approved the purchase of raw materials from 36 member companies. The very next day after the approval of the application, several collection trucks bearing the words of the Summer Chip Alliance delivered the raw materials to the factory gates of the companies concerned. The efficiency and speed is simply breathtaking. It was only afterward that they realized that Xia had actually approved the alliance's use of military transport planes to transport these raw materials. It's unbelievable to be treated so highly, but it also sees in it the importance the country attaches to the Summer Chip Alliance. And with this first batch of raw materials all in place, everyone knew that the House of Representatives and Supertech weren't bluffing or putting up a smokescreen. They are literally stockpiling enough raw materials. This time, the semiconductor companies in Xia completely put down their hearts. For a while, semiconductor companies that were hesitant to join the Summerlin Chip Alliance rushed to submit applications for membership after previously fearing that there would be problems. Right after sensing this batch of silicon wafers and photoresists in the ring, Shenlang suddenly found two small wooden boxes in a corner. Opening it with his mind, one wooden box contained 6 round metal discs stacked on top of each other, while the other contained a full 12 crystal clear sage's stones. Shenlang immediately took out the 2 wooden boxes and asked, "Master Soul, what are these?" Master Soul said smilingly, "These 6 metal discs are miniature-like alchemy spells that I refined by combining space spells. The white ones are for refining silicon wafers, and the black ones are for refining photoresists. When you want to use it, you only need to put these 6 spells on the ground and activate them with the sage's stone, and it will change in size as you wish. Then you only need to put the ingredients on the spells and activate the spells with the sage's stone. I saw that this photoresist and silicon wafer were more important to you, and worried that in case you needed them again someday and something arose and I couldn't make it in time, I made these 2 sets of alchemy spells for you. With 12 sage stones, you can almost refine 100,000 tons of photoresist and 500 million silicon wafers." How could Shenlang not expect that Master Saul would put himself in his shoes so much? A warm current rose in his heart, and that warmth eventually turned into the most plaintive of thanks. "Thank you, Mr. Saul." Master Saul immediately wiped his nose somewhat blushingly. You're welcome. It's just a matter of lifting my hand. Ha ha. After ending the video with Master Soul, Shenlang exited the trading space. Just then, a message came from AI saying that the president of Ultratech had sent an email. Shenlang opened a look. The original party received a few overseas semiconductor raw material manufacturers want to visit the application letter of the superspace technology. A moment to do the Lord. They came to ask him the boss behind the scenes. After reading the email, Shenlang smiled and replied to the other party. The visitor is a guest. Since they want to come and visit, then treat them well. Our Xia kingdom is a state of etiquette. Soon after, the other party sent another reply. But what if the other party wants to cooperate with us or wants to buy our photolithography machine? Then let them go through the formal process. Shenlang replied, in this regard, you can consult the House of Representatives and just follow their arrangements. Okay, boss. After guiding the work, Shenlang casually exited the mailbox. Not to mention, it's a great feeling to be in the driver's seat. Shenlang looked at the time. It was now 9 o'clock in the evening. Tummy a little hungry. Shenlang pondered for a moment, then quietly put on the nano armor and ran directly to a net barbecue restaurant 10 kilometers away. This internet-famous barbecue restaurant is very famous in the last 2 years, and even many diners from 30 to 40 kilometers away come here. Shenlang quietly landed in a nearby corner. Then after changing his face with AR projection, he swaggered into the store, ordered a bunch of barbecue, and ate beautifully. If the world were to learn that the man in front of them, sitting on a small bench and eating barbecue with great relish, was the big man behind the Supertime technology company that had ended the history of monopolization of the semiconductor industry by overseas giants with a single effort, I'm afraid that everyone's jaws would have to drop. Just when Shenlang was enjoying the barbecue in a beautiful way, suddenly his dead friend Dai Fei's phone call came in. Wahahahaha, wave I'm coming back tomorrow. Get ready for your brother Fei's ride. Hearing this excited shout from his dead friend, Shenlang's face couldn't help but reveal a smile. What time do you arrive tomorrow? I'll pick you up at the airport. Chapter 62, Deadbeat's Shock. Big brother, do you still lack a girlfriend? On the second day, after dropping his niece off at the kindergarten, Shenlang drove straight to the airport. Considering that Dai Fei might be carrying large luggage, Shenlang didn't drive his own Pame, but instead drove his dad's Cayenne. After about half an hour, the gentle cue of the announcer lady came from the loudspeaker in the hall. The flight from the kangaroo country arrived. After another 10 or so minutes, Shenlang saw a familiar figure, pushing a 28-inch suitcase with one hand. strutting out of it. At the same time, the other party also saw Shen Lang in the crowd. As soon as the two of them locked eyes, the other pushed the suitcase and ran over at a fast pace. While running, his mouth was still screaming, "Wave boy, missed my brother. Come, give me a hug." In an instant, a gaze bristled from the side. Mother asterisk 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 error. It's not a good idea to make friends. Shen Lang somewhat regretted why he didn't wait for him in the car. After joking around for a while, Shen Lang helped push the suitcase and led Dai Fei across the travel lane and into the parking lot, then parked in front of the Cayenne. As the trunk of the Cayenne opened in response to the sound, Dai Fei, who was originally still talking and laughing with Shen Lang, instantly froze. "My plants? Porsche Cayenne?" Dai Fei's eyes widened as he shouted. "Your car? My dad's." Shen Lang said, "I say, I thought you kid really got rich." "Ha?" Dai Fei suddenly came back to his senses, both eyes staring. "That's not right either. Where did our dad get the money to buy a Cayenne?" "I bought it," Shen Lang said. "I bought myself a Pame, but I was afraid that the trunk of the Pame wouldn't fit your luggage, so I replaced it with a Cayenne." "My plants?" Dai Fei was shocked. "You told me last time that you made a small amount of money?" He bought 2 Porsches in one breath. "This is a small amount of money?" "4, Shen Lang said while putting the suitcases into the trunk. "What?" Daffy didn't react for a moment. "Bought a total of 4, said Shen Lang as he closed the trunk. "Besides me and my dad. I bought my sister a Mekong and then a 718 for my girlfriend." Dai Fei was completely shocked. "Big brother, do you still lack a girlfriend? I'm good at everything. Get out." The two of them got into the car and talked and laughed the whole way, and in the blink of an eye, they were back in the North Ren city center. Seeing to the mealtime, Shen Lang directly drove the car into Intai City, and in the meantime, he also gave his mom a phone call. "Mom, I'm not coming back to eat at noon. The plane came back. I'll eat a little outside with him." "Ha? Little Fei is back?" As soon as she heard that it was her son's nemesis who had returned, Mother Shen immediately said happily, "Why didn't you say so earlier? I could have entertained at home." Without waiting for Shen Lang to speak, Dai Fei, who was next to him, walked over and playfully said, "It's alright, Auntie. I'll go over to see you and Uncle in a couple days." "That's fine." When Mother Shen heard this, she laughed and said, "You guys eat first." "Okay." After ending the call, the two of them found a home-cooked restaurant in Intai City and had a meal with laughter, and then Shen Lang sent him back home. The next day, Saturday, early in the morning, Shen Lang received a phone call from Dai Fei, saying that he was invited to dinner at noon, and he brought his girlfriend and asked Shen Lang to bring his niece. After talking to Dai Fei on the phone, Shen Lang thought about it and dialed Su Yiting's phone number. Soon, the phone was connected and a soft voice came from the microphone. "Good morning, husband, I was just about to call you." Hearing this slightly petulant voice, Shen Lang smiled and said, "Where is it now?" "In the dormitory," Su Yiting said. "Today is the weekend. Hubby, do you have time? Let's have lunch together." During this time, because she had to be busy with her dissertation defense, Su Yiting took a month's leave from the forest store and returned to school temporarily. "I was just about to tell you," Shen Lang said. "My dead friend just came back from abroad yesterday, and he's treating me to dinner today." Hearing Shen Lang's words, Su Yiting couldn't help but be stunned. "What you mean is," Shen Lang said, "come over if you want." I'm willing. Su Yiting immediately said happily. This was the first time Shen Lang had ever opened his mouth about taking her to meet his friends. Originally, Su Yiting had already made plans to remain invisible for the rest of her life and obediently be his canary. As a result, she did not expect that Shen Lang would give her such a surprise. "Alright then, come on over then, drive slowly on your way." "Okay day, hubby, we'll see you later." Mwahahaha. Su Yiting happily sent a fragrant kiss. After hanging up the phone, Su Yiting cheered and left to get up and finish washing up, then sat down in front of the desk and carefully put on her makeup. Seeing Su Yiting's movement, the few roommates in the same room instantly flirted. "Is this going on a date with your boyfriend? So happy." "Ting ting, say, when are you going to bring your boyfriend out for us to meet?" "That's right, our high-flying academy flower unexpectedly fell in love before graduation. The boys in our academy are all heartbroken. I don't know who melted our high-cool academy flower." In fact, familiar with Su Yiting's roommates know that the so-called high-cold is only Su Yiting left to outsiders to see a kind of illusion. In the life of Su Yiting, in fact, very easy to get close to. Facing her roommate's jokes, Su Yiting immediately pouted. "Don't make fun of me. After I'm busy defending my dissertation, I'll bring him along to treat you all to dinner." "Okay, that's a deal. I've got it written down in my little book. I've just recorded it. You can't back out. Asterisk you guys. Ha ha." In the midst of her roommate's teasing, Su Yiting beautifully painted a makeup, and then picked out a set of pleated LV dresses that Shen Lang had bought for her a while ago. lightly hummed a song and went downstairs, and then under the envious gaze of a group of students, she opened the 718 and slowly left the school. The other side. After talking to Su Yuting on the phone, Shen Lang walked out of the room. It just so happened that Shen's mother was cleaning up in the kitchen while her sister ate her breakfast while simultaneously taking care of the little one who was eating breakfast. As for Dad, he's long gone to sit at the supermarket. Mom, the plane said it was buying me and one lunch today, so we won't be home for lunch. Without waiting for Mother Shen to answer, her niece, who was eating breakfast, immediately turned her head and asked, "Is Uncle Airplane back?" "Yeah," Shen Lang said with a smile. "Your airplane uncle said that he must bring our cute little princess Wenwen along for dinner. Do you want to go?" Wenwen immediately nodded and said happily, "Uncle Airplane even promised me last time that he would bring me a present." Shen Lang asked with a smile, "So, do you want to see your airplane uncle, or do you want the gifts he brought?" "Well, I want it all," winked Fumi, giving an embarrassed expression. Haha, the family couldn't help but laugh at this adorable appearance of the little one. After breakfast, Sister Shen went out with Mother Shen. Shen mother naturally went to her own supermarket, while Shen Lang's sister went to the dessert store. Although the dessert store has just opened not long ago, but with the reputation and customer base that Shen Lang's sister has accumulated in the local baking circle over the past few years, life is very hot, so much so that when you are clearly your own boss, you end up being busier than when you were working for someone instead. "Bye mommy, bye grandma," the little one waved nicely. After mom and sister left, Shen Lang accompanied the little one to play with blocks at home for a while. Soon after, Su Yating called to say that she had arrived at Triumph Hua Ting. Afterward, Shen Lang took the little one and drove to Triumph residence, picking up Su Yating who was already waiting at the gate. It wasn't until Su Yating got into the car that she realized that there was the cute little guy sitting in the back. "Good morning." Auntie Wenwen took the initiative to greet Su Yating. "Good morning, Wenwen." Su Yating happily greeted the little one as well. That said, this was the second time the two had met. Looking at the little one sitting alone in the back, Su Yating asked, "Wenwen, can Auntie sit in the back?" "Yes." The little guy was feeling bored sitting in the back all by himself and immediately nodded. Thus, Su Yating immediately sat in the back. Only after Su Yating sat firmly did Shen Lang slowly drive the car. Dai Fei arranged this lunch at a Cantonese restaurant by the city's cultural square. Before going, Shen Lang let Xiao Ai search a little, and found that it was quite expensive, about 800 per capita. In Yongchang, it is already considered quite a luxurious restaurant. 40 minutes later, the car pulled into the parking lot of the cultural plaza. Seeing that there was still an hour or so before dinner, Shen Lang took his niece to play in the lawn area at the edge of the square. It's the weekend and a lot of parents are bringing their kids over here to have fun too. Only, compared to the child moms who were in their 30s and couldn't hide their real age even with a face of exquisite makeup, a girl like Su Yuting, who had a child with her but was full of youthfulness, was a bit more striking, so much so that when the children were playing, several of the children's mothers couldn't help but climb into conversation with Su Yuting, asking for maintenance tips in the process. They were really very curious as to how Su Yuting managed to maintain such a youthful appearance after giving birth and raising her child to such a large age. Faced with their envy-filled questions, Su Yuting's pretty face flushed red as she waved her hand repeatedly. "This isn't my child yet. This is my boyfriend's niece. I haven't even graduated from college yet." Hearing that, those child moms immediately showed envious and regretful expressions. She envied Su Yuting's splendor and lamented that she hadn't been able to poke around to find out how to maintain her beauty. Looking at this group of young women with a look of regret, a thought suddenly surfaced in Shen Lang's mind. Wouldn't it be screwed up if one were to produce over here those drugs that can strengthen the body from the world where K is, and instead of having to maintain the same potency, one would only have to dilute it to a tenth or even 1/100%? Shortly afterward, Dai Fei called to say that he had already arrived at the restaurant, and Shen Lang immediately took the two to the restaurant. There is no need to tell you how the meal went. After the meal, Dai Fei's girlfriend and Su Yuting took the little one to play in the children's playground next to them, while Shen Lang chatted with Dai Fei next to them. Looking at Dai Fei, who always had a cheeky face, Shen Lang said, "Airplane, do you have something on your mind?" "Wah, you saw this coming?" Dai Fei deliberately put on a shocked look. "Crap, I saw it yesterday. I just didn't ask." "What the hell? Hey, it's not because of that or import crap." Star. Chapter 63, Resource Dilemma. Scarce mineral resources, or import. When Shen Lang heard this, he couldn't help but wonder. "Didn't you say last time that your company had solved the problem of difficult iron or imports? What? Did something change?" Dai Fei shook his head. "It's not the iron ore. Since it's not iron ore, what's the problem?" Shen Lang was curious. "Don't you steel makers just have iron ore?" Dai Fei said helplessly. "Big brother, the main material for this steel making is indeed iron ore, but iron ore alone can't make steel, especially with the various stainless steels. it must also be paired with other metal minerals to make it work. Under Dai Fei's popularization, Shenlang realized that, originally, many steel materials need to be paired with other metal minerals together in order to be refined. Chromite, for example, this low iron ore, which is necessary for smelting stainless steel, is also a necessary material on many aerospace equipment, tank gun barrels and other equipment, and therefore is also recognized as a strategic resource in the world. According to the proven reserves, the domestic lodestone reserves account for only 0.2% of the global reserves, but the annual consumption accounts for 33.3% of the global consumption, and the degree of external dependence is as high as 99%, and the lodestone are now stored in the steel warehouses in Yongchang is only enough for 2 months. Shenlang asked, is this luo iron ore very expensive? Expensive, yes, but sought after. Originally, half a month ago, we ordered a shipment of low iron ore from an ore exporter in Manga, only to have it hijacked in the middle of the day by an Eagle Saw Steel company. But what does this have to do with you? Shenlang was puzzled. Aren't you in charge of importing iron ore? Right. It used to be that I wasn't responsible for it. But, didn't I get promoted this time when I came back? Dai Fei said with a helpless look on his face. In 2 days, the company will recognize me as the manager of the ore import department, and then that luo iron ore import will also be my responsibility. Upon hearing this, Shenlang raised his middle finger. So, after talking for half a day, you're here waiting to play the fool for me? Good brat. It's only now that you're telling me that I'm getting a promotion? How can I be in the mood to pretend with you? Dai Fei blankly glanced at Shenlang without any good humor. I'm bored to death right now, Shenlang said. What's so annoying about this? How did your company's or import department do it before? You just do it. Hee. In the past, our company used to have sufficient stockpiles of lattite ore, so the pressure wasn't too great, but now this stockpile is almost used up, and putting aside the 1-month shipping time, I have to take care of the supply in just 1 month. But in recent times, this luo iron mine has been gunning for the international scene. Move a little slower, and even if you negotiate the contract down, it could be cut off. It's fine. I believe you can do it. Shenlang patted his nemesis's shoulder and said with a smile in his eyes, when you are able to take care of the iron ore in the Kangaroo Kingdom, then you will definitely be able to take care of this luo iron mine. Hey, you do not know. In fact, that iron ore. Dai Fei scanned around, then came to Shenlang said, in fact, the last time that the problem of imported iron ore, it is not me to solve. What do you mean? Shenlang asked, pretending to be puzzled. This thing is really a bit magical. To say, said Dai Fei, telling Shenlang what happened. So it's actually that Mr. Shang who really solved this iron ore import problem. Not me, Dai Fei said. I just dabbled in that little bit of light. Shenlang asked, in that case, why don't you simply contact that Mr. Shang directly? Dai Fei froze and hesitated for a moment. I usually haven't contacted him, and I didn't pay him a New Year's greeting or anything last Spring Festival, so would it not be too good to look for him when something happens now? Looking at this apprehensive look of his dead friend, Shenlang almost didn't laugh out loud. This is something you did a little less than honorable. Shenlang pretended to be serious. People at least helped you solve such a big problem, and also indirectly helped you get a promotion and a raise, and as a result, you didn't even send a New Year's message. Indeed a bit too much, right? Dai Fei was a bit tearful. I regret it too. I should have known that I should have blessed him a little bit every day from the first day of the new year to the New Year's Eve in the first place. Ha. Shenlang couldn't hold back his laughter for a moment. Dai Fei depressedly said, you kid is still not a human being. I'm worried sick. And you're still small. No more laughing, no more laughing. I do think that it might be you who are making a big deal out of it, Shenlang said with a smile. Think about it. Someone who can take out 80 million tons of iron ore with a light touch would still care if you paid him a visit or not. Didn't you say that he told you at the time to contact him if anything happened? So if you're in trouble now, just contact him directly to talk to him about it. If he agrees, won't the problem be solved straight away? Daffy asked. And what if you refuse? Then you won't be missing a piece of meat. Daffy froze, as if that were true. Pa! He slapped himself on the head. Why didn't I think of that? Ha, wave boy. It's worthy of you. This brain is just great. That's a must. How else would I be your father? Get out. Okay. Shenlang's words made Dai Fei enlightened, and completely dispelled the haze that had been hovering in his mind for the past few days. In the evening, Dai Fei had to accompany his girlfriend to her house for dinner, so a few people played until about 4:30 p.m. And then dispersed. When it came to mealtime, Shenlang didn't go home and took Su Yuting and his niece directly back to that Cantonese restaurant. After dinner, Shenlang first sent Su Yuting to Triumph Hua Ting, then took his niece back home. Just after arriving home, Shenlang received a message from Su Yuting, a hotel room number. Shenlang couldn't help but smile. This woman who knows what she's doing. That night, at 10 o'clock, Right after Shenlang and Su Yiting finished the third battle, Shenlang received an email from Dai Fei in his anonymous mailbox. While Su Yiting went to take a shower, Shenlang opened the mail and read it. Good evening, Mr. Sheng. I'm Dai Fei from the Yongqing Iron and Steel Group. Sorry for sending you an email so late. Thanks to your blessing, I have now returned to China and will soon become the manager in charge of the import department of our steel group. You see, I don't know where you live, and I can't even send you some gifts over. If you come to Yongqing one day, you must let me know, and I'll treat you to our Yongqing seafood feast. This douchebag. Looking at these contents sent by his dead friend, Shenlang almost didn't laugh out loud, seeing as how after talking so much nonsense, the other party finally got down to business. Actually, I have another very important thing here. That is, our company is now in urgent need of a batch of Luo iron ore. Then a while ago I checked. Right now in the international market, this Luo iron ore is very much in demand, and our company has searched for several exporters, but we couldn't get the goods. So, if you have the resources over there, I wonder if you could do us another favor and help us get a batch of Luo iron ore. I'll thank you in advance here. Of course, it's okay if I don't get it. I'll think of something else. That's all. Here's to it. Salute. When he saw the end, Shenlang directly laughed. This douchebag, dare to think of this as letter writing. And salute. Here's to your legs. Yo, what's wrong? What's so happy? At this time, Su Yiting, who had finished her bath, came out and happened to see Shenlang, who was emitting laughter, and could not help but wonder. Nothing, was chatting with the airplane. Shenlang put down his cell phone. You rest first, I'll take a shower. Su Yiting nodded. While you slow down, beware of the slippery bathroom floor. Entering the bathroom and locking the door, Shenlang turned on the faucet of the bathtub, and then came to the trading space and sent Kay a video invitation. A short while later, the video connected and Kay, dressed in full nano armor, appeared in the screen. Wave, what's up? Kay asked. Looking at the way Kay was covered in blood, Shenlang knew that this guy was probably hacking monsters again, so he was not polite and directly opened the door. Kay, I need a batch of Luo iron ore on my side. Do you have a way to get it? Give me 2 minutes. After saying this, Kay flashed out of the trading space. A minute or so later, Kay returned to the trading space once again. I had someone ask around, and there happens to be a batch of refined ferrochrome powder over at the moon base. About 500 tons or so. If you want it, I'll say hello to that side and cut in. It should arrive tomorrow. Also there's about 2,000 tons or so over at the Mars base, but the airport over there isn't busy, but it's a bit of a distance from our planet. It'll take a week or so. Yes, Shenlang nodded. I'll take them all. Okay, contact you when it's done. Kay said, I'm going to get busy first. There's a batch of big cubs just waiting for me to slaughter them. Shenlang nodded. Be safe. Leaving the trading space, Shenlang immediately returned an email to Dai Fei, then jumped into the bathtub and comfortably soaked up the bath. The other side. After sending an email to the mysterious Mr. Sheng, Dai Fei held his phone with an apprehensive look on his face and stared at the screen with both eyes. If eyes had any strength, Daffy's would probably be able to poke holes in this screen. Honey, what are you doing? At that moment, his girlfriend came over, hugged his arm, and said intimately, just now my mom quietly asked me when we plan to get married. Dai Fei said absent-mindedly, just make the call. I'll listen to you. What are you looking at? His girlfriend noticed Dai Fei's abnormality and curiously glanced at the other's cell phone screen. Finding nothing. I'm waiting to hear back from an important client. Daffy said. How important is it? His girlfriend playfully turned his head around and stared at him, saying fondly, as important as me? Without batting an eye, Dai Fei spoke. That's definitely not as important as you. Upon hearing this, his girlfriend burst into a happy smile, cupping Dai Fei's head in both hands, and was about to give him a loving encouragement. But there was a ding. The sound. Dai Fei, who was still looking at his girlfriend with deep affection, turned his head swish and took a look. It's a reply from Mr. Sheng. He immediately clicked on it. There is no chromite, only refined chrome powder. Do you want it? I can send you 500 tons first if you want, and 2,000 tons after a while. What's going on? 500 tons of refined chrome powder? 2,000 tons more in a while? I'm saved. In his excitement, Daffy jumped straight up from his seat. As a result, his unguarded girlfriend was startled by his sudden movement. Putong! With a sound, she fell to the ground. Girlfriend, Daffy, Sigma, A. Barbecue up. This is going to be a night on the keyboard. Star. Chapter 64, The Golden House, The Deadly Party's Moment of Pretense. After waking up the next day and having breakfast in the hotel's restaurant, Shenlang suddenly said, why don't we buy a house? Su Yiting did not expect Shenlang to suddenly talk about this and froze for a moment. Shenlang said with a smile, staying in a hotel doesn't feel like home after all. Hearing this, Su Yiting's eyes lit up. and her face couldn't help but blossom into a bright smile. Yes, so, after dinner, Shen Lang Chang took Su Yiting straight to the agency that he had previously patronized. Mr. Shen, then what house type are you going to buy this time? Shen Lang looked at Su Yiting. Which one do you like? Su Yiting thought about it and said, then don't be too big, if just the two of us live. 90 square meters is almost enough. Okay, Shen Lang nodded and said to the agent, then as my girlfriend wants, you find some houses around 120 square meters and we'll take a look. What? The agent carefully glanced at Su Yiting, then said, Mr. Shen, didn't your girlfriend say 90 square meters? Right, Shen Lang said, those 120 square meter houses, after deducting the common area, it's almost only 90 square meters, right? The agent understood instantly. Dare I say that this brother is directly counting the size by the area used. Cows got skin. Okay, you wait a moment, The agent immediately retrieved the relevant listings from the computer, deleting some of the old and dilapidated and out-of-the-way places, and finally left with about 5 neighborhood listings, and then introduced them to the two one by one. What do you think? Shen Lang looked at Su Yiting. Su Yiting considered for a moment and said, why don't we go and take a look at this Liren neighborhoods first? Shen Lang nodded. Okay. Su Yiting said Liren District, full name Liren Ufu, in the southwest of Yingtai City, only a road apart, and Triumph Huading is only about 500 meters away. As soon as he entered the neighborhood, Shen Lang felt a cool flutter, and couldn't help but be surprised. How come it's so cool in this neighborhood? Mr. Shen, this community goes to the community just built last year. The use of the 3 constant system, constant temperature, constant oxygen and constant humidity. The entire community throughout the year the temperature is maintained at 22 to 26 degrees Celsius. The agent introduced them while showing the two men the house. Eventually, several people arrived at a penthouse duplex located in the central unit of the neighborhood. As the agent turned on the room's light source, a starry sky instantly poured down from above the living room. Upon closer inspection, it was a patch of lights made to look like the top of a starry sky. So beautiful. Su Yiting couldn't help but let out a gasp. The two then took a tour of the room. The huge floor-to-ceiling windows, the wide view, and the cozy furniture and wall decorations made Su Yiting more and more joyful, and her eyes shone even more brightly. Looking at Su Yiting's appearance, Shen Lang asked the agent, how much does this set cost? The agent froze for a moment and immediately said, the listing price of this top-plus court is $4 million. Then it comes with 2 parking spaces. The landlord said that if you pay the full amount in one go, you can get a discount of $150,000. That's $3,850,000. So expensive? Su Yiting, who was at the side, immediately spat out her tongue. If she were on her own, she didn't think she could afford this house for the rest of her life. Okay, then this set, Shen Lang said. Ask the landlord when you can come over to do the formalities. Hearing this, the agent immediately nodded excitedly. I'll go contact the landlord. You wait a moment, After that, the agent immediately stepped aside and dialed the landlord. Su Yiting asked, hubby, don't you want to look at something else again? Shen Lang asked, don't you like the house? Su Yiting said, I like it, but it's too expensive. Shen Lang laughed, as long as you like it. Mr. Shen, I've contacted the landlord, and he said he'll be at the store in 20 minutes, so let's go back. Okay. Within 20 minutes, that landlord arrived at the store. After exchanging pleasantries, the agent brought over the printed contract. Mr. Shen, landlord, take a look at this contract, and if you confirm that there are no problems, just sign over here. Shen Lang took the contract and let Xiao AI scan it, and after confirming that there were no problems, he handed the contract to Su Yiting. Why don't you sign it? Me? Su Yiting froze for a moment, a puzzled look on her face. Shen Lang said, right, the house bought for you. If you didn't sign it, is it still me signing it? Su Yiting's eyes widened. Are you saying that this house is going to be given to me? Then what else? Shen Lang asked with a smile. On the other hand, the agent had been green with envy. Ms. Su, with a boyfriend like Mr. Shen, I reckon more than 99% of the girls in the world would have to envy you to death. Hearing these envious words from the intermediary, Su Yiting revealed a happy smile. After signing the contract, Shen Lang put the deposit of 200,000 directly into the landlord's account. The next all the formalities will be handled by the agent. Shen Lang only need to wait for the receipt of the housebook on the line. By the time she left the agency and returned to the car, Su Yiting still felt like her entire body was light. Touching the purchase contract with her name on it in her bag, Su Yiting still felt so dreamy. Yourself, actually going to have a $4 million house? Honey, Su Yiting opened those big watery eyes and looked at Shen Lang. Let's go back to the hotel. Go! That night, Shen Lang returned home holding his back. It couldn't be helped. who made him make an appointment with the little one to send her to kindergarten every day from now on. It's not easy being a good uncle. The next day, it was Monday, Shen Lang routinely sent the little one to the kindergarten. He was about to go back when he was suddenly stopped. Shen Lang turned his head and saw a young and beautiful girl walking out of the kindergarten. Shen Lang recognized her as the homeroom teacher in his niece's class. Uncle Wonwon, there is something I want to discuss with you, the other party seemed to say with a bit of a blush. Yes, teacher? Shen Lang asked. Aren't you a magician? The homeroom teacher crossed her arms together and placed them on her chest, saying, isn't the June 1st Children's Day coming up soon? Then our kindergarten is also discussing what programs to prepare this year. And after soliciting opinions from the children, they all said that they want to see Uncle Wenwen's magic. So you see, okay. Shen Lang heard this and immediately nodded with a smile. When do you need me to come over to report? You promise? That's great. The class teacher did not expect Shen Lang to agree so dryly, and immediately waved his hand to the back in excitement. Only then did Shen Lang notice that at the entrance to the kindergarten, there were several teachers standing over there, and they were constantly surveying this side. After seeing the hand signal given to them by the homeroom teacher, those few teachers let out a cheer. Well, I'll contact you then. Can we add a sniff? The homeroom teacher blushed. Okay. The two instantly added the microphone. Afterwards, the homeroom teacher watched Shen Lang get on the Palmer, and only then did she withdraw her gaze and happily return to the kindergarten. Just as Shen Lang drove home, on the other side, his best friend Dai Fei had already gone through the promotion procedures in the company's personnel section, and then entered his own exclusive manager's office under the envious gaze of a group of similarly aged employees. Not long after, an employee came over to inform Dai Fei that the department was ready to open early back. By the time Daffy walked into the office, everyone was already there. Let's first welcome manager Dai Fei Dai, who just arrived today. Under the auspices of one of the assistant managers, a loud round of applause erupted from the scene. Dai Fei was obviously not used to this situation and waved his hand back and forth blushing. One look at Dai Fei's boyish appearance. That assistant manager couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Just this, how dare you take my manager's chair? After a few pleasantries, the crowd took their seats before the assistant manager began the routine morning meeting. The content is nothing more than a recounting of some of the steelmaker's current or stockpiles and some of the current status of its operations overseas. At the end of the day, the issue of chromite imports comes up again. Manager Dai, right now our company's inventory of chromite is already very dangerous, and the leaders from above have already lost their temper several times, telling us that we must find chromite as soon as possible in a hurry. But with the current market, it's really too difficult. The previous manager couldn't handle the pressure and resigned because of this as well. Don't look at the assistant manager who was kindly telling Dai Fei about the department's current difficulties and situation. In fact, he is deliberately giving Dai Fei psychological hints. If you cannot handle the iron ore, you can also resign. As a matter of fact, a week earlier, the assistant manager had found a supplier of chromite ore for export, and just when he wanted to use this credit to take the manager's seat, he suddenly heard that the seat he had been coveting for months was already taken. This news was immediately like a bolt from the blue, directly splitting his eyes. Seeing as the manager's position is gone, any iron ore no longer matters. Now, he was waiting for this new manager to step down sometime, and then he could use the credit for finding the chromite ore again to take advantage of his rise to the top. As a result, what he didn't even dream of was that in the face of this problem that gave the group's bosses a headache, this new manager Dai even nodded lightly and said, I already know about this matter. I'll go and report to the leaders later. This chromite problem, I've solved it. Assistant manager? All employees at the site? What? Already resolved? All of them suddenly had a confused look on their faces. You know, this matter has been tossing their entire department for months, and even the manager, who is the head of the department, left because of this matter. As a result, this new manager actually said, it's been resolved? You mean you found a source of goods? The assistant manager felt his entire heart trembling. Well, found it. Daffy nodded with a smile. The first batch will be about 500 tons, and then 2,000 more will follow. What? That's all? When the assistant manager heard this, he dropped his heart again. Manager Dai, I'm afraid it's not quite enough if there's only 2,500 tons of chromite. According to our superiors, we need at least 100,000 tons or more. I'm not talking about chromite. Daffy shook his head and laughed. It's refined chrome powder. Those 2,500 tons, they're all refined chrome powder. What? The assistant manager's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. Rip. That's the sound of a broken heart. Star. Chapter 65, The Third Time Trader. The trouble with Roy the tree herder. Soon, the words Dai Fei said at the morning meeting reached the ears of the group's top management. So, before Dai Fei could report to his superiors, a phone call came from the group chairman's secretariat. respectfully informing him that the chairman wanted to see him. Chairman? See me? With a head full of questions, Daifei rode the elevator all the way to the 12th floor and met the group's #1 big brother who he had only seen on the company's publicity wall before. There was no way that after half a year of training, he had been sent abroad, and he hadn't been able to come back to attend the company's annual meeting, much less have the opportunity to meet a few of the company's big brothers. You're Dai, aren't you? Sure is young and promising. In the face of the chairman of this praise, Daifei's mind cannot help but recall when Shenlang had told him a story about Wang Zhenji. The heart cannot help but secretly grateful to his ancestors. Fortunately, his surname is not Wang. Otherwise, is this chairman going to call himself Little One? Or will he call himself Root Bar? Or is it Xiao Ji Bar? While rambling, Daifei humbly said, "Thank you for the chairman's compliments. I still have a lot to learn and improve on. There aren't many young people as modest and progressive as you now." Looking at Daifei's modest appearance, the chairman became more and more happy. "Xiao Dai, do you usually drink tea? We'll drink some green tea." Daifei nodded. His own dad worked in the tea factory. Green tea free to drink. Do not drink white. Ha ha, drinking green tea is good. I like drinking green tea too. The chairman laughed and beckoned his secretary. "Bring me the Mingqian Longjing and brew it for Xiao Dai." Secretary heard. Ate a shock. That is, the chairman of the board spent more than 100,000 yuan to buy green tea. Usually not important guests door to door. Simply do not spare out. Today even want to give a small manager-level workers to drink this? The secretary looked deeply at Daffy and silently etched his appearance into her mind. With his intuition from his years as a secretary, he knew that the young man was afraid he was going to take off. "I just heard that you have found a channel to import chromite?" After taking a few sips of tea, the chairman asked with a smile. "Well," Daffy nodded, "but it's not ore, it's chrome powder that's been refined. 500 tons in the first batch? Aha! The other party said that the first batch can be sent to me right away, and then the second batch of 2,000 tons will have to wait a few more days." After hearing Daifei's answer with his own ears, the chairman of the board instantly clenched his fists secretly, a hint of excitement flashing in his eyes. With this 2,500 tons of chrome powder, the family steel mill can be open for 2 whole years. Do not have to worry about the problem of chrome powder is not enough. This chrome powder has something to do with that, Mr. Shang? The chairman asked after a moment's hesitation. Yes, Daifei then nodded his head and admitted, "I sent an email to Mr. Shang the night before last, telling him such a thing about our steel group's shortage of chrome powder, and then he told me this." Hearing this, the chairman's eyes became softer and softer as he looked at Daifei. "Remember to communicate with Mr. Shang more often in the future and make a good relationship," the chairman admonished. "Don't worry, Chairman, I definitely will." Daifei immediately nodded. In fact, as early as the day before yesterday, after receiving Mr. Shang's meeting heart, Daifei had already made up his mind that in the future, he would definitely send a greeting to Mr. Shang every New Year's holiday without fail. Good. The chairman laughed. He realized that he was liking this young man more and more. Got a girlfriend? Well, there you have it. When do you plan to get married? This, I'm afraid it will have to be another bout. Daifei scratched his head. My house has not yet bought it. Want to get married? Mother-in-law that pass cannot pass. Ah, what a question. The chairman laughed and said, "You are now the manager of our Yongcheng Steel. According to the group's regulations, the manager level should have room-sharing benefits, right?" The chairman looked to the secretary on the sidelines. "Yes, Chairman." That secretary immediately comprehended the chairman's meaning and said, "Turn around and I'll people to implement it." Daffy. Half an hour later, Daifei held half a jar of Mingqian Longjing sent by the chairman and returned to his office with a light body. Soon, the whole office building spread the news that the chairman personally summoned the newly appointed manager of the ore import department, and also gave him more than 100,000 pounds of Longjing tea. Shortly afterward, there was news that the chairman's secretariat approached the logistics office and asked them to allocate a set of properties worth $3 million under the group's name to Daifei. Everyone understands. This DYFY manager, he's going to take off. Only, they did not know that it was this manager Dai, who in their opinion was about to become an important task for the group, who then returned to his office and immediately took a picture of the can of Longjing tea and sent it to Shenlang. Hey, son, have you ever tasted $100,000 a caddy of Mingqian Longjing? Shenlang? After a while, Shenlang sent over a screenshot of his bank app balance. How much did you say? Daifei clicked on the screenshot and counted it carefully with wide eyes. Over 100 million? Dad, I was wrong. The other side. After talking nonsense with Daifei for a while, Shenlang hung up the phone, and then asked Xiao AI to report on the harvest in the US stocks last night. During this time, with the strong rise of the semiconductor industry in Xia, those who were once out of the monopoly of the semiconductor industry giants suffered a heavy blow. Take photolithography leader Alstom as an example. 20 days ago, it had a market capitalization of $1.7 trillion soft dollars, but by today, it has fallen to 100 billion, a plunge of 94%. And looking at the momentum, it's going to continue to go down. On top of that, the shares of Pennycom, Intel, AMD and Rotten Apple, which were once nearly as high and unbeatable, have fallen 70% or 80%. Adding these dozens of semiconductor industry giants together, the evaporated market capitalization has exceeded $3 trillion in just 20 days. As the saying goes, a whale falls and everything comes to life. The plummeting stock prices of these giant companies have made a Ponzi of money for the financial firms that took advantage of the opportunity to short them. In particular, the top investment banks that both short and trade high frequency are eating out of the palm of their hands. Although no, these top investment banks themselves have shares in these leading semiconductor companies. But, for one thing, they sold off most of their shares early on, and for another, by shorting and high frequency trading, they've made up for that loss long ago as well. It's just that, sadly, all they got to eat were little pieces of meat. The real big fat meat has long since silently fallen into Shun Lang's mouth. Master, last night's high-frequency trading in U.S. stocks booked a total of $8 billion, and then there were $30 billion in shorting profits. Upon hearing this, Shun Lang raised his eyebrows. How come it seems to have gotten less? Yes, master, AI replied. After most of the month's decline, the stock prices have now stabilized, and the trading volume of all American stocks has begun to drop. So it's like this. Shun Lang nodded. How much money have I profited in total this half month? That's a total of $2 quadrillion. Good man. That's the equivalent of 1/9 of the GDP of the Hawksbane state. Beautiful. But how am I going to spend all this money? Buying a house? Buy a car? Or an airplane? Just as Shun Lang was worrying about how he should spend his money, suddenly, a message arrived from the trading space. Someone sent him a video invite. Shun Lang's heart moved and entered the trading space to take a look. Heck, it was the same time trading buddy who had matched himself with the third one a week ago. It turned out that as early as a week ago, after satisfying the cooling time of having a month, Shun Lang started the match again and added a new friend. However, what made Shun Lang puzzled was that this friend hadn't shown up after passing his match request. The video invitation that was sent over was also stone silent, so much so that Shun Lang thought for a moment that it was not just matched at that time, and the other party was not there because of an accident. As a result, I didn't expect that today the other party would take the initiative to send himself a video invitation. Shun Lang immediately agreed to the invitation. As the screen lit up, a huge sky-high tree appeared in front of Shun Lang. Hello, esteemed Mr. Wave, I'm really sorry for not connecting with you until now. What? Listening to this voice coming from the sky-high tree on the opposite side, Shun Lang was instantly dumbfounded. What's going on? Is the tree talking? Or is there someone in the tree? Shun Lang quickly glanced at the other party's account, which read Roy. He immediately said, Hello, Mr. Roy, may I ask who you are? Ho 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 ho. Excuse me, allow me to introduce myself first. The sky-high tree suddenly bent down and said, I am Roy the tree herder. Omit the 10,000 character note. My full name is too long. You can just call me Roy. Shun Lang's eyes widened. So, you really are a tree? To be precise, I am a tree man, Mr. Roy said with a grin, but you'd be right to say that I'm a tree. And before I was awakened, I was indeed a tree. So it's an evolution from the big trees? Shun Lang quickly remembered what Kay had told him before, that in this hyperspace space, you could see all kinds of life. After silently sighing once again about the magic of this hyperspace space, Shun Lang said, Hello Mr. Roy, please forgive me for my presumptuousness, because this is indeed the first time I have seen a life form like you. It's okay, Mr. Wave, Roy laughed. I was actually surprised when I first became a space merchant that there were intelligent life forms in this world that didn't look like our pack. After the two exchanged words with each other for a while, they gradually became acquainted. Shun Lang then asked about the other day. Mr. Roy, have you been busy lately? It hasn't been online before. Yes. Speaking of this matter, Roy's voice revealed a hint of fatigue and worry. The world I'm in erupts with an insect calamity every 100 years. Whenever an insect calamity breaks out, hundreds of clansmen and countless forests will be devoured by those demonic insects. Right now, there's still a week left before the insect plague breaks out, and we're trying to figure out how to deal with these demonic insects. Magic worms? After listening to Roy's words, Shun Lang asked curiously, Can you send me a look of a magic worm? Okay, just a moment. As Roy's words fell, a small branch stuck out from him and then swung in front of the camera, and on that small branch lay a tiny, motionless bug. Looking at this little bug, Shun Lang felt that it looked a little familiar. Chapter 66, Demon Worms or Termites? Our tree people plan is saved. This bug, I seem to have seen it before. Shen Lang muttered. Roy was shocked. What did you say, Mr. Wave? Could it be that your world also has this magic worm? I'm not sure yet. Shen Lang immediately asked AI to scan down the bug's appearance. Mr. Roy, wait a moment, I'll go out and check. It couldn't be helped that this trading space was independent of real space, where AI couldn't network. Leaving the trading space, Shen Lang quickly asked Xiao AI to search. A few seconds later, AI, Master, there are results. After searching and comparing, this sample is 35% similar to the termites in this world. AI pulled up photos and videos of the termites of this world. Shen Lang took a look, and it was exactly the same. Shen Lang immediately returned to the trading space, with an expectant look on his face. Roy asked, well, Mr. Wave? Shen Lang nodded. This magic insect looks very similar to a pest called termites in my world. Shen Lang introduced it while using AI's AR technology to project the termites of his world in front of his body. Yeah, that's it. Looking at the projected appearance of the termites, Roy nodded excitedly. So many of my companions were eaten by them. Mr. Wave, in your world, is there a way to deal with them? Roy's voice revealed a hint of hope and apprehension. Shen Lang nodded. If it's confirmed to be termites, then we do have insecticides on our side that can kill them. Hearing this, Roy's huge tree body trembled steeply. In fact, before connecting to Shen Lang, Roy had already searched all the temporal trading partners he had been matched with, trying to find a way to kill these demonic worms, but came up empty-handed. Just when he was about to despair, he saw hope here in Shen Lang. Mr. Wave, then can you provide me with a batch of insecticide? There was a hint of urgency and pleading in Roy's voice. There's less than a week until the bug outbreak. If they couldn't come up with a solution, then this time, thousands of clansmen would die in the mouths of the demonic worms again. Shen Lang said, let me go and get a few bottles for you first. You go and try it out, and if it's confirmed to be effective, I'll provide it to you in large quantities from my side. Okay, Mr. Wave, please, it's okay, just a show of hands, so I'm going to head out. I don't think I'll be back until a little while later. It's okay, I'll be right here waiting for you. Leaving the trading space, Shen Lang ran to the pesticide store and bought 5 bottles of insecticide, then returned home and quickly entered the trading space. Mr. Roy, I've kept you waiting. Let's trade, Shen Lang said as he initiated the transaction. At this moment, Roy took out a stone jar and said, Mr. Wave, I don't know what I can give you on my side for the time being. This is spring water from the fountain of life in our world. I don't know if it will help you. Spring of life? Shen Lang was curious. Does it have any effects? It is through absorbing the spring water of the spring of life all year round that we, the Tree People clan, gained our awakening, Roy said. It also enhances the life force of all plants. The reason why our Tree People clan could quickly restore the population after the bug scourge is because of the spring water from this fountain of life. In addition, it opens up the intelligence of other creatures, and it was by drinking from the fountain of life that the birds of prey clan that inhabits our community gained the intelligence to be able to communicate with us. What the? After listening to Roy's introduction, Shen Lang's spirit was shaken. It's not like it's a magic water. Then does it have any side effects? Shen Lang asked. Roy shook his head. No. Okay, that's it then. As both parties confirmed the transaction, the insecticide in Shen Lang's hand abruptly disappeared. Mr. Wave, then I'll leave first. I'll try to find a nest of demonic insects. Okay. Shen Lang nodded and sent his blessing. Be safe. After Roy left, Shen Lang extracted that stone jar. In the next second, a huge stone jar that was more than 2 meters high appeared in front of Shen Lang. Shen Lang couldn't help but freeze for a moment. Is this the mason jar that Mr. Roy just squeezed in that big twiggy hand? So how big is Mr. Roy's local? After being shocked for a while, Shen Lang came back to his senses. Then with a thought, without any virtue, the whole person instantly appeared above the stone jar. This is one of the features of the trading space, where space traders are free to move freely within this space by the side of their mind alone. Stepping on the edge of the stone jar, Shen Lang looked down and saw that inside the jar was a crystal clear spring. After thinking about it, Shen Lang activated 2 mechanical bees and flew into the water. Xiao AI, test the composition of this spring water. Yes, master. AI quickly activated the mechanical bees detection function. Soon after, Xiao AI displayed the test results in front of Shen Lang's eyes. Master, this spring water contains a large amount of active factor. And according to the display within Xiao AI's database, the factor has a proprietary name in Earth science and technology, which is called longevity factor. Longevity factor? After listening to Xiao AI's introduction, Shen Lang's spirit was shocked, looked at the spring water below, licked his lips, and couldn't help but be a little foolish. However, to be safe, Shen Lang did not immediately open the drink directly. He found a cup and scooped a small glass of spring water from the mason jar, returned to his room, and then went out onto the balcony off the living room. A while ago, Mom bought a bunch of succulents back from the flower and bird market. The results, because they will not raise, only 2 months less time, has died almost. Opening the window to bring in the several pots of succulents that were already almost all gone, Shenlang carefully poured a little on each pot. Didn't water much either, almost about 5 milliliters per pot. As a result, Shenlang watched the almost dying succulent grow back at a speed visible to the naked eye. The tender green fleshy buds modeled after the rhizome kept blooming out in all directions. In a short while, a lotus-shaped succulent appeared in front of Shenlang. That's not all. Once these succulent petals are in full bloom, a shoot grows from the root position and then a bright little flower blooms along these shoots. This succulent actually bloomed. 10 or so minutes later, on the balcony of Shenlang's house, all the flowers and plants all bloomed angrily. Looking at the cup still left a small half of the spring water, Shenlang scanned around for a couple of eyes, and finally landed his eyes on a bird's nest on his balcony window. 5 years ago, Shen's mother found an injured swallow downstairs, then brought it home and gave it a little nest on the window edge. Then when the injury healed, the swallows left. At that time, Shen's mother was still sad for a while. As a result, I did not expect that just the next year, 2 swallows flew back and built a nest on the edge of the window, and have been living with Shenlang's family ever since. Shenlang found a plate and poured the life spring water into it, then carefully placed it at the edge of the out balcony. I don't know if it was because they felt the scent of the life spring water, but after a while, a few small rounded black heads popped their heads out of it, looked around for a while, and then their eyes locked onto that plate. After a while, a slightly larger swallow emerged from it. It approached the plate with a cautious hop and a skip, all the while looking around as if scanning its surroundings. After making sure there was nothing out of the ordinary, it hopped to the edge of the plate, then carefully suited up and took a sip from its pointed beak. Then, Shenlang saw that the swallow trembled all over. The next second, she whipped her head around and squeaked towards the bird's nest. Then a slightly smaller swallow emerged from it. 1, 2, 3, nice guy. There were as many as 6. It's almost like a big family. This family of 6 barfed around the plate. After a short while, all the water in the plate was finished by them. 7 swallows squeaked and chirped to each other as if they were discussing something. After a while, Shenlang then saw them turn around in unison and look at themselves, then gently peck the glass, then dance their wings and chirp twice. Is this thanking me? Shenlang tried to open the window. In normal times, this action would have immediately startled these swallows away, but this time, these 7 swallows seemed to know that Shenlang would not hurt them, and one did not leave, but instead boldly jumped to the edge of the window and softly screamed at Shenlang. Looking at this tiny little guy, Shenlang couldn't help but smile. No thanks, no thanks. While saying that, Shenlang tried to reach out his hand, and the result was that he actually smoothly touched little swallow's head. It's amazing how they really aren't afraid of him at all. There are a few small birds saw Shenlang's action, even more boldly jumped to his arm, squeaking and chirping, seems to also appear to Shenlang's touch. After playing with the little swallow family for a while, Shenlang put them back on the window. Little ones, I have something to go and get busy. I'll play with you next time. These little things seemed to understand Shenlang's words and squeaked a few times towards him, then obediently returned to the bird's nest. Returning to the room, Shenlang once again entered the trading space and asked for another small cup of water from the stone jar, then took a sip. Well, delicious. Shenlang's eyes lit up. Sweet and refreshing. It actually made Shenlang feel a hint of the forest. Then, Shenlang gulped down the rest in one gulp. Within a short while, Shenlang felt a warmth emanating from his abdomen, instantly spreading throughout his body. Shenlang then only felt that his body began to heat up slightly, and then his whole body began to sweat. Along with the sweat, a trail of sticky stains drained from the pores. As soon as he saw this situation, Shenlang immediately rushed into the bathroom and turned on the shower. Half an hour later, Shenlang came out of the bathroom, glowing and refreshed. His eyes sparkled with stature, almost more lustrous than even the eyes in the Jenkins eye drop commercials. At the same time, Shenlang felt that his 5 senses perception had been greatly enhanced. Standing in the living room, he could even hear the scuffling sound of a few swallows pushing against each other in the bird's nest by the window. Right at this moment, movement suddenly came from the trading space once again. It was a video request from Roy. Shenlang immediately entered the trading space and opened the video connection. Mr. Wave. As soon as the video opened, Shenlang saw Roy saying excitedly, "It's working, that insecticide worked. We, the Tree People clan, are finally saved." Chapter 67 Purchasing Insecticide. Devil Insect Armageddon. Please call me the Demon Insect Nemesis. That afternoon, Xia's Internal Affairs Bureau suddenly received an email from Mr. Shang. This was the first time that Mr. Shang had sent an unsolicited email since he had established contact with him. The liaison commissioner immediately opened the email and took a look. I only saw the email read, "We want to purchase 200 000 tons of insecticides that can kill termites. Can you help us contact several reliable insecticide manufacturers? It's urgent. After reading the email, the liaison specialist couldn't help but freeze. Insecticide? And 200,000 tons? What's the situation? Mr. Shen, they're all about high tech, right? When did they go into farming? Thinking about it, the liaison commissioner did not dare to slack off and immediately reported the situation to his superiors. What's going on? Why is Mr. Shang's side purchasing so many termites? Do any of you know which area has an ant infestation happening during this time? I haven't heard about it. The several executives all shook their heads. This 200,000 tons is a bit large. A high-ranking official in charge of agriculture and forestry laughed bitterly. In the whole year of last year, our summer country exported only 330,000 tons of insecticides to the outside world. No matter what, this is the first time Mr. Shang has asked for our help, so we must get it done for him. Okay, I'll get in touch and go. A command. Insecticide producers across the country were immediately up and running. While the operation was coming from this side, the Home Office sent a mail back to Mr. Shang, stating that they were already doing everything they could to collect the insecticide, and asking Mr. Shang what he was going to do with it when it was collected. The other party quickly returned an email. When the time comes, just load it directly onto the ocean freighter that left the harbor recently. It doesn't matter which country it's going to. It's fine. 2 hours later, data from all over the country on pesticide stockpiles were summarized in the House of Representatives. The head of the House of Representatives took a look. The current domestic stock of insecticides available for export totals 250,000 tons. Very well. Have the local authorities immediately arrange for vehicles to transport all these insecticides to the nearest military airport. With the fall of one order, the insecticides from all over the country enjoyed chartered flights for the first time, arriving in Yongchang by military transport planes, and then being quickly transported to Yongchang Harbor to be loaded onto ships and taken away. 10:30 p.m. After the family was asleep, Shen Lang put on the nano armor, and according to the information given by the Internal Affairs Bureau, he silently landed on the deck of that freighter, transferred the insecticides in the containers one by one to the space ring, and then returned home silently. Returning to the room, Shen Lang immediately entered the trading space, called out Roy, and traded all of those 250,000 tons of insecticides to the other party. Mr. Wave, thank you so much. Looking at the large swath of insecticide extracted, Roy seemed to see hope. Mr. Wave, then I'll leave first. I have to hurry and distribute these insecticides to my people, Roy said impatiently. Mr. Roy, please take care. On a planet different from Blue Star, immediately after leaving the trading space, Roy the tree herder began summoning up his own kind on a global scale through their unique way of herding tree people. Soon, countless tree herders arrived from all over the world. All of the tree herders combined, nearly 30,000 or so. Yes, there were only 30,000 tree shepherds on the entire planet combined. And every time an insect calamity erupted, at least 1/3 of the tree herders would die in the mouths of the demonic insects, with no bones left. On top of that, even more endless forests will be eaten up and wiped out, never to be seen again from this planet. This is the dreaded Bugjack. Roy, is there anything important you've summoned us here in such a hurry? Yeah, Roy, I'm rushing to set up fortifications on my end. In just a few days, the bug havoc is going to break out. Facing the clansman's inquiries, Roy said with excitement, Clansman, I have found a weapon against the demon worms. As Roy's words left his mouth, the originally rowdy forest instantly fell silent. After a long time, that tallest tree herder asked excitedly, what did you say, Roy? You found a weapon against the demon worms? What is it? Quick, get it out and show it to me. And me. What the hell kind of weapon is it? This is it. In the anticipation of the clansman, Roy stretched out his huge tree hand and placed a box containing insecticide in front of the clansman. This box contains a weapon that can kill demonic insects. It's called insecticide. Insecticide? Hearing this, the countless tree herders murmured a few times. Roy, will this insecticide be the same as the fire that will make us die with the demonic insects? At this time, a small tree herder said cautiously. Hearing these words, all of the tree herders on the scene changed their faces in unison, and a hint of awe appeared on their faces immediately. For the Makushi people, fire is one of the few things in this world that can directly threaten their lives. However, it was the only means they had to deal with the demonic insects when the insect calamity broke out. It was just that the end result of this tactic could only be that one would die with the demonic insects. In the past generations of insect plagues, there were countless tree shepherds who drew fire on themselves and then leapt into the swarms of demonic insects to die with the endless demonic insects. It was also the sacrifice of one clan member at a time that was able to repel the demon worms time and time again. However, If this insecticide in Roy's hand was the same as fire, then it would not be a useful improvement to their current situation at all. No, 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 this insecticide is different from fire. Roy immediately shook his head and said, I secretly found a few nests of demonic insects half a day ago and tried it. As long as this insecticide is sprayed on those demonic insects, it won't take long for them to just die completely. Look guys, these are the corpses of the demon worms that I dug up from the demon worm nest rush. They are all dead, Roy said while pointing at the feet of several of his companions. Some of the clansmen near the front looked over, and instantly discovered patches and patches of white magic worms just lying quietly on the ground. With their sense of life force, they were pretty sure that all of these demonic insects were dead through and through. And, even if we accidentally spill it on ourselves, it won't do us any harm. You see, Roy said as he slapped the box, and a large amount of insecticide spilled out of it in all directions, staining its huge tree hand. Look guys, there's nothing wrong with me at all. Looking at Roy's unharmed tree hand, the clansmen were thrilled. Roy, who gave you this insecticide? It's a friend called Mr. Wave. After saying that, Roy entered the trading space and took out the insecticide inside one at a time, and the surrounding clansmen were all used to Roy disappearing in the same place over and over again. In fact, as early as the day Roy became a trading space, he told the clan about this matter, and all the clan had only wonder and blessing. This, then, is the simple tree herder. Just after Roy finished distributing the last batch of insecticide, a group of clansmen from the north suddenly let out a cry of alarm. Not good. The tree spirits in the north told me. The insect calamity on their side has been unleashed ahead of schedule. Ha! The spirit of the trees in the south sent me a plea for help too. The bugjacking is ahead of schedule. Everyone, facing the momentarily dazed clan, Roy raised his fist high. The war has begun. This time, we, the tree people, will win, must win. As the 30,000 or so tree herders shouted in unison, a war between the demon worms and the familiar began. If one were to look from a high altitude at this moment, one would see that at the edge of the forest, a large, black, dark cloud was pouring into the forest from all directions. If you look closer, it will be realized that there is no such thing as a dark cloud. It's clearly a swarm of billions of termites. The swarm of demonic insects averaging the truncated size of a blue star human's finger had sharp and vicious mouthparts, and were whistling and swooping towards the forest. A once-in-a-century feast. They are long overdue. Just as they were about to approach the delicacy in their sights, suddenly a bird chirped from the forest. Then, a huge flock of birds shot out from the forest and flew straight up high into the sky, then hovered above the swarm of those demonic insects. For these bird fetches, the magic bugs chose to ignore them. If it came to the strength of a single body, these devil worms were naturally no match for those flocks of birds. However, in front of the group, if these birds rush over, they will only fall into the fate of food. And in fact, in the past thousands of years of feasting, these flocks of birds have each time flown far away to high altitudes out of their reach for shelter, not daring to engage in the slightest frontal confrontation with them at all. These rampant and accustomed devil worms apparently didn't notice that this time there was something more under the claws of those birds. With a horrible buzzing sound, the cloud of magical insects quickly reached below the flock. In an instant, a box fell from the flock of birds and smashed straight into the inner swarm of demonic insects. Ha! You want to hurt us with just a few pieces of wood? Eat it for me! With a command from some leading devil worms, a group of devil worms pounced on them and gnawed those boxes clean in an instant. As a result, in the next second, a terrifying vapor exploded from within. In that instant, a slice of demonic insects fell to the ground piece by piece as if they were airplanes that had lost power. If one were to look at it from the air, one would realize that the dark clouds that had been covering the sky seemed to have suddenly broken through a few holes. Damn it, what the hell is going on? What's inside that box? Countless crates fell from the flock of birds as the demonic insects hissed in terror. At the same time, in the forest below, a huge sphere shot toward them and then exploded viciously. As the sphere exploded, the terrifying water vapor immediately enveloped the space within 100 meters of Fangyun. Shasta, another piece of the demon worm died. The battle lasted 3 days and 3 nights. When only a handful of demonic insects were left, the flock of birds that had been waiting high in the air for a long time swept down and directly attacked these demonic insects. Shortly afterward, a flurry of good news came in from all over the world. The devil worm, overthrown. The Tree People clan, a big win. We won. Hooray for, long live Roy, long live pesticides, long live Mr. Wave, long live the demon worm buster. From that day on, Mr. Wave, the demon worm buster, became the great savior of the Treemaker clan from generation to generation. Star, Chapter 68, Sister's Discovery. The Swallows whose IQ has risen dramatically. The other side. After ending the transaction with Roy, Shen Lang exited the trading space. He wanted to sleep, but as a result, He didn't know if it was because the effect of the spring of life hadn't receded yet, making him not feel like sleeping at all. So, Shenlang simply wore the nano armor and flew to a bar in the old Bund in the city. By virtue of this period of time to insist on taking the efficacy of strong body pills and the fountain of life, the physical quality has long been far beyond the normal person. Shenlang and this group of red men and women who are in the bar every day and stay up all night in front of. That is called a mess kill. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Shenlang rejected 7 or 8 hot girls who threw themselves at him, quietly returned home, and slept soundly. At 6 in the morning, Shenlang woke up from a sound sleep. I looked at the time and realized that I had only slept for 3 hours. Yet I felt at my best, both physically and mentally. This life spring water, dare I say, is still a liver-bursting artifact. It was a pity that this life spring water belonged to the existence of a holy thing in general on Roy's side, and it was impossible to openly supply it to Shenlang. Otherwise, Shenlang felt that he could become the richest man in the world just by relying on this life spring water alone, even though he already was now. However, although it couldn't be supplied in unlimited quantities, it shouldn't be much of a problem to ask Roy to get a few £100 every month. When the time comes, keep part of it for your family to drink, and dilute the rest according to 1:1,000, or even 1:10,000, and then sell a bottle for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not too much, right? After all, this water, if you drink it for a long period of time, is a real life builder. Those waters on the market now that cost thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars can have this effect? Of course, the practicalities are still a matter of fine-tuning. After all, you have no name. Directly with such a bottle of water on the price of hundreds of thousands of dollars, will only be others as a fool. Walking out of her room, her mother was preparing breakfast in the kitchen and her sister happened to have just come out of her room as well. Seeing Shenlang come out of his room, his sister couldn't help but be surprised. "Ah Dee, why did you get up so early today?" Shenlang smiled. "I slept early last night." "Ha!" Right at this moment, old sister seemed to have discovered something and suddenly came over to Shenlang, reaching out to poke his face. "Why do I feel as if your skin is whiter than a few days ago?" Then subconsciously squeezed again. "Seems fluffier too?" Shenlang reached out and slapped away his old sister's hand. "Babbling, don't pinch. I'm so easy to the whole face. Why you pinch bad how to do? Don't lie." Older sister grabbed Shenlang's arm and said, "Quickly tell me, what brand are you using? Such a good thing even secretly hiding it for one person to use? Still not my own brother anymore?" Seeing that the old sister has a set of breaking the casserole asked to the end of the frame, Shenlang only had to surrender. Okay, turn around. I find friends to bring a few bottles to you always okay. That's more like it. Older sister was instantly satisfied and let Shenlang go, going into the restroom to wash up. At this time, the old sister's room came from the little one's shout, "Grandma, I wanna get up." Hearing the commotion, Shen mother walked out from the kitchen. "Alright, the dumplings are already cooked. Serve yourself, I'll go dress your niece." "Okay." Shenlang walked into the kitchen and saw that all of his family members were not paying attention to this side, and immediately took out half a liter of water from the spatial ring and quietly loaded it into the hot water kettle that still had most of the bottle of boiling water. "There's no way. The effect of this spring of life is too strong. If I give 100% pure to my family, I guess it will be like what I did yesterday. My whole body's pores are draining out the poison. To be on the safe side, it's better to mix it with boiling water and give it to them. It will be less effective, but in the long run, I don't think it will be too bad." At that moment, Dad, who had finished his morning exercise at the neighborhood park, returned. Shenlang immediately poured a cup out and handed it over. Dad took it and drank it in one gulp. "Well, how does this water feel? Sweet and tasty today?" "It's kind of good. Did you put sugar in it?" Shenlang smiled. "It's probably because you just came back from your morning exercise, Dad, and you're thirsty." At that moment, Mom dressed the little one and came out of the room with him in her arms. At the same time, my oldest sister finished washing up and came out of the restroom. "Hey!" It was then that Shen's father came back to his senses and looked at his son. "Why did you get up so early today?" Shenlang could only repeat what he had just answered his oldest sister. "I slept early yesterday. That's the way it should be." Shen's father nodded. "Don't think you're young and stay up late every day. Your dad and I are a lesson from the past." Got it. Seeing that his dad was going to start talking about his regimen again, Shenlang immediately took his niece from her mother's hand and ducked into the restroom to wash up. By the time the nephews and uncles came out, their mother had already brought out all the breakfast. "Mom, did you guys drink any water this morning?" "Not yet," Shenlang said. "I watched TV the other day and it said that drinking a glass of water on an empty stomach in the morning can detoxify the body." "That's right." On the side, Shen's father nodded in agreement. "Like this? Then let's all have a drink," Mother Shen said as she poured a glass of water out for each person. Watching his family members get their water cups, Shenlang raised his own cup and said with a smile, Come on, Here's to a wonderful day. What a mess. Mother Shin blankly glanced at her son, then extended her cup over. Cheers. Ha ha, to a wonderful day. My sister grinned back and stuck her cup out. The little guy stretched his arms out likewise. Cheers. Finally, everyone looked to the father. Shin's father, who had been all set to take a sip, took a look and silently extended his cup out. Cheers. Ha ha ha. The family laughed, clinked glasses, and then gulped. At that moment, there was a sudden sound from the windowsill, as if something was knocking on the window. When the crowd followed the sound, they realized that, surprisingly, 7 swallows stood lined up on the windowsill, poking the glass with their beaks please, as if they were greeting them. Only, I don't know if it's a psychological effect, Shin Lang always felt that in the gazes of these few little things looking at him, they seemed to carry a hint of grudge. It seems to be complaining that they didn't take us with them when they had something good to eat. I'm so mad at you. What's wrong with these little guys? Mother Shin curiously walked over and opened the window to see if something had changed outside, and as a result, the 7 swallows took the opportunity to fly in a flash. Ah, the little swallows have flown in. One clapped her hands excitedly. My oldest sister, who has always been a little afraid of sharp-tongued animals, nervously set up her chopsticks in the manner of I'll poke you to death if you come over here, right under the family's nervous or curious gazes. This group of swallows waved their wings and circled up above Shin Lang's head, occasionally letting out a soft cry. Although he couldn't understand what they were calling, Shin Lang just felt as if they were complaining about it. Alright, I get it. You guys want some water too, right? Come down first. Shin Lang pointed to a hanging rack at the side of the living room and said, I'll go there and wait. Seeing that his younger brother was actually talking to a group of swallows, his older sister on the side slapped him without any good sense. Are you not awake? How can this little bird understand? You, say? Under the old sister's astonished gaze, the group of little swallows actually really followed what Shin Lang said and landed on that hanging rack, neatly lined up and stood there. Family? The family was instantly confused. Uncle, you can speak bird language? Wenwen looked up at Shin Lang and said excitedly, quickly teach me. I also want to talk to the birds. Uncle can't speak bird language. Shin Lang touched the little guy's head and said, it's these little birds that understand what Uncle says. Really? The little guy blinked, then looked to the group of swallows. Hello guys. Chirp. To one's surprise, the little things actually seemed to reply as if they were little ones, softly chirping a few times. They actually understand us? Shin's father, Shin's mother, and his sister were shocked. I'm afraid this isn't going to become a spirit, is it? At this time, Shin Lang had already poured a plate of water out of the kitchen and placed it on the floor of the dining room. Alright, come over and drink. Flapping sound. The 7 swallows immediately flew down and formed a circle. No one grabbed the waters, and lowered their heads in unison and drank. Taking a sip, a couple of the little things seemed to notice that this water wasn't quite the same as yesterday's. It seems to be quite tasty, though. He raised his head and glanced at Shin Lang, then lowered his head again and drank. At this time, Shin Lang's family members had been completely stunned. What the hell is going on here? The family members all looked at Shin Lang. I don't know. Shin Lang shrugged. It's just that I fed them some water yesterday morning, and then it's like this. The family was speechless. Still, after the shock, the family looked happy, especially Mother Shin. Since 4 years ago, the swallows came back to make a nest in the house, and since then with their family living next door, Shin, mother of these swallows on the favorite, usually also go to the flower and bird market from time to time to buy some earthworms back to the nest next to them to eat. Only, it had never been the case that the birds had acted so close to them as they did today. Looking at these 7 little swallows in a circle drinking water, my sister couldn't help but take out her cell phone, take a picture of a clip, and then sent it to her circle of friends. There are 7 little guests in the house. The 7 little guests have come to the house, and they have formed a circle to drink water. Cover your mouth and laugh, cover your mouth and laugh, cover your mouth and laugh. What Shin didn't expect was that this video of hers would catch fire once she sent it. In less than half an hour, there were hundreds of friends who liked the message, and there were even friends who wrote privately to ask what kind of bird it was. It was so cute. When Sister Shin told them that this was Swallow, the group was stunned. Of course, all of this is an afterthought. After drinking the water, the little things were clearly satisfied. They fluttered their wings and flew into the air, flew around Shin Lang's family a few times, squeaked and chirped a few times, seemingly to say thank you, and then flew out the window in unison. Shin Lang saw that they did not return to the nest, but flew straight out. It looks like it's gone to find food. That morning, after sending his niece to kindergarten, Shin Lang returned home and then came to the trading space. He has never forgotten the idea that popped up in the cultural square last week, and the more he mulled it over, the more he realized that there was something to be said for making health products. Shin Lang immediately sent a matter invitation to Kay, and after Kay appeared, he inquired about the matter of that body strengthening pill. As a result, K's answer was a bit surprising to Shenlang. You want to mass-produce the kind of pills I gave you in that world of yours? Only K shook his head and said, I'm afraid that one isn't too easy. Chapter 69, K cries with envy, you're the goddess of fate's bastard, aren't you? What? Is there any difficulty in creating that pill? Shenlang asked. Well, K nodded. The main ingredient used to synthesize this fitness pill is from an algae plant that mutated after the nuclear explosion. This algae plant grows very slowly and also requires a lot of clean water and nutrient solutions. For that reason, the money the Federation spends every year on cultivating this algae plant could feed an entire army corps. With that, the healthy body pills that can be manufactured each year will only be able to satisfy a portion of 1 million people. And there are now hundreds of millions of us in the whole Union. Then didn't you return a lot to me before? Shenlang asked suspiciously. Since this healthy body pill is so precious, you shouldn't buy it, right? Ha ha. It's all thanks to you. K laughed. Remember the bottle of pure water you gave me when we first met? Didn't I tell you later that I sold this bottle of mineral water to a congressman? He's the president of that pharmaceutical company that specializes in the development of bodybuilding pills. Then I gave him a few bottles of water and instant noodles one after another, which only touched him so much that he almost wanted to recognize me as his brother. You said, based on my relationship with him, getting some healthy body pills is just a matter of a few words. After listening to K's words, Shenlang silently gave a thumbs up. Bullskin. In terms of sociability, Shenlang felt that K could simply beat him by 10 streets. After pondering for a while, Shenlang said, then can you find a way to get a bit of that algae plant? Are you trying to farm on your side? K laughed and shook his head. No way. Didn't you realize that the trading space can actually trade in living beings? Facing a puzzled Shenlang, K said, actually, the trading space has a heterotemporal creature isolation law. A direct manifestation of this law of segregation is the inability of living creatures to trade. Secondly, things like plants and even seeds can be traded, but after trading you will find that they are completely inactive and not viable at all. Of course, like some of the vegetables and fruits and stuff, the nutrients that should be there will still remain. So that's how it is. Shenlang nodded. Then after pondering for a while, he added, then isn't it true that if there is sufficient nutrient solution, wouldn't it be possible to realize an increase in production? That's for sure. K nodded. But the cost of trying to formulate that kind of nutrient solution is very. Before K could say the last word hi, he only heard Shenlang say, I have life spring water with a similar effect here. K, what did you say? K froze for a moment. Life spring water? What's that? It's spring water from a place called the Spring of Life. Something from the world of my third trading buddy. Saying that, Shenlang briefly introduced the world Roy was in to K. Yesterday I did an experiment with this life spring water. Just a single drop can revitalize plants that were on the verge of withering, and it can even enhance the swallow's spiritual intelligence. I myself drank a small cup of it later, and then the pores of my body began to detoxify outwardly, and the perception of the 5 senses of my body was greatly enhanced. This morning, I gave my family some more water that had been diluted 1:3, and although the effect was much diminished, I scanned their signs through the AI and found that their vitals had been strengthened to varying degrees. As Shenlang narrated, on the other end of the screen, K's mouth was opening wider and wider, and his gaze was becoming more and more dumbfounded. When Shenlang finished speaking, K didn't have a single reaction for a long time. K, what's wrong? Shenlang looked at the stupefied K with a puzzled face. Hearing Shenlang's call, K finally came back to his senses. He looked at Shenlang with a strange gaze and asked quietly, Lang, have you ever asked your parents if you are their biological or not? Shenlang? Shenlang said in a good-natured manner, it's not like I'm crazy. Why am I asking this? Because, said K, putting on a look of envy and jealousy, I now highly suspect that you are the bastard child of the goddess of fate. Either that or it's the own son of this hyperspace trading space. Do the math yourself. How long have you been a time and space merchant? Have you been a time merchant for 3 months? Not yet? As a result, look at what kind of beings you're matched with as time traders. First there's me, a time merchant from a world that originated in the same time and space as the one you're in. The second one, from the magical world of alchemy, a master who can make all sorts of magical items through alchemy. And then you traded 30 spatial rings from him with just some game consoles that have all been obsolete for almost 10 years. The third one, from a magical world of tree people, and then just by using some insecticides he got this source of life that is enough to drive all creatures crazy. I even have some suspicions that the reason why those magical insects start a war against the tree people every 100 years is actually to get that life spring. Look at me again. K pointed at himself with a sad face. I obviously became a time trader 3 years before you, and as a result, I've met few reliable ones. Either he's been bathing in the lava or he's been drinking the king's water as a beverage. In that comparison, I'm so damn simply miserable lol. Woo woo. Looking at K performing fake crying with his poor acting skills, Xin Lang couldn't help but laugh helplessly. Alright, don't pretend. I'll just give you half of the life spring water. Kay whimpered twice more and pretended to choke. Really? Can I still lie to you? Xin Lang said while taking out the stone jar containing the life spring water from his spatial ring in front of Kay. Then he took out a free spatial ring and directly filled half of the spatial spring water into it and activated the trading interface. Take it. Haha, that's enough fun. Worthy of being my Kay's brother. Kay laughed out loud and immediately put a golden fingernail-sized crystal core into the trading interface. This is the crystal core I got from killing a level 5 monster just yesterday. After testing, this crystal core will constantly release a slight amount of energy particles that can be absorbed by living beings, and long-term absorption can promote the beneficial evolution of lifeforms. Hey, just this one crystal core. Put it on the black market and you can buy a spaceship. So magical? Xin Lang extracted this crystal core from the body of a level 5 monster from space, and then scanned it with a mechanical bee. Sure enough, AI hinted at the discovery of the energy particle, and according to the database, this energy particle helps the evolution of human lifeforms. After looking at it for a while, Xin Lang put it into the space ring and turned back to have time to let Master Sol refine a ring is. On the other hand, after extracting the spatial ring containing the life spring water, Kay immediately couldn't wait to extract a cup of water from the ring into a cup and take a small sip. Well, it's worthy of being life spring water. It's delicious. With that, Kay tilted his head back and gulped it all down. Then, Xin Lang saw that a trace of colorful and various inexplicable stains emerged from the pores of Kay's face. Bizarre to the extreme. And Kay is still unknowingly looking mesmerized. So good. Xin Lang couldn't help but cover his face. Kay, I suggest you take a shower before you leave the house. What's wrong? Kay asked suspiciously, then subconsciously raised his hand to look. The first thing I noticed was that I also had various colorful stains on my hands. Wiped my face again. Wah, there's more. Wah, let's not chat for now. I'm going to take a shower first. After saying that, Kay directly flashed out of the trading space. Half an hour later, Xin Lang received a video invitation from Kay. When he picked up, he saw that Kay had changed his clothes and looked refreshed. Wave, I really don't know how to thank you. He only saw Kay looking at Xin Lang with a grateful face and said, What are you trying to pull again? Faced with Kay, who did the whole thing every now and then, Xin Lang said with a wary face. What the? I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, Kay said with a hurt face. As you know, I'm a monster hunter. Before I became a time trader, I always hunted monsters for a living. At that time there was no money on hand, could not afford to buy good equipment, so every hunt was to put the head on the waist, relying on the ruthlessness, broken bones, bone cracked, internal organs broken. That's a common thing. At that time, in order to hunt higher level monsters, I spent most of my money on equipment, resulting in me never completely healing the wounds on my body after all those years. Then after I became a time trader, I slowly got money, and then I wanted to completely heal all the old injuries on my body, only for the doctor to tell me that some of the injuries had dragged on for too long, and could no longer be completely healed. The doctor said that according to my current physical condition, even if I take the healthy body pill every day, it's estimated that I'll only live to be 50 or 60 years old at most. Can you appreciate how upset I was when I found out about this? Listening to Kay's emotional narration, Xin Lang's heart also sighed. I didn't realize that Kay, who was ostensibly dashing and happy-go-lucky, had such a past. It's really hard for him. Just as Xin Lang sighed at the roughness of Kay's past fate, the other party suddenly changed his words and said excitedly, But just now, I scanned my body with a scanning pod, and guess what? Those dark wounds on my body and old illnesses have actually healed a large portion of my body. The system shows that with my current physical state, living another 50 years won't be a problem. Wave, it's you, who directly gave me 30 more years of life. If it wasn't for the fact that you're not in my world, I damn well want to have a sex change operation and repay you in kind. Xin Lang, get out. Mother I treat you like a brother and you want to be my wife? And the kind that's had surgery. Ugh, disgusting. After the two of them fooled around for a while, Kay's face straightened up and he finally got down to business. I'll find a way to give that counselor this life spring. However, the effects of this life spring water are just too powerful. If I just hand it over, I'm afraid that it will attract the covetousness of that group of top powers in the Federation. Therefore, it's necessary to dilute this life spring water before I can do so. At that time, although the effect may be much lower, at least it won't attract covetousness. Okay, Xin Lang nodded. Just watch it. Wait for my good news. Time passed, and another 3 days passed. As a result, Kay's good news hadn't come yet, but Xin Lang waited for good news from Roy the tree herder. Star. Chapter 70, Heart of the Tree People Fruit. A gift from the Makoto tree clan. Thursday night, 11:30. After his family was all asleep, Lang once again quietly went out and ran to a net bar in Magic City to release the energy in his body that had nowhere to vent. Not to mention, the internet cafes in this cosmopolitan city are different. Whether it's the hardware equipment or the hot dancing girls, the quality is much higher than in Yongchang. But no wonder. Who let this bar have a celebrity shareholder? Many of the netizens and girls who come to the bar do so with the idea of striking it rich, to see if there is any chance of bumping into a baby cheetah here. However, this had nothing to do with Lang. Accompanied by the powerful music, Lang swayed on the dance floor to his heart's content. Playing up, Lang directly played the Thomas slalom on the dance floor. Watching such a powerful action, a group of vocal men and women beside him all made room for him, and some girls even screamed and applauded with excitement. At the sight of so many girls clapping and screaming, some of the BOS around them who were already street dancers got restless. It's just a Thomas pirouette, like anyone can't do it. The limelight can't be stolen by this guy alone. If you do well, you might even get a free snack at night. With that in mind, one by one, the gang of street dance BOS in their bizarre outfits stomped into the center of the dance floor and then juggled a Thomas slalom as well. 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps. Some with average skill and a lack of strength juggled 4 or 5 laps before crumpling to the ground and then leaving the field amidst a cacophony of laughter. For these losers, no one on the scene paid any attention at all, and everyone's eyes were just fixed on the one still spinning in the center of the dance floor. Among them, the one who got the most attention was naturally Lang, who was the first one to play Thomas the Giant Slalom, wearing all LV and stepping on Gucci sneakers. In fact, originally, Lang was just on the spur of the moment, playing around, but did not think that it had attracted so many people, and the kind of battle stance they put up also made Lang a little bit of goodwill. After all, to put it bluntly, Lang was only 22 years old, 17, 18, 19. By the time 20 turns had been made, 2 more boys had lost their balance and fallen to the ground. At this point, there were only 3 people left who were still spinning. Seeing that the battle is getting more and more intense, the mood of everyone on the scene is also getting higher and higher. The DJ even went straight to a more energetic beat. 20 laps, 30 laps, 40 laps. By the time the rotation reached 41 revolutions, another one fell to the ground. 50, 51. At 52 laps, the penultimate one also finally couldn't hold on and slumped to the ground. In the end, only Lang was left. At this moment, all the gazes of everyone in the room hit him. The management even focused all the cameras on the scene to the center of the dance floor and aimed them at Lang. 70, 80, 90, 100. By the time he finished juggling the 100th lap, Lang propped up with one hand. The whole person directly did a 180-degree flip in place and landed firmly on the ground. For a moment, there was silence. All the people who witnessed this were all wide-eyed and open-mouthed at this moment. Juggling 100 rounds of the Thomas slalom, surprisingly enough, with a one-arm jerk and then a backflip? My mom, what kind of divine stamina is this? What kind of fairy arm is this? Unicorn arms aren't even that bullish, are they? Wah, bullskin. Someone at the scene screamed out of breath. The scream woke everyone up instantly. In the next second, there were cheers and screams. Those who previously wanted to compete with him and the street dance boys are all showing a convincing look. If not because of the scene of many people, it is estimated that they are all ready to kneel down to learn from the master. At the same time, countless girls on the scene were even casting worshipful, excited, yearning, expectant, and tumultuous gazes at Lang. And what's more, they had already taken the initiative to stick to Lang and started all sorts of accosting. Everyone knew that at this moment, Lang completely took the right to free fire. In the end, with the help of the nightclub security personnel, Lang finally broke away from the surroundings of these enthusiastic girls. I was just about to thank these security officers when a manager came up and said that some VIPs in the next card table wanted to meet him. Lang looked, and immediately saw several groups of older sisters in their 30s and 40s, dressed exquisitely, looking expensive, and exuding the air of a rich woman, were casting expectant gazes at him. Lang, is this an attempt to make me a soft touch? Lang immediately smiled and politely declined the other party's invitation, then left the bar without any lingering. After coming to a remote corner, Lang activated the spatial teleportation matrix and instantly returned to the room. Just a few seconds after Lang left, several tall young girls stumbled out of the bar and looked around. Hey, where is he? Why is he gone? Couldn't have taken a cab so soon already, could you? Hey, it's all your fault. If it wasn't for you running slower, maybe we would have caught up with that male god. Now it's all gone, and I don't know when we'll be able to run into him next time. It's okay, I've already secretly taken his picture. If I can't, I'll just search for him online. Such a handsome man must be famous everywhere. I don't believe I can't find him. Only, these singing girls didn't know that the appearance of Lang that they saw was just the appearance of K that he had simulated with AR projection. Not to mention them, even the Eagle Sauce Bureau of Investigation is unlikely to find this man. After returning home, Shen Lang drank a cup of diluted life spring water. Just as he was about to sleep, a message came from the trading space. Roy sent a video invite. Shen Lang's heart moved and instantly came to the trading space and opened the video. Mr. Wave. As soon as the video was connected, Shen Lang heard a greeting filled with joy from Roy. Mr. Roy. Shen Lang smiled and greeted. Listening to your voice, it seems like something good should be happening. Ha 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 ha. Yes, Mr. Wave. We won. Roy's branches and leaves trembled with excitement. We defeated the demon worm. 10,000 years. We finally defeated the demon worm for the first time for real. Roy's voice even choked a little when he spoke in excitement. It was important to realize that as tree herders, their lives were long and drawn out, and if there were no accidents, a tree herder could survive for at least 3,000 years. However, due to the presence of the demon worms, the outbreak of the insect plague once every 100 years resulted in very few tree shepherds surviving to their natural deaths. In the past years, too many tree herders had died in the fight against the insect plague, and among them, the oldest was over 1,000 years old, and the youngest, probably not even 100 years old. It could be said that for the tree herders, since the day they were born, they have been shrouded in the deathly shadow of the bug hijack. But now, the shadow of this one has been dispelled completely, although it was still unknown if there would be any remnants of those demon worms. Judging from the results of this battle, what the demon worms had suffered was a heavy blow that hadn't been seen in the past 10,000 years. According to the estimation of the Tree Maker clan, in the next 300 years at least, these demonic insects would be incapable of setting off a new insect calamity, and with this gap of another 300 years, the tree herders could graze more forests and awaken more of their people. Moreover, they would not allow the demonic insects to recuperate. Next, while grazing the forest, they would unite all the creatures in the forest and launch a purging operation against the demonic insects, just to kill them all completely. It's about population comfort, not about good or evil. Mr. Wave, I'm sorry, I was too excited and made you laugh. After calming down for a while, Roy the tree herder turned to the screen and bowed deeply towards Shen Lang. Mr. Wave, my clansmen have asked me to express my highest respect to you, and most sincere gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Wave. It was you who saved our clan of tree herders. Facing Roy's heartfelt gratitude, Shen Lang waved his hand and smiled. Mr. Roy, you are too polite. To me, this is just a matter of raising my hand. It may be a lift for you, but for us, it is a great favor that saved our pack, Roy said while extending a branch from his body with a green fruit hanging from it. Mr. Wave, this is a small token of appreciation from our entire clan. Please take it. What is this? Shen Lang asked curiously. Even through the screen, Shen Lang could feel the vigorous vitality contained in this fruit. This is the greatest treasure of our tree herder clan, called the tree herder's heart. When an intelligent creature eats it, it will have the ability to communicate with all living things. What? When Shen Lang heard this, he was taken aback. Mr. Roy, I'm afraid I can't accept this. Shen Lang immediately shook his head. You also said that this is the supreme treasure of your clan. That must be very precious. I don't want you to reward me by sacrificing the supreme treasure of your clan. Mr. Wave, you're the kindest of all the time traders I've ever encountered. Mr. Roy said gratefully, but don't worry. In fact, our community produces new tree huggers heart fruits every year. Giving you one won't cause much damage to our pack. Just feel free to accept it. This is a small token of appreciation from all of our clan. Is that so? Under Roy's explanation, Shen Lang finally chose to accept it. Then I will send you a space ring from my side. But the space inside is not big. Only 50 cubic meters. I still hope you don't mind. Space ring? Roy's tone revealed a hint of curiosity. This is it. Shen Lang displayed the ring he was wearing on his hand. Then with a thought, a Rui stick from Master Soul's refining appeared on his hand, and in the next second, it abruptly disappeared. Watching this amazing scene, Roy let out a surprised exclamation. This is amazing. Then, the two sides completed the transaction, and Shen Lang also instructed Roy to learn the use of the spatial ring. Mr. Wave, then I'll go back first. My clansmen are all still waiting for me. We're going to pick up where we left off and launch a purge of those demonic insects lurking underground. Shen Lang asked, is there still enough insecticide? Enough is enough, Roy said grinning. We've only used less than half of it. Shen Lang nodded. That's fine. If it's not enough, you notify me in advance and I'll go get another batch for you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wave. Bye. Well, bye. Be safe. Star. Chapter 71. I can hear everything. After Roy left, Shen Lang extracted the tree man's heart from the space. As soon as the tree man's heart appeared, Shen Lang felt a strong life breath emanating from the tree man's heart. Shen Lang was in a trance. For a moment, he even felt if he was in the middle of a dense forest. surrounded by verdant ancient trees, a burst of natural scent from the branches and leaves of plants. Shenlang even felt that the fruit was alive. Shenlang's heart moved. AI. In. Master. Scan the fruit to see if it's still alive. Yes, Master. Xiao AI immediately drove the mechanical bee and carefully scanned around the tree man's heart in Shenlang's hand. Master. AI has not detected any signs of vitality. Fine. Shenlang shook his head. Sure enough, it was impossible for there to be a leak under the trading rules of space. Looking at this green and glittering fruit full of life in front of him, Shenlang swallowed his saliva, and then picked up as a bite. Click. As he bit down on the pulp, Shenlang felt a refreshing fruit flavor explode from between his lips and teeth. That rich fruity aroma, together with the sweet flavor, instantly made Shenlang feel as if he was once again in the middle of a vast forest. All around him, trees, flowers, birds, beasts, all sorts of everything in the forest seemed to be dancing. It's a feeling that's just amazing. 1 bite, 2 bites. Shenlang quickly ate the entire fruit. What surprised Shenlang was that the core of the fruit located in the very center could all be bitten off in 1 bite, and it tasted quite good. After eating, Shenlang felt that his teeth were full of flavor and he couldn't get enough. However, besides being delicious, Shenlang felt as if he didn't find anything different. Seeing that the time was almost 2 o'clock in the morning, Shenlang immediately left the trading space, and then uploaded to sleep. Before 6 o'clock in the morning, Shenlang marched over on time. Refreshed, he came out of his room just in time to run into his dad, who was already fully dressed and ready to go for his morning walk. My father was a little surprised. You're getting up earlier and earlier these days. Shenlang smiled and said, isn't it what you said? Young people should go to bed early. I sleep early every day now. Hearing this, Shen's father couldn't help but reveal a smile, only to see him nod. Well, it's good to go to bed early and get up early. Seeing that the time was still early, and Mom hadn't even gotten up to make breakfast yet, Shenlang said, Dad, I'll go to the morning exercise with you. Okay, let's go then. Be gentle. Your mom and the girls are still sleeping. Aha! After going downstairs, his father led Shenlang straight to the neighborhood park. There, a group of grandpas and grandmas playing Tai Chi had already gathered over there. Only, just after arriving downstairs, Shenlang sensed a hint of abnormality. Oh, so hungry, master, come feed me when. Chatter, get up, get up, get up. Hurry up and go catch some bugs to eat. Otherwise the sun will come out and they'll go back into the trees. Oi, it's so itchy. I've got bugs on this body again. The flock of birds lately aren't very good. They haven't helped me catch the worms out so far. Shenlang froze. He craned his head around. The first thing you see is the tall magnolia tree in front of the residential building. Then, just above the top of the magnolia tree, a couple of small birds were crouching there, chattering and talking to each other. And in the corner of a residential building not far from the magnolia tree, a field spaniel is sprawled out in boredom in a small, hand-built kennel. That sound, just now, couldn't have come from them, could it? At this time, Shenlang again heard a voice. Huh? Strange. Why does that person keep looking at me? What does he want? Shenlang came back to his senses, and only then did he realize that what he had just lost his concentration on, what his eyes were looking at, was precisely that field dog. So, yourself really heard it talking? No, not right. It's not a talking voice. It seems to be heartfelt. Shenlang's mind moved and tried to take a few steps closer to the dog. The next second, the field dog stood up alertly. At the same time, a voice once again reached Shenlang's ears. Ha! Why is he coming towards me? What does he want? Hearing this, Shenlang was completely certain. One can really hear the hearts of animals and even plants. Shenlang, what's going on? Why don't you leave? At this time, his father's voice came from not far away. Originally, after walking a few steps, the father found that Shenlang did not follow, turned his head and happened to see Shenlang in the doorway of the residential building, immediately called out. Oh, come on, the shoelace just fell apart. Shenlang immediately answered, and then he followed his father, and together they came to the neighborhood park. Here, many morning exercise moncler outlet online, while moving their muscles, but also bring out their family pet dogs and even pet birds to let off steam. Now, Shenlang was in trouble. One moment he heard the pet dogs complaining that their masters had gotten up too early, and the next he heard the pet birds yearning for freedom. These voices gathered together, straightening Shenlang's head almost exploded. What's wrong, son? Not feeling well? Looking at the abnormality that flowed from Shenlang's face, his father, who was originally playing Tai Chi next to him, immediately stopped his movements and asked with concern. Shenlang shook his head and said, It's nothing, Dad. Maybe I got up too early today. I'm a bit sleepy. I'll just move around. Dad, you go on. Don't mind me. After confirming that Shenlang was fine, his father breathed a sigh of relief this time, and then continued to play his Tai Chi. As for Shenlang, while raising his hands and moving his body, He silently tried the experimenter to control this newly emerged ability. Slowly, Shenlang grasped this ability and could freely choose what he wanted to listen to from the other party. Even, if he wanted to, he could send the thoughts in his mind into the other person's head. So, this is the ability to communicate with all living things that Mr. Roy was talking about. It's simply too powerful. Mr. Roy and the others should have mastered the ability to communicate with those flowers, birds and trees through this tree man's heart. This tree hugger's heart is simply amazing. Shenlang actually did not know. This ability to drink in the communication of all living things was just one of the most insignificant abilities of the tree man's heart. What Roy didn't tell Shenlang was that this tree man's heart was actually the source of the shepherd tree people clan. In the beginning, the world's first tree herder evolved from the heart of the tree herder. Of all the tree makers, only those born from the heart of the tree man possessed the ability to awaken other acquaintances. Thus, it could be said that this tree man's heart was the hope for the continuation of the entire shepherd tree people clan. Roy likewise didn't tell Shenlang that although they produced new tree people's hearts every year, there weren't really that many of them. At the most, only 10 or so were born in a year, and when it was less, there were only 4 or 5. For the tree herders, whose entire population was just about 30,000, every additional member of the race was vital. But even so, the fact that the shepherd tree people clan had gifted such an important tree people's heart to Shenlang was enough to prove how strong the gratitude for Shenlang was in their hearts. By the time Shenlang had almost completely controlled the ability of the tree man's heart, his father's morning exercise was almost near the end. After watching his father get better with a few big men to continue at the same time tomorrow, Shenlang followed his father back home. By this time, the mother had also prepared breakfast and was on her way to her room to dress the little one. Seeing the father and son back together, the mother was a little surprised, and when asked, she realized that the father and son had gone for morning exercise together. Uncle, good morning. After a while, the niece dressed and came out of the room, trotting into Shenlang's arms. Good morning, Wan. Shenlang smiled and gave his niece a kiss on the forehead. The little guy laughed happily, then came over to Shenlang's body and sniffed, curiously saying, Uncle, did you spray perfume? Why does your body smell good? There is? Shenlang raised his hand and smelled it. He didn't feel it. At this time, Shenlang's sister came out of the restroom, pulled up her brother's arm, and sniffed. It really smells. Brat, did you go outside last night? No. Shenlang hurriedly denied it. What a joke. He'd taken a quiet bath when he got back yesterday. Where else would there be any scent? It's not right either. At that moment, only my sister shook her head. This doesn't seem to be a perfume odor again. After half a day of deliberation, my sister said, it feels like that nature smell. I can't tell, but it does smell pretty good. Where did you buy it from? I really didn't spray perfume, Shenlang said helplessly. In fact, Shenlang already had some guesses in his heart. This is probably the aftermath of eating the heart of the tree man. In order to plug his sister's mouth, Shenlang went back to his room and took out 2 150 milliliters bottles of sprays without any outer packaging or logos and threw her. This is the skincare water you asked for last time. Just spray a little bit every day. In fact, this so-called skincare water was actually just diluted life spring water. Although the powerful effect of a life spring water is a bit of a big deal and even a waste to use it for skincare. However, who let this be their only real sister? Waste is waste. After receiving the 2 bottles of spray thrown over by her brother, her oldest sister couldn't help but spit out. How come there's not even any packaging? It can't be some kind of cottage goods, right? Shenlang said without any good humor. Nonsense. People, this is specifically for export. If it's discovered in the country, it won't be a lawsuit. Older sister heard. It makes sense, and immediately took it with joy. Alright, all sit down for breakfast. At this time, Mother Shen also brought out breakfast from the kitchen, and then poured a cup of water for each member of her family, and gave a plate full of water as well. After doing so, Mother Shen came to the living room balcony and opened the window. The family of swallows that had been waiting at the edge immediately fluttered in. Chatter, there's water to drink again. I'm so happy. Don't drink first. You have to thank the host family first. Aha. Got it. Under Shenlang's gaze, the family of swallows stood lined up on the hanging rack, squeaked and chirped a few times toward them, and then flew to the ground in unison and began to drink water. And for this kind of behavior of the swallows, Shenlang's family had long been accustomed to it. For the past 3 days, they had gotten used to having breakfast with this swallow family. After breakfast, Shenlang sent his niece to kindergarten as usual, then went to his new house to see the progress of the decoration, and finally returned home. I just got home and Kay sent a video invite. Chapter 72, Kay cries again, jealousy separates my walls. As soon as he saw Shenlang, Kay said excitedly, it's done.
I just got the news that the pharmaceutical company's side used the life spring water I provided to test those algae plants, and finally confirmed that this life spring water can increase the growth rate of those algae plants by more than 10 times.
Moreover, the newborn algae have better medicinal properties than the original.
That counselor has promised that as long as I can guarantee to supply him with a ton of nutrient fluid every month.
Accordingly, he will give me 100,000 servings of the drug's original fluid every month. 1 ton per month?
Shenlang raised his eyebrows after hearing this.
What I gave you last time was almost only about a ton, right?
You're not going to give him all the life spring water, are you?
How is that possible? I'm not stupid. Kay laughed. Didn't I tell you before? The life spring water I gave them was all diluted. Guess what percentage I diluted it? How much? 1 to 50. He.
Kay compared it to a pack of threes, and hemmed and hawed with a bad smile. In that ton of life spring water I gave them, there were only 20 liters of real life spring water. For the rest, all that was used was pure water, and some non-toxic plant juices and whatnot. Even if they wanted to use instruments to analyze it, they could at most analyze the composition of those plants. Cowhide. Shenlang silently gave a thumbs up. Originally, he was still considering whether he was not being a bit too generous in selling the life spring water according to a dilution ratio of 1 to 20 or 1 to 30, but it turned out that, compared to K, he was simply as generous as Ah. It seems that he still needs to learn from K when it comes to doing business.
Do you confirm that the other party is reliable? Shenlang said. Don't let the other party collect the water at that time and end up not giving the medicinal original liquid. Don't worry about this.
The person who can make me suffer in this world doesn't exist yet.
K hemmed and hawed and said. I've already made an appointment with him. When the time comes,
I'll hand over the nutrient solution in one hand,
and the original drug solution in the other. There will be no delinquency. Actually, as long as the other party's brain isn't broken,
it's impossible for them to break the contract.
After all, with this nutrient water,
they will be able to obtain 10 times more raw materials for the drug. The market that can be supplied by then will instantly expand from millions to tens of millions. And what was given to me was only a tenth of that.
It's a debt that they can still split. What's more, Kay patted his chest with a hefty grin. Do you think I'm still the same little hunter from 2 months ago who's just a little bit famous? Brother is now the famous hunter king of the entire federation. 7 of the top 10 hunters in the Monster Hunter Guild are my people. If the other side wants to go dark, they have to weigh the consequences of offending me. Looking at Kay deliberately putting up a cowhide boom, Shenlang immediately gave a thumbs up. Okay. Hunter King Cowhide. Kay was also amused by his own pretense of cowhide and laughed out loud. After waiting a while for a joke, Kay said, by the way, the ship coming from Mars will arrive on Earth in 2 days, so I'll lift the chrome powder to you then. In time, right? It's okay, in time, Shenlang said.
As early as Monday, Kay had already given him the first batch of 500 tons of chrome powder, only considering that it would take 5 to 7 days to ship it from overseas at the earliest. Shenlang had been dragging his feet and not giving it to Dai Fei.
That's fine, Kay nodded. Then suddenly, as if he had made some new discovery, he looked at Shenlang suspiciously. I say, Wave, why do I feel as if you're a bit different from the past today? What's different? Shenlang asked. Let me think.
Kay frowned and cocked his head,
searching for some words and coming up empty. I can't say. It's just a feeling. Well, just feels as if it has an ethereal feel to it. And then it gives a very relaxing feeling. It's like the elf god that we put in some Western movies over here before the big break. Did you take some kind of magic pill? Listening to Kay's description, Shenlang's heart was also somewhat secretly surprised. The effect of this tree hugger's heart is too strong. Even Kay can feel it through the screen? There's no magic elixir. Shenlang smiled and shook his head. Just eating a tree man's heart? Tree hugger's heart? Kay's 2 ears immediately perked up when he heard that. His intuition as a monster hunter made him immediately realize that this was definitely a good thing. Well, it was given to me by Roy. Saying that, Shenlang told what happened last night, and then recounted what he found in the neighborhood park this morning. When Kay heard that Shenlang had actually heard the hearts of plants and animals and could even communicate with them, Kay almost cried out in envy. Why isn't this kind of good thing my turn? Insecticide or something? I have that too. Let alone insecticide. I can even get him a spaceship. If I could have the heart of a tree man, why the hell would I need to work so hard every day to find monsters in the end? And even have to be on guard against being ambushed by them. At that time, I would be able to hear their hearts from afar, and a wave of direct fire coverage would kill them. Wave at the end of the sentence. Kay slumped down in front of the screen and made an almost whiny sound. I want it too. Roll. Shenlang almost didn't kick the screen. Roy also said that tree man's heart is the most precious treasure of their clan. I'm already embarrassed for taking one of theirs. Where would I have the nerve to open my mouth and ask them for a second one? If it were you, how would you feel about it? Kay nuzzled his mouth. In fact, he wanted to say,
Of course he is good at it, but looking at Shen Lang with an expression of if you really dare to agree, you will be cut off. He immediately shook his head firmly. Right, we are not this kind of people. How can we possibly open this mouth? Looking at Kay's mouthy look, Shen Lang couldn't help but laugh dumbly. Alright, I'll keep an eye out for you on my side. If there's a chance next time, I'll just get you one. Really? Hearing this, Kay's eyes lit up and instantly came back to life with full blood. I knew it. Wave. I knew you were one-dimensional enough. Kay laughed excitedly. I actually had a feeling when I first saw you. Wave. What does it feel like? Shen Lang was curious. I strongly suspect. Only Kay said in a serious manner. We two are half-brothers lost in 2 time zones. Shen Lang. Get out. Okay. After joking with Kay for a while, Shen Lang returned to his room. Looking at the time, it was exactly 10:30 in the morning. AI. Yes, master. Find any freighters that didn't leave a week ago and then arrive in port today? Yes, master. Please wait. A few seconds later. Yes, master. One has a freighter that left over from Echidna last weekend. It will arrive at Mordor Harbor in 1 hour. Mordor Harbor? Yes. Shen Lang immediately put on the nano armor and entered the sneaking state, then flew out of the balcony and headed straight to Mordor port. After a few minutes, Shen Lang appeared in the waters near the Mordor harbor. After quickly locking onto the target cargo ship, Shen Lang boarded the ship silently, and after finding some vacant containers, he loaded all 500 tons of chrome powder into them. After completing it, Shen Lang gently clapped his hands, made a turn, activated the spatial teleportation matrix, and returned home. Same time, in the office building of the headquarters of the Yongcheng Iron and Steel Group, because the day before eating more seafood some leaps and bounds Dai Fei is depressed squatting large. Just then he heard 2 men come in from outside. Then, with a pattering sound, and the sound of 2 men talking to each other. Say, how's that new manager in your department doing? Anyway, how about what? Didn't he say before that he had a way to get chrome powder? It's been almost a week. Any news? There's a hairy message. I'll tell you something. Don't tell anyone. What? Don't a few employees in our department have contacts overseas? They've inquired about it, and in the last 2 months, no one in the entire global chrome powder market has heard of a shipment of 500 tons of chrome powder anywhere. No? Then why did that new manager of yours say there was? It's obvious. He's afraid of being gossiped about, thinks he's an insider, and then brags about it. It's unlikely. It's rumored that the chairman of the board even holds him in high regard. He even allocated him a house. If he really doesn't have any skills, how could the group hold him in such high regard? Well, who let someone find a rich white girlfriend? Crap, rich white girl? What's going on? Don't keep me in suspense. Just tell me. I did hear about it. Just heard This manager Dai of ours has a rich girlfriend. I heard that he relied on her girlfriend's family's connections to get into our group. Wah, isn't that a pussy? Hey, that's what you said. I didn't say anything. Don't worry, we're the only 2 people in the restroom right now. If you don't say anything and I don't say anything, who knows? That's true. Let me tell you. In fact, a colleague in our department has seen him shopping with his girlfriend in Intai, and he was so humble. That can't be helped. It's a soft meal after all. Listening to the 2 of them gossiping about themselves outside, Daffy suddenly felt like his stomach didn't hurt anymore. He silently pulled out the toilet paper to clean himself, put on his pants, raised his foot, and was about to kick open the door to teach those 2 red-eyed dogs outside a lesson when a message alert from his email suddenly came from his phone. Daffy looked down. It read mail from Mr. Sean. Dai Fei's eyes widened in both directions and he immediately clicked on the email to take a look. Boo! In the next second, he pushed open the door panel of the pit and rushed out of the toilet at a 100-meter sprint in front of the shocked gazes of the 2 gossiping employees. The chrome powder has arrived. 500 tons of chrome powder has arrived. Soon, the whole office building has heard the news. 500 tons of chrome ore, contacted by the new manager of the ore import department, will soon be arriving at the port terminal in Mordor. Soon, the Yongcheng Iron and Steel headquarters immediately arranged for manpower to rush to the port of Mordor to pick up that shipment. As the person in charge, Dai Fei, naturally, became the person in charge of leading the team. He, in turn, had personally named several assistants, 2 of whom were the same 2 red-eyed dogs that had been gossiping about him in the restroom. Hey, calling me a pimp? I'll let you know that even if you eat soft food, I can still make you kneel down and call your father. Chapter 73, Deadbeat. Is it too late for me to go to Taikoku for an operation? At 10 o'clock in the evening, Shen Lang received a call from Dai Fei. As soon as it was connected, a maniacal laugh came over the microphone. Wahahaha, prodigal son. You didn't see how drunk those 2 grandsons ended up. They were lying on the ground like dead dogs. Ha. Listening to the voice that was obviously drunk, Shen Lang could not help but frown.
You've been drinking? Where is the person now? Dai Fei laughed. Don't worry, prodigal son. I'm at home. That's good.
Shenlang immediately put down his heart and asked,
and what about those 2 grandchildren you just mentioned? It's 2 employees of our company. Gobru's making up stories about me in the restroom, saying I'm a soft touch. Gobru raised. At that time I happened to be squatting in it. I heard it. Taking advantage of the wine, Dai Fei told the whole story. When we got back to the company this evening, the chairman personally organized a reception banquet for us, and then a leader who seemed to be the elder of one of those 2 grandchildren ran over with them to toast me. I ignored them at first, but they ended up sticking around and just drinking glass after glass, saying they'd drink until I was satisfied. It turned out not to work after just a couple of drinks, and threw up all over the dining table. The chairman's face was blue at that time. Ha 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 ha. So how do you feel now? Relieved? Shenlang said with a smile. With your current position in the company, if you want your chairman to fire those 2 guys, it shouldn't be a difficult task, right? Fire them? Daffy froze for a moment and immediately said, fire them for what? It's not like they made a mistake on the job. Besides, it's just a way of saying I'm a soft touch behind my back, and I'm not missing a piece of meat. It's not easy to find a job nowadays. If I just smash their jobs, what would I be? A bully? Or a bully? Listening to Dai Fei's words, Shenlang couldn't help but have a smile on his face. This is the knife-tongued and tofu-hearted Daffy, his ironic buddy. Shenlang said, okay, drink the wine and go to bed early at night. If there is honey at home, let auntie make some water for you to drink, lest you get up tomorrow with a hard stomach. Got it. Wave mom. Dai Fei hemmed and hawed. Not to mention, prodigal son, if you were a woman, I'd marry you. Get out. Yes, sir. The brothers heckled for a while, then hung up. The next day, it was Saturday. Shenlang once again thundered awake before 6 o'clock, and then accompanied his dad to the neighborhood park to play Tai Chi for an hour. Not to mention, this set of health boxing down, the body is really quite comfortable. After breakfast, mom and dad once again went to the supermarket, while Shenlang took his niece to sit in his own dessert store for a while, eating the mousse cake made by his old sister while waiting for the opposite side of the Yingtai City to open its doors. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Yingtai City opened for business on time. Just as Shenlang was about to take Wenwen to Yingtai City, he received another call from Dai Fei. Hello? Prodigal son. Where is it? It's at the sweet store. Just getting ready to take Wenwen to Yingtai. Shenlang smiled and moved his cell phone in front of Wenwen, who obediently called out, Uncle Airplane. As soon as he heard Wenwen's voice, Dai Fei's tone immediately lowered an octave. Hey, Wenwen, good, there is no want to airplane, Uncle. Ah? Want to? Wenwen nodded. Uncle Airplane, when are you coming to play with me? Ha ha ha, just for today. Okay, Uncle Airplane will come over to play with you later. Wenwen's eyes lit up when he heard, yes. Shenlang took the microphone and asked, what? Your body is fine? No hangover after effects? Hi, it's not like I drank much yesterday, so where's the fallout from that? It's just that my stomach is a bit uncomfortable. Dai Fei hemmed and hawed. I'm asking you, prodigal son, are you interested in going to the Imperial City for a stroll? Shenlang asked. Going to the Imperial capital? When? It's today, Dai Fei said. I just checked, and there just happens to be a direct high-speed train to the Imperial capital in 2 hours. We'll be there around 6:30, so bring Wenwen with you, and you can just have dinner there. Going today? You don't have to work next Monday? Shenlang asked. Dai Fei laughed. He. This is not a merit. The chairman of the board directly gave me 5 days of vacation, and even sent me a $20,000 travel fund. Is it cool? Shenlang couldn't help but laugh. Your chairman is treating you like an ancestor. It's not me he's confessing to. It was Mr. Sean. Dai Fei hemmed and hawed. I just borrowed Mr. Sean's light. Alright then, I'll talk to my family. Okay, then I'll prepare the luggage. Let's see you at the high-speed train station. Oh, right. Send me Wenwen's identity information. Uncle will give her a separate business seat on this flight. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Shenlang came to the operating table and knocked on the transparent glass of the operating table. What's wrong? Hearing the commotion, my sister, who was busy inside, opened a small window. Shenlang immediately told her about wanting to take Wenwen to the Imperial City for a stroll. When my sister heard this, she couldn't help but hesitate. But Wenwen has to go to school next week. Going to kindergarten is not going to school. It's not like going to elementary school. You have to learn culture every day, Shenlang said. Now this month, the weather is not too cold, not too hot, not too many tourists. If you wait until the summer vacation, it's hot and dry. Not to mention that there are so many tourists that you can squeeze you to death. But, can you carry it alone? My sister was a little skeptical. Shenlang asked, you're not coming along? How can I possibly leave? Sister blankly glanced at Shenlang without any good humor. I'm the only dessert chef in the store now. If I left, it wouldn't be closed for days? Close the door on the door. Our family and not lack of this. Shenlang just wanted to say that his family does not lack of money. The results were met with the old sister's warning stare. Immediately closed his mouth. That's okay. You busy you. I asked Mom to go. As it turned out, Mom couldn't go either, because in a couple of days, a son of the same clan in the neighborhood who was on good terms with the Shin family was getting married. When Shenlang's father was seriously ill, the other party had also lent a helping hand. So this time, both Shin's father and mother had to go over to help. Older sister and mom cannot go. This is to let Shenlang alone to bring. Other things are good to say, but the little one at night to take a bath can be how to do? We can't let Shenlang, a big man, give his niece a bath, right? After all, my niece is over 3 years old and it's the right time to build gender awareness. At this point, Shenlang is still very focused. After pondering for a while, Shenlang finally dialed Su Yiting's phone and asked her if she had time to go to the Imperial City together to stroll around. And by the way, he also told her about bringing his niece along. Hearing Shenlang's invitation to go to the Imperial capital, Su Yiting agreed without even thinking about it. But don't you still have to defend your thesis? Shenlang asked. So yeah, it's a coincidence that you called. Su Yiting smiled cheekily and said, just 10 minutes before you called. My thesis defense had just ended. I got all the honors. Shenlang smiled. That's just right. You send me your ID card and I'll book you a ticket. So, after agreeing to meet at the high-speed train station, the two hung up. Afterwards, Shenlang returned home with his niece, and Shen's mother, who came back a step ahead, had already prepared suitcases for them, a big one and a small one. The big 24-inch one is Shenlang's, and Wenwen's is a small red 7-star ladybug-shaped suitcase that the little one can sit on, and then the adults hold the rope and walk. By the time the family arrived at the wave downstairs, Shen's father was already waiting for them in the Cayenne. A few minutes later, Shen's father sent them to the subway station, and only drove away after repeatedly instructing Shenlang to keep an unparalleled eye on his niece. In the gap between taking the subway, Shenlang asked Xiao Ai to book a business seat for Su Yiting. More than an hour later, Shenlang brought the little one to the high-speed train station and passed the security check. Because the niece person is still too small, did not do ID cards, using or Shenlang family account book. Also thanks to the divorce, Shenlang's sister moved the account back again. Otherwise, Shenlang is really quite difficult to uncle identity alone with the little one to take the high-speed train. By the time Shenlang walked into the waiting hall with the little one, Su Yiting was already waiting for them at the entrance. 20 minutes later, Dai Fei pushed 2 suitcases and appeared in the waiting hall with his girlfriend as well. After seeing that Su Yiting was also there, Dai Fei couldn't help but complain that Shenlang hadn't greeted him earlier, so that he could have bought the tickets together so that Su Yiting wouldn't have to waste her own money. It didn't hurt that he was spending the company's money anyway. However, after learning that it was Shenlang who paid for her ticket, Dai Fei stopped saying anything. $1,000 or so is just a few breaths of air for this big dirtbag with over $100 million in cash. After another hour, the group made it through the line and ticketed to the bus. After more than 6 hours, the group arrived at the Imperial Capital high-speed railway station without any problems. You shouldn't have booked a hotel yet, right? After getting off the high-speed train station, Shenlang asked Dai Fei. Ah, I forgot. Dai Fei instantly slapped his head. I was just focused on playing the game. On the side, Dai Fei's girlfriend had a good and funny look on her face. This unreliable man. I can't believe I forgot about booking a hotel when I came to visit the Imperial City. That's just right. I booked it. Shenlang smiled. Let's go. The driver just sent me the location. The car is already here. Daffy looked puzzled. Car? What car? 3 minutes later, Dai Fei and his girlfriend as well as Su Yiting looked at the Rolls-Royce Phantom courtesy car in front of them with a stunned expression. This is here to pick us up? Dai Fei had a look of disbelief on his face. Only, the man standing next to the Rolls-Royce and wearing a uniform walked up to Shenlang. Excuse me, is this Mr. Shenlang? Excuse me, I need to verify your order. Okay. Shenlang nodded and gave the other party the order on his cell phone to check. After the verification, the other party bowed. Sorry for the delay, Mr. Shun. You are welcome to choose to stay at our hotel. I am the concierge driver who came to greet you. Under the mute gazes of Dai Fei and the others, the other party respectfully took the suitcases in the hands of several people and transferred them into a car behind the courtesy car. Dai Fei looked at it. It was a Mercedes-Benz MPV business car. There were a few of them within their group, all of which were used to receive VIPs. And here, it's just for their luggage. It was at this moment that Dai Fei truly realized. What does that figure of more than $100 million lying in Shenlang's bank card really mean? SS. Sound of air sucked between the teeth, indicating hesitation or thinking over. Family members. Excuse me, is it too late for me to go to Taikoku for a surgery? Chapter 74, the correct way to open a godly man. A sudden sandstorm. On the way to the hotel, Daffy carefully placed his hand on his lap, as if he was afraid that if he wasn't careful he would break the leather seat underneath. In contrast, his girlfriend in Su Yating is quickly adapted to the luxurious environment of the car. Sitting together, you take pictures of me, I take pictures of you, or that from the side of the liquor cabinet out of a few bottles of high-grade red wine, champagne to take a picture of the group photo. But it is a lot of fun. As for my niece, she is now in high spirits due to her sleep on the high-speed train, and she is lying on the window of the train, curiously surveying the scenery outside. Prodigal son, which hotel did you book? This treatment, it's too good. After holding his tongue for a few minutes, Daifei finally couldn't hold back and asked, Iha Aman. Shunlang said, Ha, it's this hotel. Daifei said with a puzzled look on his face, but I did check on Trip before. I didn't see that there was this service. At this moment, the concierge car driver who was driving in the front smiled and said, Sir, actually, our hotel has always had a concierge car service. It's just that it's usually only supplied free of charge to our hotel's platinum level members and above. And members of levels below platinum need to pay for it out of pocket. And the price isn't low. Plus there's no way that our hotel can advertise this service. So you probably haven't heard about it. Hearing this, Daifei couldn't help but wonder. Then how do I become a platinum member of your hotel? The driver replied, it's enough to spend $800,000 a year on housing. Daffy? Next to him, his girlfriends Nana and Su Yating were staggered when they heard it. Daifei couldn't help but spit out, $800,000 a year? Am I out of my mind? Spending so much money to stay in a hotel? With a little more money, I could buy a house and make a down payment. Wait a minute. In the next second, Daifei suddenly realized something and fiercely turned his head to look at Shenlang. So, prodigal son, you've already spent $800,000 in this hotel? Aha. Shenlang nodded. Good guy. Daifei said at once. You've secretly come to the Imperial City to play alone? You even stayed in such a nice hotel. Have you been here many times? And you didn't even call me once? Are you still not a brother? Bull asterisk 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 asterisk. How did I have the money to come to the Imperial City before? Shenlang laughed and scolded. If you hadn't said it this time, I wouldn't have remembered that I hadn't been to the Imperial City even once. Ha? You haven't been here? Daifei's eyes widened. Then how did you become a platinum member? Without waiting for Shenlang to answer, Daifei immediately realized something on his own. Don't tell me that the $800,000 are all from paying for the room this time? Aha. Shenlang smiled and nodded. When I was riding the subway, I saw that this hotel had a courtyard suite with 3 rooms in it, which just happened to be suitable for a few of us. So I booked one. Daffy asked, how many days did you book? How much does that suite cost per day? Shenlang said, booked for a week, 128,000 a day. Daffy, Daffod's girlfriend and Athena Sue, 1,280,000 a day. Booked for a week, that's almost 900,000. Ah, you're really. Daifei suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. Originally, he still felt that the $20,000 travel fund given to him by the chairman was too much. Even if 4 people played for a week in the imperial capital, they would not necessarily spend it all. But it turns out, it's his pattern that's small. $20,000 is nothing. That's not even a fraction of the price of a patio suite for an infat. Half an hour later, the courtesy car slowly pulled up in front of the hotel. Under the warm and gentle reception of the attendant, the group quickly checked in and then the group was taken to the courtyard suite where they stayed. Upon stepping into the courtyard, Daifei then deeply felt the charm of this 1,288,000 a night courtyard. Not to mention the unique courtyard. The key is that there are even rockeries, fish ponds and pavilions. It's a nifty single-family mansion. And located in the middle of the courtyard was the suite they were going to stay in, a set of typical Ming and Qing dynasty courtyard buildings. When you walk into the room, you are greeted by all kinds of ancient decorations, which makes you feel as if you have returned to hundreds of years ago. It feels awesome. After putting the luggage away, the waiter immediately brought the group to the restaurant again, and the executive chef of the restaurant who was responsible for the palace cuisine personally served them an authentic palace meal, which straightened out the several people's backs. When he came out, Daifei quietly asked Shenlang, prodigal son, how much does this meal cost? It's okay, just under 30,000. Daffy? Excuse me, bye. After being shocked once again by Shenlang's large sum of money, Daifei suddenly scratched his head and said, prodigal son, can we exercise a little restraint in the future? I'm a bit flustered that you're suddenly spending money so lavishly. Don't blame me for talking too much. I know you have money in your hand now, but you can't afford to spend it like this. Listening to Daifei this euphemistic advice, Shenlang could not help but laugh. This is not the first time to the Imperial City. It is also with One and they came together. Always have to arrange a little better, is not it? Better, yes, whispered Daffy, surveying the inches of house before him. Just too much money. Don't worry, I have the numbers in my heart. Shenlang smiled and patted Dai Fei's arm, saying, you don't think that the bank cards is all I have, do you, Daffy? Daffy couldn't help but freeze. What do you mean? Dai Fei immediately said. You've made other investments? Shenlang asked. Know what happened in the domestic semiconductor industry a while ago? I know. Dai Fei nodded. Our Xia's semiconductors have finally risen up. What's going on? What does this have to do with you? Of course I have nothing to do with. Shenlang immediately denied. Even if it is related, that is also related to Mr. Shang. With Mishan someone has a hairline relationship. However, I took the opportunity to short those leading semiconductor stocks overseas at the time, and then made a small profit. Crap, you're even playing short? You wait a moment first. Dai Fei took out his cell phone and checked the stock quotes of the overseas semiconductor leaders. And then it turns out that the market capitalization of a bunch of leading tech stocks has plummeted more than 80% in the last half-decade. To be short from the start would simply make a fortune to be. So, how much did you make? Dai Fei put away his cell phone, and by the way, he silently mentally built up in his mind. He felt that, with this 100 million of Shenlang's funds, if they are all taken to short, and then matched with 10 times the leverage, how can earn back a few hundred million to it? Made almost $240 million or so. Not bad. Dai Fei nodded in a pretense of bashfulness. Fortunately, this income did not exceed the range of his mental construction just now. However, in the very next second, Shenlang added, dollars, Daffy? What did you say? Dai Fei instantly felt if he was hallucinating and looked at Shenlang with wide eyes. It's almost like making $240 million. Shenlang repeated with a smile. Daffod, Sigma, eh? Daffy just felt his whole head buzzing. $240 million. This would be converted to soft money. That's over 1.4 billion. Crap. In other words, my buddy is not actually a billionaire anymore, but a billionaire god? Wah, bullskin. Daffy lost his voice as he couldn't hold back a single word. What's going on? What's with the ghost screaming in the middle of the night? Almost scared Wenwen. Nana, her girlfriend who was accompanying Wenwen with Su Yuting to look for stars next to her, couldn't help but pout. Then, when she heard that Shenlang had made more than $1.4 billion by shorting companies such as Rotten Apple Pennycomb, an equally shocked expression appeared on her face. Although, her family was also affluent, and she had never lacked money to spend since she was a child, she knew very well that adding up all the assets in her parents' name, it would only be 60 or 70 million at most. That is to say, compared to Shenlang, their family's assets are not even 1/20th of his. What was even more frightening was that this $1.4 billion or so of Shenlang's was all still cash. As for Su Yuting next to her, after experiencing a short period of shock, the eyes that looked at Shenlang were filled with tenderness, watery, as if they were about to flow out. However, they never dreamed that Shenlang said this number. In fact, also omitted the 10,000 units. If they were to know that what Shenlang had actually earned was not 240 million, but $2.4 trillion, guess they'll just explode in place with excitement. Nana, right at this moment, I only saw Dai Fei suddenly look at his girlfriend in a serious manner and said with a solemn face, I've already considered it. Girlfriend? What? Daffy, let's break up. Girlfriend? Huh? Dai Fei, I suddenly realized that it's actually the prodigal son that I love the most. I've decided to go to Taikoku tomorrow to have an operation, and then go to Shikoku for my entire face. When I come back, I'll marry prodigal son. As for us, let's just be good sisters from now on. Girlfriend, Sigma, eh? The girlfriend froze for a long moment. Then, ******Q. Dead airplane. Stinking airplane. I'll beat you to death. The girlfriend let out a pout, picked up the small backpack in her hand, and hit Dai Fei. Oops, what are you doing? Let's talk this over. Don't hit me. It hurts. Oops, I was wrong. Wife, I was wrong. Stop hitting. Help me. Prodigal son. Hurry up and save me. It's killing me. Domestic violence. Ha 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 ha. Watching Dai Fei being chased and beaten by his girlfriend, Su Yuting and Wenwen on the side of the room burst out laughing with joy. The little guy was laughing and still waving his little hand and yelling, Go Auntie Nana. Over the next few days, a few people took Wenwen around the ancient palace, climbed the Great Wall, and went to the Yuan Ninjuan to pay their respects. A week later, the group checked back into the Imperial Hotel, the closest to Tiananmen Square, and then went to see the flag-raising ceremony the next day. Later that afternoon, the group packed their bags and prepared to check out and leave. As a result, just as he was about to go out, Shenlang suddenly raised his head to look at the sky, only to see a flock of flying birds hurriedly skimming through the sky, rapidly flying away from north to south. After listening sideways for a while, Shenlang retreated back again. Let's stay another day. I don't think we can leave today. Ha? Why? Several people looked at Shenlang with puzzled faces. Shenlang looked at the sky and faintly said, A sandstorm is coming. How is that possible? Dai Fei couldn't help but lose his smile. I read the weather forecast today. It didn't say that. Just because the weather forecast didn't say so, doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen. Shenlang said lightly. Just wait, in another hour, it'll be here. All. Star. Chapter 75, when it's time to strike. The retrograde in the sandstorm. An hour later, the wind is howling. The yellow sand in the sky swept across the entire imperial capital amidst the hissing of the gale. Sandstorm, here it comes. At the same time, text messages warning of the sandstorm began popping up like crazy on everyone's cell phones. The text message said that this is by far the largest sandstorm in the summer country, and that people who are outside must find more shelter in the first place after seeing the text message. At the moment, standing inside the floor-to-ceiling glass windows of the hotel lobby, Dai Fei and the others looked out at the road with less than 30 meters of visibility and were dumbfounded. Several people watched as many speeding vehicles braked hastily and sharply because they couldn't react for a moment, and then crashed hard into each other. There were also some vehicles that were trying to avoid unknown objects swept over by the gusts of wind and couldn't avoid them enough to crash directly into the guardrail, and those riding bicycles and electric cars, but also by this sandstorm rolled to the left and right. Some fell directly to the ground, and then by the gusts of wind wrapped in the road, turning over the heel, cannot stand up. What's more, they were rolled right out into the road. Looking at this scene that was like the end of the world, Dai Fei and the others couldn't help but shrink their heads. Originally, they were going to check out of the room and then go to the nearby snack street to buy some freshly baked imperial snacks, then go to the high-speed train station. If Shenlang hadn't stopped it, I'm afraid that they would have been trapped in this horrible sandstorm by now. Prodigal son, how did you know there was a sandstorm? Dai Fei looked at Shenlang with a shocked face. This is not the time to talk about this. Hurry up and save people. Shenlang quickly came to the front desk. There are people trapped by the sandstorm outside right now. Do you have goggles and other protective gear? I'm going to save people. After hearing that Shenlang wanted to go out on those trapped citizens, the hotel side immediately had people bring several sets of protective equipment from the warehouse. You guys wait over here, I'll be right back. Shenlang took a set and put it on, immediately running towards the outside. As soon as he saw that Shenlang was going to rush out alone, Dai Fei immediately picked up a set of protective equipment and chased after him. Prodigal son, wait for me. Seeing the two men about to go out, the hotel security guard strained to open the locked glass doors of the lobby. However, the hotel security guard apparently underestimated the wind outside a bit. Not bad. By the huge wind force knocked open, the lobby glass door directly thrown on the sidewall. As a huge gust of wind surged in, the yellow sand in the sky also instantly invaded the hall. Many people who were standing inside the hotel lobby were suddenly pounced upon by this hurricane of yellow sand. The dense yellow sand hit his face as if he had been slapped in the face. What is more painful is that the sand and dust that is wrapped up in the wind will also try desperately to get into one's eyes and neck and mouth and eyes. Shenlang's quick eyes and hands immediately held the glass door and pushed it back. Quick! A few more people. Under Shenlang's loud rebuke, several men in the lobby hesitated for a moment before walking over and holding the door. After moving his position out of the way, Shenlang patted one of the men and said, "Several big brothers, remember to open the door for us when we come back with the people later. Airplanes, go, coming." At this time, Dai Fei had also already put his protective gear on, and immediately answered at his words and followed him. At that moment, the voices of Su Yuting and Dai Fei's girlfriend came from the back. Shenlang, Dai Fei. There was even Wen Wen's uneasy voice. Uncle. The two Shenlangs turned around in unison and gave a yay gesture towards them before rushing out of the hotel. Seeing that someone was actually going to run out and save the day, some of the people in the hall went to the floor-to-ceiling windows to look at them, and some even took out their cell phones, pointed them at them, and took videos. Wah! As soon as he rushed out of the hotel, a huge crosswind suddenly whistled from the side. Dai Fei was caught off guard for a moment and was pushed to stagger, and if it wasn't for the quick-eyed Shenlang pulling a hand, I'm afraid that he would have to fall directly to the ground. Shenlang came to Dai Fei's ear and yelled, "Airplanes, go back and remember to replenish your kidneys. Legs so soft. Scram!" Dai Fei grabbed Shenlang's arm with one hand to stabilize himself, and raised his middle finger with one hand now. "Ha ha ha, you hold on to me, don't let go." Shenlang roared in Dai Fei's ear, then turned around and fronted against the gale, then patted the back don't, signaling Dai Fei to grab hold of himself. The two men then presented a rear stand, with one man forward and one man behind him, trudging toward the pedestrian who had been blown to the edge of the flower bed 5 meters away. Walking to the other side, Shenlang looked at it. It was an old man, covering his face and trembling. He immediately came up to the other man's ear and said, "How are you, Grandpa? Are there any injuries?" When he heard the voice, that grandpa raised his head, and just opened his mouth. A stream of yellow sand came straight over and pounced into his mouth. PFFFFFFFF. Moncler Outlet Store immediately covered his face and shook his head and coughed.
Seeing that the grandpa was unable to speak, Shen Lang immediately murmured in his mind, "Xiao AI, activate the mechanical bee and scan it. The target has no signs of broken bones or fractures. In addition, have the other mechanical bees stay on guard at all times. Once you sense danger, immediately activate the energy barrier." "Yes, master." With AI's fall, the 6 mechanical bees in the hive ring flew out silently, 5 of which hovered around Shen Lang and Dai Fei to enter a state of alert, while the other landed in front of the grandfather's body to activate the scanning state. "Master, the target has a fracture in his right calf. The rest is fine." "Fractured bones?" Shen Lang nodded in understanding and once again came to the Moncler outlet store ear. "Moncler, do you have pain in your legs? Nod your head if it does." The other party wanted to open his eyes to look at Shen Lang, but as soon as he slightly opened his eyes, the pervasive sand and dust would immediately want to drill into them, so he could only tightly close his eyes again and nod his head. "I'll carry you on my back later. You just have to relax and then hold on to me and hide your head behind me. You hear me?" Moncler Outlet Online nodded again. "Airplanes, there may be a fracture in Moncler Outlet Store the lower leg. Later, I'll carry the grandpa on my back, and you hold it at the back, or I'll top in front and we'll go backward. Understand?" "Understood." Dai Fei immediately nodded. Afterwards, Shen Lang and Dai Fei together helped Moncler Outlet Online him up, and he obediently squatted in front of him and carried him on his back. 1, 2, 3, go! Afterwards, Shen Lang continued to stand against the gale in front, and Dai Fei half-supported Moncler Outlet Store him in the back, retreating step by step toward the hotel lobby, a short distance of 5 meters. In normal times, it might be 3 or 2 steps away, but now, such a short distance, it was hard to walk for more than 10 seconds. When they saw Shen Lang carrying a person on his back and came to the glass door, the several big brothers inside immediately exposed the door to just enough space for a person to enter. The crowd in the hall couldn't help but applaud when they saw that the 2 men had actually saved a man. Shen Lang slowly put Moncler Outlet Store down and said toward the several big brothers who came over to take over, "The right lower leg of the Moncler Outlet Store may be fractured. You guys be careful. Close the door and let's go on to pick up the next one." After saying that, and without waiting for the crowd to react, Shen Lang took Dai Fei and left the hotel door again. As time passed, the sandstorm got worse and visibility gradually shortened from the original 30 meters to 20, then 10. By the end of the day, there were only 5 meters left. Meanwhile, people continued to be rescued to the hotel lobby. 1, 2, 3, 10, 15, 20. Unconsciously, 2 whole hours passed, and the number of people who had been saved by Shen Lang and Dai Fei had exceeded 35. Just after Lian Gan had safely returned the 36th person to the hotel, the dust storm, which had been raging for more than 2 full hours, seemed to have had its fill, and the winds were rapidly diminishing. As the wind weakened, the yellow sand particles that filled the sky gradually began to diminish. Seeing this scene, Shen Lang knew that the crisis was lifted, and sighed in relief. "It's finally over." Plop! Next to him, after hearing Shen Lang's words, Dai Fei was even more directly sitting on his but on the ground, and then the whole person lay down on his back. "Ouch, tired dad." Hearing Dai Fei's slightly rough exclamation, all around, everyone couldn't help but reveal a heartfelt smile. Pop, snap, snap. As one person clapped, everyone in the room raised their hands as if they were instantly infected. The next second, the applause was thunderous. "2 handsome guys, good job, ha ha ha, oh heroes, you guys are the best, hats off to you." Just as the crowd applauded, Su Yating and Nana squeezed into the crowd with Wunwun. "Uncle!" Wunwun even ignored Shen Lang, who was covered in yellow sand, and jumped into his arms. Then, Su Yating couldn't contain her inner excitement and hugged up as well. On the other side, Daffy's girlfriend had also long since jumped into his arms. Seeing this scene, the applause at the scene became more and more enthusiastic. The hotel then immediately provided the 2 men with rooms free of charge for them to shower and change. Afterwards, when the hotel party was cleaning, they found that there were 2 or 3 pounds of yellow sand scattered in the place where the 2 people changed their clothes. And at this time, on the internet, countless netizens are discussing the worst dust storm in history. Wah! Did you guys see the news? A sandstorm broke out over in the imperial capital. They say it's still the strongest sandstorm ever. Knew it a long time ago. I just saw the news. And it's rumored that the situation over in the imperial capital is very serious. This sandstorm came too suddenly, didn't it? Surprisingly, there was no advance warning. It was said that there was already a warning, but at that time the meteorological office predicted only a slight dust storm, but it was not expected that the slight dust storm was suddenly struck by 2 convective weather powerful impacts when approaching the imperial capital, and then instantly turned from a slight dust storm into a sandstorm. I just watched the live TV broadcast and that sandstorm was horrible. You couldn't see anything 3 meters away from the camera. Right, not to mention this sandstorm, just this wind alone. It's typhoon level, right?
This is too terrifying. Hey, I don't know if anything will happen to anyone. Let's hope everyone will be safe. In the midst of all the chatter, someone suddenly sent up a link to a video with the tagline retrograde in a sandstorm. Friends, come and see. There's something big here. Many people have clicked in when they saw this. Oh look, what are those two doing? They're running out in a sandstorm of this magnitude? Do they want to die? Ouch, that dude has cowhide. He even gave Sandstorm the middle finger? Ha ha ha, there's personality. I like it. At first, these people thought that the two people in the video were going outside to die, but soon, when they saw the two people carrying an old man back to the hotel, they then realized, wah, these two dudes, they're actually there to save the day? Chapter 76, the whole internet explodes. Surge, the hero is gone? As you can see from the shaky footage, the filmmaker's technique is actually very amateurish, and combined with that not so high definition footage, it's actually very uncomfortable to watch. If it were any other day, I'm afraid the netizens would have turned it off and left, maybe even cursed. What a bull video. But at this point, no one has pressed the fork. Everyone gathered their voices and looked at the screen. The two people who were struggling to walk in the wildly dancing yellow sand in the sky. Just about everyone was watching. The two men found a fallen person and then seemed to exchange a few words before they saw the two men slowly pick the man up off the ground before one of them bent down to the other and put him on his back before repeating his previous forward stance and slowly walking backwards towards the screen camera. And so, after 10 seconds or so, the two finally trudged back to the clear glass door, along with a burst of applause and cheers coming from the video. All the netizens outside the screen also cheered. Wah, cowhide. I can't believe they actually went out to rescue people. Is this video real? Is it really what just happened? It must be true. That one seems to be on the road near the Heavenly Press Gate. That's the Tudor Hotel. Look at the name of the hotel plastered all over that glass door. It's just in the opposite direction. That one must be what just happened. Originally, the netizens thought that the rescue operation in this sandstorm had been a complete success. But then, to their surprise, in the screen, the masked man who had carried the person back suddenly said, "You guys be careful. Close the door. Let's go on to get the next one." Upon hearing this, the netizens froze. Wah, what do you mean? They're even going out to save the next one? This is too dangerous. I'll go. Quick look, that billboard was blown over. If this were to hit someone, they'd be split in half. Just as the netizens were talking, the two people in the screen turned their heads away from the screen once more without looking back. Then, everyone watched them, one after the other, half crouching their bodies, staring at the overwhelming gusts of wind wrapped in yellow sand, slowly squirming forward like tortoises. If it were normal, I'm afraid that many people would have laughed at such a hilarious action of the two. But at this moment, all those who are watching this video, not a single person is laughing. What's more, some of the emotionally charged ones even started to turn slightly red in their eyes. God, but bless these two. Don't let anything happen to them. God bless. God forbid. Just as the crowd watched and prayed, the two men successfully rescued another fallen man and then slowly backed away again to return him safely to the hall. Next is the third, and then the fourth. Just then, someone suddenly seemed to make a new discovery. Wah, the sandstorm outside seems to be getting worse. Right, I noticed that too. It seemed like I could see that stoplight in the distance just now, and now I can't see it at all. It feels as if the wind is stronger too. The crowd saw that as the wind and sand grew stronger and stronger. In the screen, the movements of those two people became slower and slower, and their sight became weaker and weaker. Oftentimes, two people disappear into the screen once they are a few meters away. Everyone can't even see where they've been or what's happening. Whenever this happens, many people subconsciously clench their fists and their hearts are clenched. And every time they saw those two emerge unharmed into the screen, they breathed another fierce sigh of relief. And so, again and again, they watched as the two disappeared into that terrible sandstorm, and then appeared again and again with their backs to the wall. A lot of people look at it and get red-eyed. Many watched and shed tears, and so they watched all the way until they saw them safely bring the 36th man back to the hall. Then they heard someone inside say that the wind and sand outside seemed to have weakened. It was only then that Netflix looked away. Then he saw that the original sky full of yellow sand couldn't see too far at all and gradually began to clear up again. Just then, a voice suddenly came from the screen. Ouch, tired dad. As the screen shook, the next second, the camera of the screen moved along with the sound. The netizens then saw that one of those masked men, who was at that moment lying on his back on all fours, was obviously the one who had just said those words. The next second, the screen erupted in applause. At the same time, on the screen of this video, a wave of pop-ups came furiously. Wah, brothers, cowhide, ha ha ha, that's the nicest thing I've ever heard a self-proclaimed dad say. No blowing, dude, if I were younger, I'd take you as my godfather. Listening to the voice, This dude doesn't seem too old. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. I just happen to have a sister. As they were talking, several people came in from outside the frame and jumped right on top of the two. Gotta. My sister's out of luck. Ha ha ha. Isn't it normal for such an excellent man to have a girlfriend? Right. And can afford to stay at the Imperial Hotel, which costs several $1,000s a night. Rich and nice. It'd be a hell if he doesn't have a girlfriend. And that's where the video officially ends. But while the dust storm that had ravaged the entire imperial capital was beginning to recede, the storm that this video had created was just beginning. Brothers, I have an idea. We can't let heroes like this go silent. More people should see this video. Haha, I've forwarded this link to all my friend groups. I just reposted him on our school forum. I've already transferred a portion of the interception to Quick Shake. So, with the spontaneous spreading of this first batch of netizens who had seen the video, it soon appeared on all the major text and video sharing platforms such as Scarf, Quick Shake, and Little Broken Station. And with that, the whole internet blew up. Wah, someone actually ran out to rescue someone in this horrible sandstorm weather? 2 hours. 36 people. Kneel for these two brothers. Guys, no more talking. Send them on a search fever. If this news doesn't take the #1 spot on the hot search, there's just no reason. Haha, that's right. Send them up. So, as more and more netizens joined in, soon the video of the rescue and some related topics were on the hot search. Hashtag retrogrades in a sandstorm. Hashtag 2 hours. 2 people. 36 lives saved. Hashtag ouch. 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 Hashtag giving the middle finger to the sandstorm hashtag. As the related topic hit the hot search, more and more netizens began to pay attention to the video and in turn clicked in to watch it. And then hot tears ensued as I joined in the help-top action. In just half an hour, Sha Baozhong's retrograde will be strong on top, dominating the major platforms all the hot search list first. As for a few other topics, they are also firmly in the foreground. The most people can't help but laugh, or that sentence ouch hey, exhausted dad. Surprisingly, it directly dominated the second place of the hot search list, and even vaguely want to overtake the first place signs. As this video became more and more popular, many netizens have launched an online appeal to find these two heroes. These two heroes should still be at the Imperial Hotel. Just go straight over there. I look forward to these two brothers appearing in the news. I wonder if these two heroes are handsome. No matter what they look like, they are the most handsome. That said, isn't it obvious if they are good looking or not? Just look at their female friends. There shouldn't be too many ugly guys with such pretty girlfriends. I don't know what he looks like, but he's still quite fit. And to be able to save 36 people in a row in that horrible sandstorm, that stamina is absolutely awesome. I envy their girlfriends. They must be very happy. Crap, it feels like it's mixed in with something weird. This nigga. People are talking serious. Why did they suddenly start driving? Ahem. Pay attention haha. There's a little kid in the video. Older drivers, watch your speed. Don't even race. Seriously. Everyone get your asses in gear and go post more messages. Get those media out there. Soon. Such an appeal was quickly brought to the attention of major media outlets. It didn't take long for a large group of media reporters to swarm to the Imperial Capital Hotel. At this time, there were still many people lingering in the lobby of the Imperial Capital Hotel. Many of them are just getting ready to move in today. Just at that moment, they saw a large group of reporters pouring in from outside. Immediately after identifying themselves, these journalists began questioning and interviewing some of the people staying in the hall. Hello guys, have you seen these two men in this video? Upon hearing this question, everyone understood that they had come to find the two heroes. They should be back in their rooms. The hotel gave them rooms to shower in. Right. You guys just asked the person in charge of the hotel. After getting their answer, the journalists immediately approached the person in charge of the hotel. After learning that these people were here to find Shenlang and the others, the person in charge of the hotel immediately brought the reporters to the room they had arranged for Shenlang and the others to take a bath and change clothes, knocked on the door and found the room door open. After calling out a few times and getting no reply, the person in charge pushed open the door and walked in. A group of reporters followed. Going in, the room was empty. What's going on? Where is everybody? The head of the hotel came to the TV cabinet. On the floor in front of the TV cabinet, there was a thick layer of yellow sand, which should have spilled from their bodies when they were changing clothes. Just then, the front desk suddenly called, saying that they had found an envelope containing money on the counter, which seemed to have been left behind by the two guests. The group immediately rushed to the front desk, and before they left, a couple of reporters photographed the pile of yellow sand in the room. The person in charge came to the counter and picked up the letter, only to see that the envelope read, "Sorry for dirtying the room. I've bothered the hotel to clean it up. If the cleaning fee is not enough, please contact me."
The person in charge opened the envelope and inside was placed exactly $500.
Everyone froze when they saw this scene. Several reporters grabbed their cameras and silently filmed the text and the $500. Star. Chapter 77. Searching for people all over the net. Heroes must not be left in obscurity. At this time, on the high-speed train that had departed for Yongchang, Daffy grinned as he swiped through the video. Ha 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 ha, this bunch of sand sculpture netizens. They thought that middle finger of mine was directed at the sandstorm. Not to mention, prodigal son. Doesn't this action of mine look particularly handsome? Are you impressed? Ouch I go. My phrase I'm exhausted dad even made it to the hot search? This generation of netizens has good taste. Wahahahahaha. Looking at her boyfriend's gorgeous look, Nana on the side gave him a blank look without any good manners, snatched his cell phone, and said with a stern face, smile 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 just know how to smile. Do you know how worried I was about you at that time? Such a big sandstorm. Even the street lampposts were blown askew. What would you have me do if you had? You? As she spoke, her girlfriend's eyes began to redden and her tone became choked. Dai Fei took a look and immediately panicked and went up to take her into his arms. I was wrong. Wife, I was wrong. I promise there definitely won't be a next time. To be honest, looking back on it now, Dai Fei was also a bit scared. In fact, at that time, there were several times that he was almost swept away by the sandstorm, and it was Shen Lang who tugged him in time to be safe and sound. Just that the video did not capture the scene. Therefore, when he saw so many netizens in the video calling themselves heroes, Dai Fei was actually a little ashamed in his heart, because he felt that he was actually dragging Shen Lang's feet. But what can one do? One couldn't just stand by and watch Shen Lang rush into the sandstorm alone, right? If Shen Lang had an accident inside the sandstorm, what the hell face would he have left to live? However, it had to be said that when it came to coaxing girls, Dai Fei was still quite good at it. With his calming presence, his girlfriend's emotions finally slowed down. Watching his girlfriend recover emotionally, Dai Fei threw a dejected look to Shen Lang next to him. What's up? I'm a cowboy, aren't I? I'll be done in a minute. Seeing the dejected look that Dai Fei flung over, Shen Lang couldn't help but smile heartily. As a brother who grew up together since childhood, Shen Lang certainly understood Dai Fei's feelings. When he saw that Dai Fei didn't even think about following himself out to save people, Shen Lang knew very well in his heart that he was actually worried about himself, afraid that something would happen if he went out alone. In all fairness, Shen Lang felt that Dai Fei was braver than him, because Shen Lang himself knows very well, take the life spring water as mineral water to drink, and ate the heart of the tree people and health pills of his own. In terms of physical quality has long since evolved towards superhuman, coupled with nano armor protection. Not to mention sandstorms, even if the sky and the earth are crumbling, he can be safe and sound. But what about Dai Fei? There is nothing to rely on, just with a sense of brotherhood to follow out. In fact, Dai Fei didn't know that if it wasn't for the past few days in the imperial capital, Shen Lang had taken watered-down life spring water to him every day, he simply wouldn't have been able to hold out for so long in the sandstorm. Shen Lang only felt that it was truly worth it to have such a good brother in his life. Right at this moment, Shen Lang's voice came from Xiao Ai's ear. Master, the Imperial Capital Hotel called. Access. With Shen Lang's silent recitation, the cell phone in his pocket then rang. Shen Lang picked up the phone. Hello, is this Mr. Shen Langshan? It's me. Hello Mr. Shen. I'm the general manager of the Imperial Capital Hotel. My name is Yi. I'm sorry to take the liberty of calling you. It's like this. Our staff just realized that you left a letter at our front desk. It's good that you guys received it, Shen Lang said with a smile. I'm sorry, we didn't expect to have so much mud on us. That money is for the hotel's cleanup fee. You account for it. If it's not enough, I'll call you again. No, Mr. Shen. I don't mean that. We can't accept this money from you. When the other party heard this, he quickly said, you and your friend were so brave to save more than 30 people. If we still accept this money from you, then if word gets out, we will be poked in the back by the whole country. Shen Lang smiled and said, one size does not fit all. Your hotel opens its doors for business. It is supposed to make money. It has nothing to do with whether we save people or not. That won't do, Mr. Shen. The chairman of our hotel has already sent word that we absolutely cannot accept this money. Seeing that the other party's attitude is so resolute, Shen Lang did not insist. That's fine. Turn around your side directly back to my account on the line. Okay. The other party immediately responded. Then he added, there's one more thing, Mr. Shen. Shen Lang asked, what is it? It's like this. Right now there are many reporters coming from our hotel side. They want to interview you about you and your friend's rescue in the sandstorm. I wonder where you are right now. Is it convenient to accept the interview? Shen Lang froze for a moment. An interview? Dai Fei, who was on the side, heard it and asked curiously, what interview? Shen Lang said,
The hotel side said a reporter wants to interview us about saving people in the sandstorm.
Are you interested? No no no. Dai Fei shook his head repeatedly. Just kidding. I'm having a hard time getting my girlfriend to do that. What if you hear me talking about this and you cry again? It's not like you have to work hard to coax yourself again. Shen Lang immediately said into the microphone. I'm sorry, Mr. Yi, please tell those reporters that my friend and I are already on the high-speed train back home, so I'm afraid it's not convenient to accept the interview. Ha? You're getting on the high-speed train so soon? The other party was obviously a bit surprised. Well, I received a text message when I finished showering. Our high-speed train was delayed by 3 hours. The time is just right. Shen Lang said. My friend still has to work next week, and my niece has to go to kindergarten. It's been a lot of days since she came out, and she misses her mom and grandma and them, so she went back. Mr. Shen. Just then, another voice came from the other side of the microphone. Hello, I'm a reporter from the CCTV. My name is Wang Bo. There are many netizens on the internet right now who are paying attention to you and your friend's heroic actions in the sandstorm this time. If it's not convenient to interview you in person, a video interview will do. Do you think it's okay? Hello reporter Wang. We've seen the comments from the netizens, and we're happy to get so many compliments and affirmations. And my friend was just thinking about how handsome he was at that time with that middle finger gesture. But it's over and everyone is safe and sound. So I think this is over and there's no need to take up any more of everyone's public resources. Now that the sandstorm has just passed, every aspect of the people of the imperial capital has definitely been affected. And I hope that we can pay more attention to their difficulties and help them return to normal life as soon as possible. After hearing Shen Lang's words, the section of the microphone fell into a short silence. The next second, there was a burst of applause from the microphone. And then, more applause. Well said. Oh benefactor, why are you going back so soon? I haven't even properly repaid you for saving my life. I left my phone number at the hotel. Hero, you must call me next time you're here. I'll treat you to dinner. Shen Lang? What the hell? Why are there so many people over there? That, Mr. Shen. At this time, that Titus Hotelia's voice came over. That, sorry, I just turned on the speakerphone, and then on my side. In addition to my reporter friends, there are many citizens who were saved by you. Shen Lang couldn't help but be dumbfounded for a while. Thanks guys. It's good that everyone is safe and sound. After chatting with the other party for a few sentences, Shen Lang ended the call. Uncle just then, the niece on the side suddenly called out to Shen Lang. What's wrong? Shen Lang looked at the little one. You're a big hero. The niece gave a thumbs up towards Shen Lang. Looking at the way the little guy gave a thumbs up fussily, Shen Lang couldn't help but be stunned, and then revealed a heartfelt smile. At that moment, Dai Fei, who was next to him, said unwillingly, what about me? What about me? One. Your airplane uncle also followed along and went out to save people. You can't just give credit to your uncle and forget about your airplane uncle. Kudos to you too, Uncle Airplane. The little guy's eyes darted around and gave a thumbs up towards Dai Fei. You're a big dog bear. Cluck 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 cluck. At first, Dai Fei was also happy and ready to wait for the little guy to praise him, but the result was not expected to hear the last surprisingly big dog bear 3 words. Several little things. How dare you tease your Uncle Airplane? See if Uncle Airplane doesn't tickle you. Ouch. Help. One is afraid of tickling. Auntie, help me. Auntie, come and help me. For a while, inside the carriage, there was a burst of laughter. However, it was fortunate that there were only a few of them in the business class at this stop. Otherwise, I was afraid that they would have to be complained about. And just as Shen Lang and his group were talking and laughing as they headed home, Shen Lang in the hotel as well as the reporter of this call was also released online in its entirety. With this together with the release of Up, and the room of the layer of thick yellow sand, as well as containing $500 of the new seal. Netizens couldn't help but break their defenses when they read this and saw the pile of yellow sand and the paragraph written on the new seal. Wah, that thick layer of yellow sand, this has to be several pounds. Didn't the OP say so? The hotel attendant waited after cleaning it up. It was almost 3 pounds. Ouch. The words on this envelope are too damn poking. I've broken my defense directly. Ouch. Little brother's voice can be too good. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. It's okay to have it. I can make peace with it. Subsequently, many netizens saw the reporter sent a video interview invitation to the other side. Originally thought that the next will be able to see the 2 rescue of the little brother, but the results did not expect. The other side is actually to things have ended. There is no need to go to occupy everyone's public resources on the grounds of the reason to give a refusal. Now the netizens are excited. Asterisk. What the hell is this taking up public resources? This is clearly a legitimate use of public resources. When I heard him say that, I really blushed for the celebrities who don't want to take up public resources but keep on hyping. Ha! What kind of bull asterisk star is worthy of being compared to these two heroes? Guys, what about heroes who don't want to take up public resources and won't show up? Do they say they don't want to? This time, I don't agree. That's right. Heroes must not be allowed to remain so obscure. That's right. Make sure the whole country recognizes them. For a while, this group of netizens began to frantically search for people all over the internet. Their slogan is, heroes should never be left in obscurity. Star. Chapter 78 Shin mother shocked, husband. Our son is on the news. Once upon a time, there were many so-called social elites and publicist verses who thought that Xia's netizens were a group of spectators who only knew how to chase gossip. They openly mocked the Xia netizens as a group of scattered sand, doing nothing, eating melon first place. However, as time passed and as the internet became more and more popular, the netizens of Xia began to grow up. By now, the netizens of Xia have long since ceased to be the group of spectators who only ate melon and chased gossip 10 years ago. They yearn for fairness and justice through the internet, and even more so, they yearn to see all sorts of wonderful beings through the internet and are willing to praise them, sing their praises and guard them. That's why, when they saw the video of the walker in the sandstorm and the subsequent video sent by the reporter, saw the thick pile of yellow sand in the hotel room, and the paragraph on the envelope and the $500, see the video of the Mr. Shin did not want to take up public resources and politely declined an interview with the reporter. They all broke defense. Try asking. If you don't put a hero like that on the hot seat, if we don't make such a hero a big household name, so what's the point of having this internet? Heroes shouldn't be silent. With such a trend of conviction, this group of netizens, once mocked as a scattered bunch, instantly came together. Then, for the first time, the entire summer internet appreciated the power of netizens. 3 minutes later, the first of the Bib Hot list was taken. From Hot 100 to Hot 20. All on the topic of retrogrades and sandstorms. Hashtag 3 pounds of yellow sand in the hotel hashtag. Hashtag a $500 letter of apology hashtag. Hashtag please don't waste public resources for us hashtag. And so on related topics with amazing hotness instantly dominated the top 20 hot searches. After a few more minutes, the top 20 of the Quick Shake Hot 100 list was also successfully taken. Then again, the hot search list of the small broken station, Donyang search, net depression, Penguin and so on video sites and social platforms also all fell. This horrible heat and ability to dominate the charts instantly blew up the entire internet. Wah, what is this? Which movie is this coming out? Marketing it so hard? Gross a movie. Are you from Mars? Don't you know that the worst sandstorm in history broke out in the imperial capital today? I know, but what's that got to do with it? Two buddies rushed into a sandstorm with less than 3 meters of visibility and winds that could knock down a street lamppost and rescued 36 people in 2 hours. That's what the hot search is saying right now. Wah, seriously? Crap. Look at the video. So many media outlets are broadcasting it. As time passes, more and more netizens are seeing these hot news. These two dudes cowhide. I can't believe he took it upon himself to leave a letter of apology and $500 because he got sand on his body that fell on his hotel room. Seeing this, I broke my defense. I'm sorry I was wrong. I had thought it was someone who paid for a hot search again. It's me being shallow. But from now on, count me in. Must top the heat. Let more people see it. That's right. Heroes can't be silent like this. More people should see them. Just under this wave of heat that swept across the internet. Soon enough, someone recognized the identities of those two people in the video. At 6:30 p.m. Within Shen Lang's high school classmate group, a classmate suddenly sent a video link up. At Su Yuting class flower. Is this person in the video you? Curious. What video? Without waiting for Su Yuting to reply, the other students gathered around curiously. This video looks so familiar. It seems to be that retrograde in the sandstorm video in the hot search, right? Yeah. I watched that video too. What the hell? Is the class flower in the video too? Why didn't I realize? You move the progress to the end. It's right at the last second or two. There are two girls running from off camera and jumping into the arms of those two retrogrades. When I look at the backs, one of them looks a lot like the class president. I also felt like Banana at first, but thinking about it, shouldn't class flower still be in school right now? It's unlikely that she would be in the Imperial City, so I didn't care. Crap, guys, I've made a new discovery. You guys put on your headsets and watch this video again. Just watch the last few seconds. Before this girl ran over, I did hear what sounded like someone calling Shen Lang. Shen Lang? Master Wave? I'll go. So one of the pairs is the class flower and Master Wave? At Su Yuting at Shen Lang really? If Shen Lang's high school classmates were still just guessing, then his elementary and middle school classmates were quite certain after seeing this video. This is definitely Nana and Daffy. I just went out and colored my hair with Nana last month, and that's her hair color and style. Ha ha ha, that one lying on the ground on all fours is definitely Daifei. I recognized that kid's voice as soon as I heard it. And who's that guy next to him? Who else could it be? The only one who could make him put his life on the line like that is his best friend. Shun Lang. Ha ha, that's Shun Lang. That little kid is his niece. I've seen it in Dai Fei's circle of friends before. It's super cute. What F***CK? So those two retrogrades that set the internet on fire are Shun Lang and Dai Fei? Our classmates? At Shun Lang at Daffy at Nana come out. Big heroes. Hurry up and come out to clarify if it's you guys in the video? Without further ado, let's salute our two heroic classmates. Inside a villa in the Huangshan Green Court neighborhood in Beiluan, Yongchang, Zhejiang Province, Gao Gao, Wen's little sister, was playing with blocks in the toy area of the living room, and next to her, her dad was playing with her blocks while she swiped through a small video. Just then, Gao Gao's father suddenly came across a commentary video titled The Retrograde in the Imperial City Sandstorm, which couldn't help but pique his interest. Just a short while ago, he saw on the news that this dust storm in the imperial capital was very powerful, both in terms of wind and destructive power, the most powerful ever. When he saw the two men in the video risking being swept away by the sandstorm to rescue citizen after citizen from the sandstorm, he couldn't help but praise well done. Dad, are you watching soccer again? Not building blocks with me properly again. Next to him, Gao Gao's little friend plugged her little barrel waist and protested. Daddy wasn't watching football. Daddy is watching the heroes. Looking at the little baby who was already pouting and ready to tattle to her mom, Daddy Gao Gao immediately said, "Here, two heroes are saving people. It's dangerous." When Gao Gao heard this, she immediately asked nervously, "Huh? Why? What happened? Will the hero be alright?" Daddy doesn't know either. Daddy's worried too. Why don't you take a look with your daddy? Yeah. So, at Dad's lull, Gao Gao put down the blocks in his hand, climbed up to sit on Dad's lap, and then stared intently at the screen. Every time, when Gao Gao saw the two men on the screen save a person, Gao Gao couldn't help but clap her little hands. And then when she saw the two masked heroes leave to save another person, her two little hands couldn't help but squeeze together. Because it's a video clip and because it was made in fast forward, this video isn't very long. When they saw the end, when the two masked heroes fell to the ground to rest, Gao Gao and Papa were uncharacteristically relieved. Just then, a small figure suddenly rushed into the screen, accompanied by a cry of uncle, and jumped into the arms of one of the masked heroes. At the sight of this tiny figure, Gao Gao immediately shouted in excitement, "One! It's One! Dad, it's One!" Gao Gao's father was puzzled. Could you have recognized the wrong person? Why is One in the Imperial City? How could I be mistaken? I'm One's good sister, Gao Gao said proudly. One didn't come to school this week. I asked Ms. Chi, and she said that One went on a trip to the Imperial capital. So it must be One. If you don't believe me, you can call her and ask her. Gao Gao's father cried and laughed. Where did I get the phone? I did, Gao Gao said as she bounced into her room and pulled out a little genius phone watch. Gao Gao's dad? Let me call One and ask. Gao Gao incomparably skillfully scratched out his address book, found the contact identified as One, and pressed the call button. As a result, the cell phones of Shen Lang and his party attracted a variety of friends and family who were bombarded. Countless friends and relatives who recognized them in the video have sent them confidence or called them directly to confirm if the people in the video are them. Even Vin got several little genius calls from kindergartners. In response to the inquiries of these friends and family, Shen Lang and the others did not deny it and directly confirmed that it was them. So, a few people's friend circles all blew up. Then a couple of sexually offbeat classmates even ran off to pretend to be on the internet. What dash asterisk 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 asterisk? What F asterisk CK? So the retrograde in this sandstorm is actually my high school classmate. Wahahahaha, all get out of the way. I'm going to pretend. Gentlemen, the bright people don't talk in the dark. Want to know the contact information of these two retrogrades? Call me Dad and I'll tell you. Because I'm their middle school classmate. Ha 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 ha, 7:15 p.m. After counting the inventory of the supermarket warehouse, Shen's father and mother returned home, warmed up the leftovers from lunch and ate them. Shen father's nature is more urgent. 3 mouthfuls and 2 mouthfuls to dry, and then went to the restroom to take a shower. Shen mother, on the other hand, ate slowly and methodically while watching a news broadcast. Soon, the host was seen speaking with a solemn face about this terrible sandstorm disaster that had occurred in the imperial capital this afternoon. In the midst of this terrible sandstorm, there were 2 young men who rushed into the sandstorm without regard for their own safety and managed to save 36 citizens trapped in the sandstorm in just 2 hours. Watch a video next. Looking at it, Shen mother only felt that these 2 people in the video looked familiar, until the end of the video, when One rushed into the screen and jumped into the masked man's arms. Shen mother's head boomed. A blank slate. Husband. In the next second, Mother Shen lost her voice and screamed up. What? What happened? Hearing the commotion, Shen's father,
who was just halfway through his bath and hadn't had time to wash the foam off, flung on his clothes and rushed out from inside with an iron basin. "Son," Shun's mother pointed at the TV and said excitedly, "Our son. It's on the newscast." "Father Shun? Star. Chapter 79, Wah? He's still a billionaire?" Although it is already the age of network information, and smartphones have been largely popularized, there are still some people who do not pay much attention to the information on the internet. For example, Shun's father and mother. For one thing, because of their age, they would not have been in the habit of using their cell phones to access the internet every day. Secondly, it was because both of them were busy and lightly counting the inventory of the supermarket warehouse, and they didn't have time to idly look at their cell phones or anything, so naturally, they didn't have the chance to see those hot news. If they hadn't watched the newscast, I'm afraid they wouldn't have known until now that their son had become a hero. And like Shun's father and mother, who knew about the retrograde travelers in the sandstorm through the news broadcast, there are actually many more. Ouch. These two guys are awesome. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. These two young men saved 36 people at once. It's simply a great merit. It's really scary to be unprotected in such horrible sandstorm weather. Those sands will try to get into you in every possible way. Mouths, noses, ears and even eyes. As long as there's a slight gap, they'll pour in like crazy. If it's minor, it's fine. But if it's serious and the sand blocks your windpipe, it could kill you. And all sorts of things that get swept up in this wild powder, like those street lampposts, billboards, the slightest accidental hit could kill you. So yeah, these two young men are real heroes, compared to the offline hot discussion. At this time in the network, the netizens chat that is even more lively. Wahahahaha, families, good news. The newscast has just reported about the retrograde walkers in the sandstorm. Now, those two heroes are really going to be known nationwide. Saw it. I even made a point of calling my parents over to see it. They were all shook up too. Ha 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 ha. Now that it's even been reported on the newscast, there should be people who know them who will see it. I guess it won't be long before someone publicizes their identity. Wasn't it already there? I saw someone on the scarf even private message me earlier saying that if I gave him $100, he'd send me the contact information of those two heroes. That kind of poser is a scam. You don't really believe that, do you? Wah. Just then, a netizen suddenly posted a few screenshots and said, just now, a few play netizens who claim to be junior high school classmates of those two retrograde heroes posted a few photos online, saying that the one standing next to them in the photos is that retrograde. Really? It's not another traffic scam, is it? It doesn't feel like a fake. Look for yourselves. There's a girl in there with the exact same hair color and body as one of the retrograde heroes' girlfriends in the video. Let's see. Ouch. It's still true. Wow. Another person has popped a picture. This time it looks like it's from a high school classmate of another retrograde hero. He said they just had a reunion over New Year's. The other girl in the video is the class president of their high school. Wow. Those two retrogrades look pretty cool. No heavenly reason. So handsome and nice. Why didn't you let me meet him sooner? That's just it. Why is it that all the good men have already been laid? Sad. Wah-aha. Found their names. One is called Shun Lang. One is called Dai Fei. Ha ha. Finally got them out. Say, do the two heroes ever have public social accounts? Scarf quick shake or something, so I can go and fan one. Seems like no yay. Their classmate said that these two usually seldom play those things, and they even seldom post their friend circles. Not bad for a hero. A maverick indeed. As time passed, on the network, some things about Shun Lang and Dai Fei began to appear one after another. For example, Shun Lang and Dai Fei were in the same class from kindergarten all the way to middle school. For example, Dai Fei's girlfriend was their classmate in elementary and junior high school. However, in comparison, the most fascinating thing is what happened to Shun Lang in his senior year of high school after his family's change of heart. The netizens only know that the original Shun Lang's father in his senior year of high school when he got a serious illness spent all of the family's savings and owed a large debt. In order not to add to the burden of the family, Shun Lang resolutely gave up the college entrance exams to go out to work to earn money for the family to pay off the debt. When they see these things, many ladies with shallow eye sockets feel tears in their eyes all of a sudden. Woo, this little brother Shun Lang is too pitiful, giving up the college entrance exam for his family to go out and work. So pitiful. After 12 years of hard study, he was about to face the college entrance examination, but he had to give up because of his family. It's really hard to imagine how much pain he would have felt inside at that time. It's almost heartbreaking to know what's going on, to give up studying and go out to work at such a young age. Oh my, that's too pathetic. Shun Lang's encounter completely stirred the motherly love gene in them, making each of them wish they could hold Shun Lang in their own arms and then use all their tenderness to comfort him and pamper him. And just as these motherly erupting young ladies were still lamenting Shun Lang's bumpy life, suddenly, another wave of comments came pouring in. Wah, Tiberians, don't get all motherly here.
Other people's little brother is fine now. I'll go. This Nima, is this the fabled no thing? So it is said that the heavens will bring down great wealth upon the people of the world, but they must first suffer their hearts and minds, labor their bones and muscles, starve their bodies and empty their bodies? If that's the case, then so can I. Sins, so you want your father to get a serious illness too? Looking at this sudden wave of comment messages, some of the ladies couldn't help but be a little confused. What's with all the comments? Soon, guided by these message comments, they finally found the follow-up story about Xinlang. The above said, after giving up the college entrance examination, Xinlang ran off alone to work in Hangzhou. During this period, he rarely appeared in the group of friends, and rarely sent a circle of friends. Therefore, in addition to Dai Fei, who had the closest relationship with him, there were not many people who knew about his experience during that time. Then came the best part. On this year's Valentine's Day, their classmates who work in Porsche 4S stores suddenly showed their friend circles, congratulating Xinlang on lifting 3 Porsches in one breath, completely sensationalizing their classmate group. Under the inquiry of their classmates, they learned that, just 8 years ago, Xinlang spent $50 to buy 1,000 bitcoins out of curiosity. Then, 8 years later, Xinlang sold those bitcoins and became a direct billionaire. Not only did he lift 3 Porsches, but he also hugged a beautiful woman. Upon reading this follow-up story, many of the ladies were flabbergasted. What do you mean? What's that Bitcoin thing again? What happened to buying 1,000 bitcoins for $50 8 years ago? It was so cheap. Why sell it 8 years later and become a billionaire? Yeah, what kind of crap story is this? It's so confusing to read. Full of these ladies' complaints. Those netizens who knew about Bitcoin couldn't help but laugh at once. Ladies, to give you a brief popularization this Bitcoin is a virtual digital currency that has become very popular in recent years. It was born in '09. At the beginning, just some circles in the IT world were playing, and not many people paid attention to it. Later, as more and more people and organizations began to pay attention to it, and its price has also risen. 8 years ago, student Xinlang was able to buy 1,000 bitcoins for $50, and by the beginning of this year it had turned into $18,000 apiece. That is to say, into the stock. Even at that time Xinlang student sold all of these 1,000 bitcoins, then he would have $18 million. According to the exchange rate at that time, when converted to soft sister currency, it would be nearly $120 million. What's going on? After reading this section of the science, a group of young ladies were shocked. Mommy, $120 million? Little brother Xinlang is so rich? I was just saying that little brother Xinlang is so pitiful, and I wanted to ask if there was any channel to donate some money to him. Whoops, it turns out that the clown is actually myself. This is too awesome. It's amazing that he made $120 million with only $50. Even Papa Ma isn't as powerful as him, right? It's over. What if I suddenly realize that I love little brother Xinlang even more? I want to snatch him over so badly. Miss Sister, let's cooperate. Together we'll snatch little brother Xinlang. When the time comes, 1, 3, 5 goes to you. 2, 4, 6 goes to me. Give little brother a vacation on Sunday. Wah, what kind of tiger and wolf word is that? Terrible. Sure enough, if a woman driver drives a car, there's nothing for men at all. Soon, the topic of #reverse walker is actually a billionaire has rushed to the hot search of all major platforms, once again attracting the attention of countless people. Wah, one of the retrograde heroes is actually a billionaire? $50 spent 8 years ago made $120 million 8 years later? Woo, I repent. If I had also saved $50 to buy bitcoins instead of renting little yellow books to read, maybe I'd be a billionaire by now. Brothers, do you have any more now? Let's borrow one. This nigga, this can even drive? At this time, as the core character of this network storm, Xinlang was helplessly appeasing his mother on the phone segment. Mom, don't worry, I'm really fine. Didn't you watch the video? There's nothing going on with me and the airplane at all. We're fine. If you don't believe me, ask the airplane. Yes, Auntie, we're fine. We'll be in Ningbo City in a few hours. If we were really injured, we wouldn't be back so soon. Do you think so? Yes. Don't worry. I have already severely criticized the prodigal son. In the future he will never do such things again. Xinlang, _ Aha. You don't worry. In the future go out. I will help you to keep an eye on him. Okay. I'll bring my girlfriend to dinner next weekend. Okay. That's it. Bye. Done. After hanging up the phone, Dai Fei gave a yay gesture towards Xinlang, and in the very next second, Xinlang's phone rang again. This time, it was Xinlang's grandfather who called. The old man also saw the newscast and was uneasy. so he called over to show concern for his grandson.
Time passes with a phone call and an exchange of messages.
Unconsciously,
As the announcement from the high-speed train crew sounded,
Yongcheng Station, here it is.
Shenlang stuffed the cell phone back into his pocket and gently exhaled.
Home at last. Star. Chapter 80, Spring of Life plus Alchemy.
I'm going to make the sandstorm disappear from the land of Xia.
In fact,
Shenlang knew from the beginning that someone was filming their rescue, and also knew it the first time through Xiao AI that the other party had sent the video to the network.
In fact,
if Shenlang was willing, he could have hacked the other party's cell phone from the beginning so that the other party could not shoot.
Only Shenlang did not do that. After all, in Shenlang's opinion, what he and Dai Fei did
was a good thing to see justice, and it is not something unseemly and bad.
And it was shot,
even after knowing that the other party had uploaded the video to the internet. Shenlang had expected it and felt that it might cause a bit of a stir.
However,
Shenlang did not expect that the sensation would be so big and fierce.
The very next day after Shenlang and his group returned to Yongcheng,
Yongcheng officials confirmed through various channels that the two masked heroes who had risked their lives to save the 36 people in the sandstorm in the imperial capital were none other than their Yongcheng people.
After confirming the news, the Yongcheng officials immediately contacted the two men through various means and said that they would be honored for the righteous deeds they had done in the empire. At first, Shenlang was too much trouble and wanted to refuse, but as a result,
the official mobilized the community committee Amma to come over to do the work. This woman is also from the same village of Shin's neighbors,
or Shin's mother's best friend for many years.
For Shenlang himself,
he could naturally not give face to the other party,
but he could not give face to his own mom.
In the end,
Shenlang still couldn't withstand the countryside offense and could only helplessly nod his head in agreement.
In the next few days, Shenlang and Dai Fei became two mascots in human form,
participating in various publicity and communication activities organized by the officials of Yongcheng.
During this period,
the Imperial City officials also organized a special exchange team that came all the way to Yongcheng to participate in the exchange activities, and awarded the two with the Imperial City Honorary Citizen Medal and the Medal for Courage and Bravery. With these two medals, the two could not only receive a fixed reward of 50,000 yuan each for bravery and courage, but they could also settle down directly in the imperial capital, buy a car or a house without the need for a lottery,
pay to do any public transportation, and visit all tourist attractions within the imperial capital for free. At the same time, the two later children are born, and when they grow up, they can be prioritized for schooling, with an additional 10 points or more in the secondary school examination. The list of benefits is simply enviable, but again, not a single person would be jealous of them for that, because everyone knew that the two deserved it. However, perhaps they were stimulated by this wave of rewards from the Imperial City's officials, or perhaps they were worried that such two good lads who were good enough to become the spokespersons of Yongcheng City's image would be scooped up by the Imperial City, so much so that the Yongcheng City's officials even raised the rewards given to the two of them by a few more levels than before. Each person 200,000 cash incentives. Needless to say, like the purchase of a home to buy a car and so on, can be directly exempted from the purchase tax, if you like to import it, and even the import tariffs are exempted for you. All such rewards are all a few notches higher than the official rewards of the imperial capital. I have to say, this is in line with the arrogant character of Yongcheng City, which has always been not weak. Just like this, after a few days of flurry, Shenlang was finally able to take it easy. Only, after such a mess, Shenlang's fame in the kindergarten had skyrocketed. Before this, the kindergarten children only thought that he was a super handsome plus powerful magician uncle. And now, this group of little things call Shenlang a heroic magician, or a heroic uncle. As for those parents, every time they see Shenlang, they are also extraordinarily cordial. Sometimes when they bring snacks to their own children, they will also deliberately bring an extra portion, and then when they see Shenlang that extra portion to him, so that he can take it to his niece to eat. It must be said that the current Shenlang has already become the first red man in the kindergarten up and down, inside and out. There was even a time when Wenwen's homeroom teacher, Ms. Kiki, told him that the kindergarten PTAs were discussing to see if you could be invited to join the kindergarten PTA. In response, Shenlang also cried and laughed a little. Before I knew it, another week had passed. On Monday night, just as Shenlang was preparing to go to sleep, a message suddenly came from the trading space. Master Soul had sent a video invitation. Shenlang's mind moved and immediately entered the trading space and opened the video invitation. As the video opens, a slightly tired Master Soul appears in the screen, but despite his tired look, Master Soul's spirit was excited, with a hint of joy. Mr. Wave, only Master Soul said happily, no dishonor. I have completed the water and earth spell formation you asked for. As Master Soul spoke, he spread out his palm, revealing 6 coin-sized pieces of metal with intricate alchemical runes engraved inside.
according to your request. As long as these 6 alchemy props are placed in accordance with the established formation orientation and then activated with the Sage's Stone, then it will be able to suck up and preserve all the moisture floating in the air within a 1 kilometer radius. At the same time, as you instructed, I also carved an earth-fixing spell formation on it to ensure that the land within the spell's area of influence won't experience any movement or wandering. However, due to the limited materials, only 100 sets of such a spell formation were made. For the next one, we'll have to wait for the materials from the Alchemy Guild's site to be available next month before we can continue. Master Soul, really thank you so much. Looking at how exhausted Master Soul was in order to help him study the spell formation he needed, Shenlang was both grateful and somewhat self-conscious. On the very night when he returned from the imperial capital, Shenlang recalled the violent sandstorm weather in the afternoon, and immediately asked Xiao Ai to investigate the sandstorms that Xia had encountered in recent years as well as the reasons that had triggered this bad weather. In turn, the current state of desertification in the eyes of the northern land of the Summerland was investigated. Thus, Shenlang immediately thought of the abilities and resources he now held in his hands. With the ability of the Tree Man's Heart, he could easily grasp the conditions and movements of all the plants and animals, and the Spring of Life, which could nourish and strengthen all the plants. Therefore, if there is anyone in this world who can solve land desertification in a short time, it is none other than Shenlang. However, considering the ultimately limited amount of life spring water in his hand, Shenlang found Master Soul and wanted to ask for his help to see if he could refine a spell that would help the plants to be cultivated in the desert or even desert areas. After listening to Shenlang's idea, Master Soul immediately launched a study, and finally today, the study was completed. It's fine. Looking at Shenlang's self-condemning expression, Master Soul couldn't help but smile and comfort him. That's how I am. Once I come across an idea I'm interested in, I'll waste my sleep and food. This time, this alchemy spell that you provided to combine water and earth has given me a lot of inspiration and enlightenment. I should be thanking you instead. Master Soul, we have a saying on our side that the body is the capital of the revolution. Studying alchemy is certainly important, but compared to alchemy, your body is even more important. While speaking, Shenlang took out 2 20-liter buckets of life spring water from his spatial ring. Master Soul, this is the life spring water that I obtained from the time and space friend of a tree herder. It possesses a very good effect on warming up the body and getting rid of the body's dark wounds and fatigue. I've asked that tree herder's friend, and this life spring water is effective on all intelligent creatures, so you can try it. Originally, Shenlang thought that Master Soul didn't know about this life spring water and introduced it to him. As a result, he did not expect Master Soul's eyes to light up after listening. I've heard of this life spring, Master Soul said with interest. This life spring water is very famous amongst the time and space merchants. I've heard several time and space merchants mention it. It's a very precious water of life. Not only can it cure 100 poisons, if you drink it for a long time, you can even live forever. It's a pity that there are only a handful of timespace that possess this life spring water, and even fewer timespace traders can match it to that timespace. I didn't expect you to match one. Ha ha, I really must congratulate you. Ha! After hearing Master Soul's words, Shenlang could not help but be taken aback. He had thought that this life spring could prolong one's life, but he had never thought that it could make one live forever. How come Roy didn't tell me about this? However, very quickly, Shenlang remembered that Roy had said that the average lifespan of their tree herder clan was around 3,000 years. Perhaps, the reason why they have such a long life is related to the fact that they have been drawing on the spring of life for a long time. Thinking that if he could also have the lifespan of the tree herder clan after drinking it for a long period of time, Shenlang couldn't help but thump his heart a little. Subsequently, Shenlang made a deal with Master Soul. After the transaction was completed, Master Soul drank a cup of life spring water in front of Shenlang. Then, visible to the naked eye, the tired expression on Master Soul's face swept away. The eyes, which had been slightly drooping from exhaustion, were even more sparkling. Then, just like when Shenlang and Kay drank it in the first place, Master Soul began to sprout stains all over his body. Ah, Mr. Wave, I'm going out first. Paging me again if you need anything, haha. Bye. Watching Master Soul exit the trading space in a flaming rage, Shenlang couldn't help but smile. After Master Soul left, Shenlang extracted the 100 sets of water and soil spell formations and put them into the spatial ring, then also exited the trading space. Returning to the room, Shenlang took out a set of spells and held it in his hand and patted it. At this point, he still had no more sleep. Thus, after confirming that his family was asleep, Shenlang put on the nano armor, quietly left the room, and flew to the north. 10 minutes later, Shenlang appeared outside the protective forest north of the imperial capital. Although it was now at night, with the assistance of the smart glasses, everything below was invisible in Shenlang's eyes. That desolate scene was like 2 completely different worlds from the city behind the protective forest. Manipulating the nano armor, Shenlang quietly landed on the ground.
then followed Master Sol's instructions and placed the 6 alchemy props into the set positions, then installed a Sage's Stone on the eye of the formation. As the Sage's Stone was placed into the eye of the formation, the entire formation was then activated. Shenlang was keenly aware that some of the water vapor floating in the air began to slowly gather towards the earth. Afterwards, Shenlang cut some branches from the protective forest and stuck them on the ground, and poured some life spring water. Soon, under the most use of the spring of life, these branches quickly grew roots and grew into new trees. Under the perception of the tree man's heart, Shenlang clearly heard that these newborn trees were expressing their gratitude to him. Shenlang smiled, then looked into the distance. Over there, it's a yellow desert as far as the eye can see. Wait for it, Shenlang said silently in his heart. It won't be long. I will make the sandstorms disappear. From the land of summer. Star. Chapter 81, The Fourth Time Trader. The Dying Godzilla? Early the next morning, Shenlang sent his niece to the kindergarten, and then was pestered by a bunch of little fanboys and girls to perform a few magic tricks before he was able to get away. Sitting back in the car, Shenlang dialed a phone. Hello, Bureau Lu. Good morning. Sorry to bother you so early. I want to register in a forestation and greening enterprise, so I want to consult with you about some of the relevant policy requirements. This Lu Bureau in Shenlang's mouth was a leader he had recognized when he attended the event some time ago, in charge of the investment promotion section of Yongchang. Hearing that Shenlang wanted to register his company, the other party enthusiastically introduced him to the relevant policies and benefits of Yongchang in terms of business registration and management. After the introduction, the other party casually asked, "How much do you plan to set the registered capital at? Now that we have a contribution system, we can do without paid-in contributions." Shenlang pondered for a moment and said, "Tentatively set it at $100 million. $100 million? Lu Bureau lost his voice. Xiao Shun, you are going to put your entire fortune into it? Little Shen from my point of view, you setting up such an enterprise with a paid-in $100 million will definitely be a great boost to my job performance, but for you to take out your entire fortune to start a company, I personally suggest that you'd better reconsider." In the face of the other party's reminder, Shenlang helplessly said, "Thank you for your reminder, Bureau Lu, but who told you that this $100 million is all I have?" Bureau Lu, Sigma, A. 40 minutes later, Shenlang drove to the Yongchang City Hall office building, accompanied by Bureau Lu. Shenlang completed the relevant registration procedures. 2 days later, Shenlang received the business license, and then went to the bank to open the company account, and remitted $100 million by the way. Soon, the matter of Shenlang's paid-up capital of $100 million to register the afforestation and greening company was spread to the internet, and it immediately attracted the attention of netizens. I'll go. Brother Long actually started a company? This Brother Wave, is the netizens after learning Shenlang's name to give him the name of love? After all, has been Hero Call, ultimately a little awkward. Correspondingly, they also gave Dai Fei a nickname, Airplane Brother. Wah, Wave really does have $1 billion, and went and started a company? Ouch I go. What a surprise. This is a real money deposit into the company's account. That's awesome. Mr. Wave, have this money, by financial management is not fragrant? 7 or 8 points a year, to the hands of 7 or 8 million. Panic A. Even if the bank to eat interest, there are 4 or 5 million a year. Why so want to open the company? Brother Wave, short of a secretary? I'm up for anything. Shy. Hypocrites get out of the way. Longo belongs to us. Just as the netizens are hotly debated, some afforestation and greening enterprises in the Yongchang district are not quiet. Mr. Zhang, have you heard? The retrograde hero who saved 36 people in the sandstorm in Imperial City before has opened a reforestation and greening company in Yongchang, with a paid-up capital of $100 million. This is coming to steal our jobs. I heard. Damn it. With so much money, what can't you do, but come to steal our jobs with us? That's bullying. That's right. On the Yongchang so big a reforestation and greening market, every year at the top of the day is only so much money. You say he's such a big dragon. Why run to our small pool to grab food? $100 million. If he really snatches up the market with us, with our little arms and legs, how can we break him? And don't blame these reforestation and greening companies for being so nervous. After all, in Yongchang, the largest one afforestation and greening company's registered capital is only 10 million, and is still a subscription system. The company's annual operating income of about 2 to 3 million, leaving aside all the costs and favors. A year's profit can earn 6 to 7 million. This is already considered the best. Some of the smaller